Las Vegas, a city of bright lights and endless action. The NASCAR action this week is at Las Vegas Motor Speedway, where high speeds and heavy competition make every lap a gamble.
Big crash.
The numbers fly past. If luck's not with you, it gets expensive. But if things fall just right and fate smiles on your number, the payoff is big. 43 drivers have a stake in this game. Which one wins today's Racing Roulette in Vegas? Follow Las Vegas Boulevard north from the Strip, where most all the casinos and attractions are, and you come to Nellis Air Force Base and the Las Vegas Motor Speedway, where odds are a wild and unpredictable day of racing awaits. ESPN welcomes you to NASCAR Countdown, presented by Hellmann's, as the NASCAR Nationwide Series makes its once-a-year stop at the speedy and sparkling Las Vegas Motor Speedway in Las Vegas, Nevada. Yes, those things on the camera lens were headline number one today. The weather, a storm system moving into the western U.S. off the Pacific, has brought cool temperatures and some showers into play. 40% chance of showers in the forecast, a high of only 54 degrees for the afternoon. It started sprinkling about 15 minutes ago, but the good news is we're just about at the back end of it on the radar, and it really hasn't rained heavily. So at some point, we'll be able to get the track drying started and get this race underway. Got a lineup of heavy hitters for today's race. Brad Keselowski on the pole, leading a speedy charge in qualifying. The top 10 broke the track record in time trials. Carl Edwards, one of those, grabbing a bite to eat after final Sprint Cup practice and headed out for driver introductions for today's race. And of course, the lady hoping 7 is a lucky number after 300 miles. Danica Patrick making her final NASCAR start till late June, when she comes back from IndyCar racing for a bit. From her Daytona debut through this Vegas venture, February's been a fast and furious experience for Danica.
Well, we're really excited today to finally be able to announce our full program for 2010.
Danica Patrick getting ready to go.
Straighten the wheel. Hold on to her. You're good. Throw the wheels off that thing, girl.
This race, this is the real test. Oh, we got crash up in the corner.
I don't know how I didn't, but I didn't.
Multiple car crash, including Danica Patrick. Danica right now started 36, dropped back to 41st.
We're speed exiting.
Really?
Danica Patrick serving her second speeding penalty.
Where the hell was I speeding? Thanks, guys. Sorry I sucked today, but I'll figure it out.
You've progressed a lot, girl. I'm proud of you this race.
She's done exactly what they needed.
It has been a whirlwind week for Danica Patrick as she went home of sorts, went back and jumped in their IRL IndyCar for the Andretti Autosports team. And, of course, Danica spending 2 days testing on the road course at Barber Motorsports Park. Well, Danica, back here at Las Vegas, you've had 2 starts in the NASCAR Nationwide Series car and at 2 distinctly different racetracks. And some of the veterans have given you pretty high marks as being a fast learner. How would you evaluate your progress so far?
You know, there are times that it feels good and times that it doesn't. I think I feel good when the car is something that I can drive and push, and when it's not there, I feel like a fish out of water. So, but that's the learning curve, and I know I have a great team. I just want to do it justice and, get the car up further to the front.
Only your 3rd start in the NASCAR Nationwide Series today. Realistically, what are your expectations here?
I think maybe the mistake last weekend at Fontana was that we didn't create any expectation. It's just like, hey, go out there and do your best. And your best for me is running up front. So, I think we, after last weekend and finishing 31st, I think we went, okay, now next weekend, let's finish in the top 25. And then based on this weekend, we'll say, okay, now we want to finish here. So I know we have a much better car than where we qualified. I didn't do a very good job. I have a lot to learn in the qualifying stuff, too. It's much different than IndyCar. So, it's only going to get better. It's just that, so, we were talking earlier today, and I said it after last weekend. It's just really humbling.
Well, good luck today and have some fun.
Yeah, thanks.
Guys?
All right, Doc, thank you so much. Certainly the fans are responding to Patrick's presence. The souvenir hauler has been busy. The track estimates it sold some 15,000 extra tickets for today's race. And the NASCAR Nationwide Series has gotten a boost from Danica's presence. Both live attendance and TV ratings for the first 2 races of the year have been up. And Danica is ranked in the top 5 in NASCAR driver merchandise sales, behind only Earnhardt Jr., Jeff Gordon, and Tony Stewart. Amidst the glitter and glamour of Las Vegas and this normally sparkling track is our ESPN pit studio. We fit right in. We're at the table. We're ready to deal. The only chips we've got here are of the potato variety. We welcome you inside. Alan Bestwick with Rusty Wallace and Brad Daugherty. It's Vegas, where what happens here is probably going to be kind of wild.
Oh, it is going to be wild. No doubt about that. I mean, I couldn't wait to get to this place. It's so exciting out here. The track is fast, and people love the entertainment, and it's good racing. But I will tell you, you better hold on right now, because this, like I said, fast. Yeah. A 1.5 mile racetrack. These are flat screaming around here. You're running wide open, and that's the scary part. The drivers tell me, man, I get loose all the time, and there's a lot of spins and crashes off of turn 4 because they're trying to run wide open. Yeah. They can't do it all the time.
Well, and it also creates unpredictability throughout this race. If you think back to last year's race, we had 3 guys, Biffle, Edwards, and Vickers, who all went a lap down in the second half of the race. Well, guess who finished in the top 3? Biffle, Edwards, and Vickers. So really unpredictable. We know we're going to have some problems in turn 4. That's a tough turn coming off. It flattens out. But yesterday in practice, the turn that was really getting them was turn between 1 and 2. There's a big bump right there, and these cars were really bouncing around a lot. So we could see a lot of action between turns 1 and 2, as well as in 3 and 4, all over the racetrack.
Never any action in Vegas. Come on now. Let's butt up the Danica story for the day. From what you've seen in the past few weeks, from what you've seen in practice and qualifying here, from what you just heard her tell Doc Punch a minute ago, what are your expectations?
Well, Mike, they're not really high for her right now, and the reason being is she's never been to these tracks before. I mean, first time at Daytona, first time at California, first time here in a stock car here at Las Vegas. I mean, it's a tough job. To expect her to go out and be top 25, I think, is too much asked for her right now. I mean, she just needs to get more experience, get more seat time, as they call it, and she'll come along. But to say, hey, she's going to get it done right now, I don't think it's going to happen.
Yeah, I think we've moved past all the hype and all the branding opportunities for Danica. You know, what we've seen in her last 2 starts is someone who's using this basically as test sessions. If you look today, 5 of the 8 go homers were faster than she was in qualifying. So I think this is an opportunity for her to learn some more. Is she going to be competitive with these guys? No. But she was much quicker yesterday than she has been in the past 2 weeks. So she is gradually learning. But overall, it's just a learning session, test session for her.
The Danica Patrick story, just part of what's been a terrific opening run to this NASCAR Nationwide Series so far. 2 races, 2 terrific finishes, including last Saturday's final laps at the track in Southern California. Joey Logano and Greg Biffle getting ready to go here for a green-white checker restart, with Biffle behind Logano, who's dominated the day in turn 1, turned the race around.
Biffle was in the right spot right there. Logano tried to come down on him a little bit. The old veteran didn't cut him any slack.
Kyle Busch and Greg Biffle went at it down to the very checkered flag. Logano got spun to the infield, but Kyle Busch won the race by a bumper. His 31st career win, tying him with Jack Ingram for 3rd on the all-time Nationwide Series victory list. Kyle heading out to be introduced here momentarily out by the start-finish line. Let's talk about that finish between Logano and Greg Biffle. Fair or foul?
I think it was fair. I think that Greg Biffle, being the veteran race car driver that he is, just did not cut him any slack. Could he? Yes, but he didn't. Final laps of the race. Look at this. All right, we go off down into turn 1 here. Biffle's right on his bumper. He's beating on him just a little bit. And watch Greg go to the inside. He's got that bottom line. Joey Logano turns across his nose. Biffle doesn't give him an ounce, Rusty, and that's fair, hard-nosed racing.
I totally disagree with it. I call foul on that one. Look, I've been told that you got a brake pedal and you got a gas pedal. You need to learn how to use them. And Biffle just didn't get out of the throttle. He roughed that kid up, and it was the end of the race.
He cut across his nose, Rusty. He cut across his nose.
Look, this is my story, and I'm sticking to it.
Lost in the shuffle of the controversy over Biffle and Logano is the fact that Biffle drove a car to the 2nd place finish from the Baker Curb Racing team, a team that wasn't sure they even had a future this year. Dave Burnsy starts 9th today. He's done a lot to boost that team.
Alan, we've always known Greg to drive his heart out, but he has taken making a lot out of a little to extremes here, I think. Why have you and the 27 team worked so well?
You know, I tell you what, a lot of credit to Ricky Vires, the crew chief over there, and then a lot of credit to Matt Cruz and Gary Baker and all those guys. They've kept their stuff together, and, you know, they've had good drivers over there to keep the cars running fast. And I've kept an eye on them, and when they gave me this opportunity, said they had Redman moist snuff on the car and needed to run some races. I was thankful for that because I didn't have an opportunity, and they believed in me as a driver and gave me this opportunity, and I'm driving my heart out.
That finish last week, Greg, there was so much good competition and so little room for error at the end there. How important was that initial restart, first on the gas, to get the 27 going?
It was very important. It's no doubt that those Toyota cars have pretty good power under the hood, and we do too with our Ford Fusion, but I had a hard time staying with those guys, and Joey Logano spun his tires a little bit, gave me an opportunity to jump on him and stay with him, and then I ducked down to the inside of him. I can't believe he didn't turn in the corner, and I got a huge run on the inside of him, and he tried to shut the door, but I think he's seen the videotape since then, and kind of changed his story a little bit. He knew I was in there, and it was probably not apparent at the time, but I think he knows that we got a good run and got down in there. I just wish I could have beat the 18 to the line.
Well, I think we'll expect more of the same out of Greg today. Alan?
Starting in the 9th position in that 27 car. Coming up next from Las Vegas, why did so many big-name drivers get busted for speeding on pit road last week and here last year? How a fraction of a second can mean the difference between getting all you can and going to the back of the pack. Plus, a look back at what was truly a wild and crazy race here 1 year ago and what we should be looking out for in today's 300-miler. That and more when NASCAR Countdown continues from Las Vegas, where Elvis has, in some ways, never left the building.
Ooh, I like that.
You're watching NASCAR live in Vegas on ESPN.
NASCAR Countdown is presented by the mayonnaise that's real and delicious, Hellmann's.
We hope to give you some Vegas memories in the daylight. Denny Hamlin out of control.
Straighten the wheel up, straighten the wheel up.
Oh, Kyle Busch loses it.
Spins right up in front of Scott Speed, who hammers him hard. A couple of the contenders involved in a crash.
Ran out of gas, guys.
Our race leader, Greg Biffle, may have ran himself out of gas.
Whoa, there was a leader, David Reagan, and he has slammed the wall.
Wow. It's just almost too much to keep up with. Big crash.
We just blew it. We got run into. We're in the wall. We're on fire.
Here he comes. He's on the bumper. He's there. He's going to squeeze him down there.
Teammates, they almost come together. Greg Biffle wins at Vegas.
Good job. Good comeback today, guys.
And the first word that comes to mind when I look back on last year's race here at Vegas is wild. Let's talk just a minute with Rusty and Brad about what we saw last year and whether or not we're going to see similar things today. Start with tricky turn 4. We saw a ton of crashes off turn number 4 last year from a lot of really top-name drivers. That's David Reagan leading the race with 30 laps to go into the wall. Denny Hamlin, Kyle Busch, Jeff Burton, and Kevin Harvick, they all crashed in turn 4. Why was it so tricky, and are we going to see it again today?
You're definitely going to see it again. The reason being, the transition in turn 4, the track really flattens out very fast. But remember, this racetrack was just paved not too long ago, and it has a very hard tire. Doesn't have a lot of grip, Brad, and it causes a lot of crashes. But Goodyear's been here to test. We might have a better tire now.
Yeah. You talked about tires, and they'll be a factor in today's race as well. Brad, you mentioned the bump down in turns 1 and 2, giving a lot of drivers troubles in practice. You think that'll be an issue also?
I think that will be an issue. We saw it in practice yesterday extensively, simply because that bump runs the entire length of the track. And what happens is it's about a quarter of the way into the corner. We saw the Cup cars yesterday getting in there, getting unsettled. They were banging the splitter off the track, where our Nationwide cars go in there, and they get down on the spring. So it creates a little instability. I think there's going to be some problems there today.
Let's see. If you get off turn 4, then you get to go down to 1 and 2 and see if you make it through there. Perseverance. You mentioned last year, the top 3 finishers in this race were all a lap down in the second half of the race. It's kind of a moral of the story there.
Yeah, you just can't give up. And like we're talking about all the distractions with the racetrack, whether it's leveling out on turn 4 or turn 1 and 2, you have to continue to battle here throughout the day. If you have problems on pit road, you have to bounce back, because this is an aggressive race. You have to have that type of mindset to go out and compete throughout the day. And if you do it and do it to your best, you might just end up in victory lane.
You know, it's my favorite saying.
What's that?
Don't give up until it's over.
That's right, baby.
Race isn't over until they wave the checkered flag. Hey, coming up later on tonight, right, a great college basketball matchup. Couple of Big East heavyweights. Scotty Reynolds and the Villanova Wildcats take to the Carrier Dome to face Wesley Johnson and the Syracuse Orangemen. Number 8 against number 4.
That'd be a good ball game.
It's Saturday primetime, presented by DirecTV as part of Judgment Week, presented by Miller Lite. ESPN tonight at 9 Eastern. Catch College Game Day, driven by State Farm before the game at 8 Eastern. For more, log on to ESPN.com. Skies are brightening. The end of the rain is here on the radar, and we're hoping for some green flag racing in Las Vegas. I'm betting on it.
You want me to sing? Viva
I don't want you to sing.
Vegas. Y'all don't want me to sing?
The object is to attract viewers.
Oh, I'm sorry.
NASCAR Countdown is presented by the mayonnaise that's real and delicious, Hellman's.
Skies brightening here at Las Vegas Motor Speedway. Looking for drying conditions momentarily here. Speeding on pit road. Big story in last year's race here at Vegas and in last week's race out in California. 13 different pit road speeding penalties involving mostly big-name drivers in this race. Last week in California, had Danica a couple of times, had Carl Edwards getting busted for pit road speeding, had 12 penalties in that race. Now, a speed limit in racing is something that kind of sounds like an oxymoron, but remember, it's done to create a safer environment for the pit crews who go over the wall to service the cars during the race. Let's get a refresher on how speeding on pit road works and why. For that, to the Craftsman Tech Garage and Tim Brewer. Tim?
Thanks, Alan. Speeding on pit road, it all starts at the race shop, because at the race shop we can actually calculate through the gear ratio in the transmission and the final gearing in the rear end what speed and what RPM we want to have coming down pit road. Now keep in mind, folks, this car does not have a speedometer. That's the reason we have to rely on the tachometer. So when the driver's coming down pit road, we've even got light indicators: yellow, yellow, green, 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 and that's when you get in the red area, that's when you've exceeded pit road speed. But how does NASCAR monitor this up in the booth? We have a transponder that they use for timing and scoring around the racetrack. They also use this on pit road. The transponder sits on the right side of the car, right beneath this panel, and it's in the same place on every car. So NASCAR's got you pretty much accurate information all around the racetrack. But when it comes back to speeding, the driver has to rely on a tachometer for accurate speed on pit road.
All right, Tim, thank you for the refresher. And the pit road here at Las Vegas Motor Speedway broken down into the different timing segments that'll be used for today's race. Speed limit 45 miles an hour, plus the 5-mile-an-hour grace that NASCAR gives you before you get tagged for exceeding a safe speed on pit road. Let's hit a couple of points here. Driver's got a lot going on inside the car while he's trying to monitor his speed. Listen to this from last week.
You ready? Go, 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 go. Up one lane. You're good here, 4750. Carry it to the cone. Now watch your blend line all the way until we get to 2.
Rusty, you've been there behind the wheel, traffic coming and going, watching that tag. There's a lot going on.
It's a lot of work, Alan. There's no doubt about that. You got one eye looking out to the right, looking at the traffic coming on. You got another eye looking right at the tachometer to hold it and making sure you're right on 4750 like it was right there. I mean, and that thing's very fine. You want to take that 5 miles an hour because you want the grace period that NASCAR gives you, I'm talking about. In fact, today, I believe it's 45.
Plus the 5, yeah.
Plus the 5. You get up to 50 miles per hour today. And a lot of drivers take all that and they exceed it and they get themselves in trouble doing it. But it's a lot of work. I mean, you really got to stay on the tack and drive at the same time.
And the key to the whole thing is, while you have to stay and monitor and all that, you're still racing to that line at the end of pit road.
Oh, yeah, exactly right, because it runs all the way across the racetrack, and that's what makes it really difficult. If you pull out behind someone and you know where you stand as far as running order, you may try to speed up just a little bit. And just as Rusty was talking about, if you've got a 5-mile-an-hour grace number, which puts them up to 50 miles an hour today. A lot of these race cars are set on their tacks up to 49.9 miles an hour.
Yeah.
So if you're racing someone off of pit road, you may have the tendency to give it just a little bit of extra throttle. We've looked at all the information that NASCAR has given us. It is the driver's fault every time. No matter what anyone says, it's the driver's fault.
So combining all we've talked about in the last 10 minutes or so together into our Hellman's recipe for success today at Las Vegas. Tame turn 4. Take care of your tires. Don't give up. and don't speed on pit road.
Don't give up.
I agree with all 4 of those. That's pretty good.
Don't give up.
Final element to that recipe, get the track dry. Pole sitter Brad Keselowski's in the studio. We'll talk with him when we come back to Las Vegas. At Las Vegas Motor Speedway, the end of the rain just about moved through, so NASCAR is staying on time where it's scheduled for the opening ceremony is concerned, so they can get the track drying equipment out and hopefully get this place cleaned up quickly and get the race underway. Let's go trackside for the ceremony.
Race fans, please rise and remove your hats as the Nellis Air Force Base Honor Guard presents our nation's colors. Please remain standing as Las Vegas Motor Speedway Chaplain Mr. Joe Freiberger offers today's invocation.
Let us pray. Heavenly Father, we thank you for the privilege of being here today. We thank you for the sponsors who make this race possible, and we ask that you would bless and protect the drivers, their crews, and the fire and safety personnel. And Lord, we ask for a special blessing for the brave men and women who serve and protect this great nation of ours. It's in your name that we pray. Amen.
Now join me in welcoming Speedway Idol winner Miss Ashley Jones as she performs our national anthem.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets' red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
So the opening ceremony over on schedule. Now they'll break down the stage and get the track drying equipment out. And again, look at the radar. The back end of the weather system has reached us and moved through. So we expect a full 300 miles at Las Vegas Motor Speedway this afternoon. That's the weather that's gone through.
Man, I hope so.
We like to view the other way, where the blue sky is beginning to break through over the Strip and over downtown. And again, the jet dryers and the track drying equipment heading out onto the racetrack. Earlier today in qualifying, it was Brad Keselowski who put his Dodge on the pole, looking to get back to victory lane like he did on several occasions last year, this being just a couple of them. A win at Iowa, a win at Memphis. Today's pole sitter is in the ESPN pit studio. We talk with Brad Keselowski when we come back to Vegas in just a minute. Hang on.
NASCAR Nationwide Series at Las Vegas is presented by GoDaddy.com, where you can make the web your domain with a .com name for less than $1 a month. And in part by Peak. Inside, outside, all around your car. When you peak, you win.
Race number 3 of the 2010 NASCAR Nationwide Series, 300 miles at Las Vegas Motor Speedway. Our coverage today presented by GoDaddy.com. There's that western sky we're liking. Look at the sun starting to peek through over the far hills, and track drying has begun here at Las Vegas Motor Speedway. We're hoping for a green flag soon. Earlier this morning, 10 a.m. local time, qualifying was held. Carl Edwards set the third fastest time, one of 10 drivers who broke the old Nationwide Series track qualifying record. Edwards start on the inside of row 2 on the front row. Kevin Harvick on the outside in his Chevrolet, number 33. But the man he's going to be flanking is driving a Dodge. Penske Power seems to be the theme for pole positions this weekend, as Brad Keselowski put the Penske Dodge on the pole for today's race. Kurt Busch in his Penske Dodge on the pole for tomorrow's Sprint Cup Series race. And the driver of that number 22 Discount Tire Machine has joined us in the ESPN Pit Studio. Congratulations on the pole, and thanks for coming by.
Thank you very much. What an awesome weekend for Roger Penske. Wish he was here. I know he's watching at home on TV. Good to see you, Roger. But 2 poles, man, that's pretty cool. That's the first time for him. So
that's awesome.
Talk to me about what qualifying was like out there this morning. The temperatures are kind of cool here. I mean, it's 50 degrees, and that's as high as it's been all day today. This is a fast track. What was it like?
It's very difficult to qualify these nationwide cars on a mile and a half, and I've never had a pole on a mile and a half. This is the first time I think I've even started in the top 5. So, that certainly means a lot to me, and it shows just how good this team's starting to come along. A brand new race team to go out and qualify on a pole, only 3 races in. So, it's very difficult to do as a driver, very difficult to do as a team, and together, Paul Wolf and I seem to have got something figured out.
Brad, this particular racetrack, is it harder to get qualified here than any place you've ever been? Because the drivers tell me you got to almost run wide open here.
Yeah, I would say Vegas and Charlotte are 2 of the toughest tracks we come to on a nationwide side for qualifying and for racing, because the groove is just so narrow and you have to be so precise. You need to hit your marks, within an inch, and you're going 190, 195 mile an hour. And if you miss that mark, you're out of control and you're in the wall.
Last week, last lap on the green-white checker, you had a chance in turn number 3 to make things maybe a little more interesting than some folks would have liked. That's actually coming off turn 4. Going into turn 3, when you went down below Kyle Busch and Greg Biffle, what were you thinking?
I was thinking I've got this one won. Yes. I want to win races. We want to get Discount Tire in victory lane. We want to get this team in victory lane and start building momentum so we can run for this championship. So, you're going to have to win races to do that. We saw that with Kyle. Won 9 races last year and something like 13 second-place finishes. Yeah. So to beat Carl, it's going to take those same numbers. So you've got to win races. You've got to be up front. So, there's a time and a place, and I probably could have wrecked everyone and got the win, but I probably would have wrecked myself too. So, you've got to be smart about it, and sometimes you got to take that 3rd place finish. And as much as I hated doing that, it was really important for this team, being brand new, to bring home cars in one piece, to build some momentum and get through this season, get it going, and then we'll get a little more aggressive.
You said something after the race that kind of intrigued me, and here's the move I'm talking about specifically. You said that, and I'm trying to paraphrase you a little bit, but your reputation, or maybe some things you'd done in the past, made you think. Yeah, I know I'm not getting the paraphrasing right, so help me out a little bit.
Well, I need to run for a championship, and I'm not going to quit being aggressive, but there's a time and a place, and that was not the time and the place, and that's part of being a smart race car driver, is knowing when it's time to be aggressive. In that situation, I was probably going to wreck all of us, not only just Greg and Kyle, but also myself. So it just didn't work out. It wasn't the right timing, but another day it will be.
You know what, Brad, you have fought and clawed your way up to where you're at now. I mean, you are in the middle of it. You're at the pinnacle of the sport in the Cup Series, and now you're coming back, you're running in the Nationwide Series. You're a guy to beat every weekend. But your aggressiveness, everyone's taking note of that. Other drivers, the media and whatnot. When you're racing in the race, like a race today, when you run up on someone, do you have a mental note in your mind, I got to race this guy this way because he may race me that way? Or do you have to take stock of all that?
I think you have to know who you're racing around. Yeah. But I don't think you have time to hold grudges. I think grudges are really bad for you. When you're focused on one competitor, you're not focused on the 41 other competitors. Right. 43 cars every week. So, you've got to be smart about it. You don't have time to hold grudges, but you got to know who you're racing. You got to know what they're going to do before they do it if you're going to beat them.
Gotcha.
Talk about, Brian, you mentioned Roger Penske before, getting yourself acclimated into the Penske culture. Mm-hmm. How's it been different than where you were?
Well, there's a lot of differences, and some that are easy to adapt to, some that are just great. I love doing this, and then there's some that you're just like, oh, I don't want to have to do that. But, it goes hand in hand. If you want the good parts, you're going to have to take the bad parts. So I feel lucky to be here. I feel lucky to be running full-time in both series. I think that's an awesome opportunity. I would have never thought I'd ever get that opportunity. So to be able to do that with a first-class organization like Penske Racing it's great. That's an awesome opportunity. So I take a lot of pride in that, and I really want to win that first race. I think winning the pole today was a big deal for me personally, because it set us apart. As you know, it kind of justifies the move to do this, to come over here and to start a brand new team, and knowing that we're already successful. Like I said earlier, it just shows, if we're this successful now just out the gate, think of how strong we're going to be at the end of the year.
Got a break I got to get in, then I'd like to ask a couple more questions about today's race and what we can look forward to. Brad Keselowski joining us. He's on the pole for today's race. Had a shower, started about 15 minutes before the top of the hour, and has dampened the track some, but it's already stopped raining. The track drying, the pit road drying for that matter, is underway, and we are looking to go racing for the full 300 miles today here at Las Vegas Motor Speedway. The field's ready to go, the fans are ready to go, even the radar's ready to go by now.
Get on out of here, radar.
Back at Las Vegas, the hometown of defending series champ Kyle Busch, but he's not had a lot of luck in nationwide series races at this track. That was a couple of years ago. Last year, just 20 or so laps into the race. This is turn 4. We mentioned tricky turn 4 before. Oh, that was a hard hit. Kyle has won a Sprint Cup Series race here, but his nationwide series results just haven't been what he's hoping for. And as the defending series champ, the driver of that 18 car, hoping to take a trophy home today. He finished second in a very close fight a couple of years ago, and today he starts in 5th position. Let's hear from Kyle with Jamie Little.
Well, it was 1 year ago you're talking about. It was a roller coaster weekend. He crashed out early in the nationwide race that ended up being the worst finish of the year, but then you turned around and won the Cup race, had a big celebration afterwards. Kyle, in 6 starts, you're only 1 top 10. What is it about this track in a nationwide car that is challenging?
Not real sure, but I think most of it's just, you try so hard in order to get the win, in order to get those. And, the Cup race, I just let come to me. It's a longer race. You can just kind of bide your time a little bit more. And nationwide, I feel like it's my destiny to win this thing. And, I just haven't let it come to me yet. So maybe today's the day. I feel like we have a really, really good Z-Line Camry. So I'm looking forward to getting out there and seeing what we can have out.
Why do you say it's your destiny to maybe win here?
It's a hometown. You got to win here. I watched this place be built, and from the ground up, from nothing. This was a dirt parking lot years ago, so it's pretty cool to be here back in the hometown, and of course to win the Cup race last year, and hopefully now we can win a nationwide race.
Now this car you're going to race today, the last time you raced it, you won at Texas. How do you feel it compares to that performance so far?
I mean, so far so good. We've had a really good car in practice. It didn't qualify as well as we wanted to. I kind of left a little bit out there, but we got what we needed, a solid lap, get a good solid starting spot, and get a good pit selection, and so we're looking forward to tonight.
Well, Brad Keselowski's in our studio. He's watching on. They asked him about racing against you. How would you describe him as a race car driver?
Oh, he's aggressive, and a lot of us have been, and I've been accused of it, of course, through the times of racing and growing up, but I didn't wreck everybody every single week. So, that's a problem that I've seen with him. And, whether it's a veteran driver like Jeff Gordon or Mark Martin or Tony Stewart that can maybe sit down with him and have a discussion. I've had that discussion with Stewart. It wasn't very fun, but I learned a lot from it.
All right. Thanks, Kyle. Kyle starts 5th today. Should be exciting with Brad Keselowski starting 1st. Alan?
Double duty drivers running both today and tomorrow. Kyle's among them. Brad is among them. You see the couple handfuls there that are going to run in the 427 miler tomorrow on Sunday, as well as the 300 miles today. So we got about 100 different directions we can go with today's pole sitter, Brad Keselowski, who's sitting here.
I feel a big target.
Let me take these
out, okay?
No, but you shouldn't. But a couple things. Running both series full time, and others who've done it before you, like Kyle, who did it last year. As you watch them do that, what flashed across your mind that concerns you about doing it this year?
Well, it concerns me. There's different concerns you have, and then there's different things that you see that you like about it. So the concern is specific to one weekend, and that is when we go to Sonoma and Road America. That one weekend right there is the biggest thorn that there is. Other than that, I think it's not a huge deal as long as weather doesn't become an issue. If we can go to Pocono and Iowa and not have issues, Pocono and Nashville and not have issues, I think it'll be smooth sailing.
Let's talk about this particular track in the day's race. I talked to you earlier about tricky turn 4. I mean, we saw some video earlier where everybody seems like they're having problems in turn 4. Cars look like they're just cruising through there. All of a sudden they spin out, they hit the wall. What's causing the problem down there?
Well, Las Vegas, like we said earlier, is a very line-sensitive racetrack. And to go along with that, you have to be right on the bottom of turn 4, and there's a lot of bumps up there. And, when you go across those bumps, if you get loose, you don't recover. You don't save your car. I watched Kyle's wreck there. There was a car outside of him that took a little bit of air off of him, and when he got just a least bit sideways, there was no saving that car. So So it's a very tricky corner, like you said, and you just have to be smart about who you're racing around when you're in that area.
When you go down to that particular corner, sorry, Brad, are you really concerned about turn 4? When you think of other racetracks, do you think about that particular corner more than you do at other tracks because there's so many people continuously have so many problems there?
Well, you should. I can't say that I have, but I am now. But, this track in particular, there's a lot of things that make it very difficult. The fact that it's the third race of the season, really your first true mile and a half. And in these nationwide cars, we're all just getting back up to speed, knocking the rust off from the winter. And, Daytona and California are nothing like Vegas. So, that presents its own challenges because we're just not quite mentally prepared. And, that light bulb hasn't gone off where we say, oh, I need to be careful here. So, this is a treacherous track, very close to Charlotte, like you said. But the drivers are just still knocking that rust off, and we all feel like we can win. So, we're all trying to be Superman, and sometimes we have to tune it down a notch.
You got a tremendous opportunity, Brad, with Penske Racing to really, help be a part of a renaissance once again with Kurt Busch over there. Do you think too big a deal is made out of young guys like yourself getting into the new race car and then coming over and racing the nationwide car? They're not specific to one another. Do you think too big a deal is made of that, or do you think there's some truth to it?
Well, I think on different weeks it's different. I go back to Richmond. I ran 2 cars last year in the fall at Richmond. I thought, wow, that's going to be terrible. I'm going to really struggle because of that. And it was an advantage. I didn't see that coming. And then there's other races where you think it's going to be great, and it's quite a bit of a disadvantage. So, week to week it's different. And some weeks it's an advantage, some weeks it's a disadvantage, and you just have to ride the wave.
Gotcha.
You lead the field of the green flag here, hopefully soon.
It's getting dry.
On the pole today, starting 16th for Sunday's race. And thank you for your time.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Thanks
a lot.
Brad Keselowski going to start on the pole in that Penske Discount Tire number 22 Dodge. Let's talk to a couple of the other young guys in today's race. Dave, who you got?
Alan Brian Scott is with me now, and he will start 8th today on the outside row, number 4. Another good qualifying run after qualifying 4th last week at California. Brian, this is a kind of a new program for Braun and you together this year. Why is it working so well early on for the 11 bunch?
I don't know. It must just be a combination of chemistry and equipment. The Braun Racing guys have put together some really good cars for me, and that makes my job a little bit easier. Billy Wilburn, the crew chief, has made some great adjustments, made some great calls during the race. We had a really good run at Auto Club Speedway last week in AccuDock, and so far we have a good qualifying run here with our StopRepairBills.com Toyota.
Drivers are always confident in their own ability, but are you surprised at all just knowing you hadn't done this together before, some of the success you've had?
Well, I think that the Camping World Truck Series prepared me really well for the Nationwide Series. It doesn't seem to be a total foreign object to go to these tracks, so I've been here before, and then it makes the adaptation really easy. It's just adjusting to a little bit different car. And then I've got a great crew, and I got great teammates that help make that even easier. So it's really good, and I'm really pleased with our StopRepairBills.com Toyota.
So by the time we see you in Bristol, you're going to be like the new Bionic Man, right? Because you're getting surgery on this wrist right here. You want to remind us again how that happened last year and why you're getting it cut on now?
Well, just an accident in the Truck Series race at Michigan last year. It's been 9 months, I guess, now. It seems like forever ago, but we're going to get it healed. It doesn't affect my driving, and so far we've had some good runs with it, so it's not the worst of cases.
Vince, I'm wondering, maybe he shouldn't get it worked on because he's been doing so well.
Right, and another guy that certainly is off to a good start is Kelly Byers. What a terrific run last week at California. Started 32nd, finished 7th. Let's touch on that performance before we get to what we've got going here today at Vegas. Was it a bad qualifying run? You had a better car than what you qualified, or did you guys really work on it and get it better during the race?
No, I just did a terrible job qualifying the car last weekend. It was our first time together, and with their package, working on it, trying to figure out what I need to do in qualifying, and I just did a poor job, and I raced really hard to get a good finish, and we made great adjustments on the car all day, so it was a good start, top 10 finish. We like that, and we're looking to improve on it today.
Yeah, what's it say about this 88 team? Tony Eury Jr. standing behind us as your crew chief. You start 32nd, you finish 7th in your first race of the season. About the potential that this team has.
Man, they're competitors. They like to win. That's what I love being around them. That's what I want to do. That's why I'm here. That's what I work so hard to do week in, week out, and to have people behind you like this, and working so hard for you and building fast race cars and doing everything that you need to do to go fast and win races. It's a great opportunity.
Now, the young guys sometimes feel different about the challenges at certain tracks than the veterans who've been here time and time again. Here at Las Vegas, you've raced just once, 2008 last year, Starting Park. What's the big challenge for you at this racetrack here?
Well, it's just really fast. You run so close to wide open, so it's you fight just getting your car to turn, and along in the run, you just burn the right front tire off it because you're asking so much out of it. So you try to find that balance where you can, stand it for 10, 12, 15 laps being too loose, and then where you actually the next 15 laps it pays off. So I think the person that turns the best throughout the entire race is going to have a good shot of winning it.
Now, your teammates with Danica Patrick, do you feel like a veteran when she comes to you and asks you questions and for your advice?
Somewhat. I mean, I was in her shoes not too long ago too, so I've got great advice for her to help her out, and she's doing a great job. She's improving week in, week out, and it just comes to seat time. Any person, the more seat time they get, the better off they are.
Well, there's going to be a lot of good results from this young guy, Kelly Byers, and Pop Shiri, his crew chief. That's a strong combination here at Junior Motorsports. Alan?
All right, thanks. Track drying is ongoing, Vince, as Tony Eury Sr. Pops looking on. Kelly Byers getting ready to drive his car, that 88 machine, from the 12th starting spot, and working on getting this place dried so we can go racing. The NASCAR Nationwide Series for the 300 miles scheduled today. A couple of years ago, Mark Martin was involved in one of the many wild finishes we've seen in this race at Vegas. Martin, a three-time winner at this track, driving that number 5 car. He managed to dodge the trouble and take the checkered flag first. Mark is in the pit studio and will join us when we come back to Las Vegas Motor Speedway. We'll be that in just a second. When you pull out the Las Vegas Motor Speedway record book, Mark Martin's name stands along with Jeff Burton as the guy who's won the most of these Nationwide Series races here. 3 different times, 99, driving the old Winn-Dixie car, then driving that number 9 car for what is now Roush Fenway Racing. That was 2005. And then the 2008 win, driving the Junior Motorsports number 5. Mark Martin, a 3-time Nationwide winner here at Las Vegas Motor Speedway. In fact, where Nationwide Series racing is concerned, no one has been better than Mark Martin. 48 wins, most of all time. And as his Cup sponsor, is also the sponsor of today's race. He was hanging around and just was, we were more than happy to have him come on up and join us in the pit studio for a little while. Mark Martin, driver of the GoDaddy.com Chevrolet, is here. Starting where? 8th tomorrow in the Cup race.
Oh, man, that GoDaddy.com Chevy is awesome. I am so happy with it. I had a great car last weekend in California, and, we were just one adjustment away from being in the mix to win that thing. And the car's even better this week. But it's going to be a tough race. I'm excited about the race today. I can't wait to watch this race because this is a great racetrack. The pavement has matured to the point where you can run all over the racetrack, and we're going to get a great preview today of what's to come tomorrow, but it's going to be great racing.
So you still watch a lot of the Nationwide races? You're still ultimately interested in...
Are you kidding me, man?
Awesome. Yeah.
I watch every race. Every truck race, I watch qualifying, practice, you name it, man.
Yeah.
Racing's my life. It's been my life since I was a kid.
We see you come back over and run some of these Nationwide races, possibly?
Yeah, if I got a sponsor.
There you go.
Yeah.
All right, you're the perfect guy to ask this question to. I mean, you've won so many Nationwide races, Mark, it's unreal. Tell me the difference. How you drive a Nationwide car different than you do a Cup car?
You got to run the car really free, and you have to pay attention to momentum. Sometimes, a little bit of wheel spin isn't a bad thing in one of those things if you can keep it rolling across the center, because they won't accelerate. So you've got to, it's like being out on a string. You got to keep that thing wound up and going all the time. And that's what, my success was built on, was momentum, I think, on the racetrack with those things.
Alan, remember when Mark won so many IROC races?
Yeah.
I think about that because those things didn't have any horsepower either.
That's right.
Okay, so you won all the IROC races. You've won the majority of all the Nationwide races. So, Brad, that puts him an expert.
Yeah, exactly right.
It sounds like it's all about momentum to me.
There you go.
Well,
Quick study.
In a Cup car, with that 850 horsepower, you can break them down and then accelerate them. And sometimes I'm not the best at those things because I'll let a car spin the wheels off the corner. And sometimes I watch those guys not spinning the wheels drive away. So my challenge in a Cup car is, to do both, to get it to roll and keep the momentum, but not spin the tires.
Drivers and advice. You've been around now a little while and had more than your share of success at doing this. When a young driver comes to you for advice, in general terms, do you tell them?
Well, first of all, that is the ultimate compliment when a young driver comes and asks questions. So I'm very humbled and really enjoy, giving them my advice. And depends on what they're asking. But for me, one of the most important things about a new young driver is be humble. I think that you can certainly get a lot further, a lot sooner with, a little humble. And you're certainly probably going to eat some humble pie along the way, even if you do really good right at first. This is a tough business, and it will put you in your place.
Juan Pablo Montoya has been very adamant about you spending time with him and, basically putting your arm around him, giving him some advice coming into this series and whatnot. We've got Danica Patrick, and she's in trying to drive these nationwide cars. If you could give her a little bit of advice, what would be the one or two things you would tell her to kind of help her get settled and comfortable?
Well, I think that she needs to stay humble, and I think she's done a pretty good job of that. This is a very, what she's trying to do is beyond hard. It's just unbelievably difficult. She's showing incredible talent. She has incredible talent, but this is going to be a tough thing, and for her to stay humble, and she's really doing it right. If you notice, she got caught up in somebody else's accident, but she hasn't torn a car up, really. Yeah. I mean, she hadn't wrecked one in practice. How many of us have early on? She's done a lot of things right. She ran the whole race in California, and sooner or later she'll run a whole race fast. She wasn't fast in California, but she was learning, and I think she's doing it right. And I think she can do this, but I think it will take a long, long time trying to do both. And I'm like Darrell Waltrip. I think that driving these cars will make her a better IndyCar driver. It'll make her a better race car driver altogether, from the things and experience that she learns with these things. So I think it's really good.
That's interesting. Yeah.
Need to take a break. Mark Martin hanging around with us, driver of the GoDaddy.com Chevy, starting 8th in tomorrow's race and the all-time leading winner in the NASCAR Nationwide Series. Rain has stopped. Track drying is ongoing. Going to take them a little bit of time to get this big 1.5-mile track dry, but they are working on it as fast as they can, and we're looking forward to seeing a full 300 miles here in Vegas. We saw Elvis earlier, Brad.
Saw the King, baby.
You can't talk about Vegas without talking about Elvis. Right?
Man, look at that. Isn't that pretty?
I drove down the corner so deep sometimes I thought I saw
money down there.
The coolest part of Elvis Presley is he was just ahead of his time.
Elvis's early days, he was just the epitome of cool. Just shaking his hips made everybody kick him off the air for like 2 years.
When you say Elvis Presley, I think about him shaking his hips. And the hair?
If somebody told him he couldn't do something, he made it his goal to try to do that and push the envelope, if you will.
Oh, I think Elvis's coolest thing is definitely his car collection. I saw that on one of the TV shows about his estate and saw Elvis cars. It's pretty cool.
The coolest part of Elvis Presley is nobody knows whether he's still alive. So I'm going with he's still alive because there's still plenty of people that want to mimic.
ABC is your home for the NBA Sunday Showcase. First at 1 Eastern, Steve Nash leads the Suns against Tim Duncan and the Spurs. Then at 3:30 Eastern, the top two teams in the West renew their budding rivalry when the Nuggets battle the Lakers in L.A.
Kobe's getting healthy. You better watch out.
The NBA Sunday Showcase on ABC. Coverage begins at 12:30 Eastern, 9:30 Pacific with the GMC Sierra NBA Countdown. We don't have to worry about rain in the NBA, but we have had a little shower here at Las Vegas Motor Speedway today. But the weather has moved through. The radar's clear behind the front, and the track drying is underway, and we look forward to a full 300 miles of NASCAR Nationwide Series racing in just a little while. Mark Martin has joined us in studio, driver of the GoDaddy.com Chevy in tomorrow's NASCAR Sprint Cup Series race, again starting 8th in that one. Mark, I'm curious, in your mentality, looking back over the years at some of the success that you've had, do you remember more the races that got away or the victories?
Gosh, I don't really remember either one.
that forward-looking.
Yeah, very forward-looking. I do remember winning this race in '98. Not anything except after it was over with, it was starting to get dark, and the helicopter started to take off. And when I looked down and saw the racetrack, I saw it from a different perspective than being right here inside. I didn't know what I'd done when we'd won, but when I saw it, it was like, wow, we just won this inaugural race here. So that was pretty cool. But nah, I lost a lot of races too.
No, wait a minute. Come on. Don't tell me you forgot losing the Daytona 500 by 6 inches.
I did till then. I appreciate that.
Attaboy, Rusty.
Okay, I got a question I want to ask you, Mark. I mean, we've talked to you a lot about how you've helped a lot of people. I mean, you've helped me a lot. You've helped a lot of young guys, a lot of people. How is this relationship as far as helping Dale Earnhardt Jr. going? I mean, right now it looks like the car's still struggling. You got yourself, Jimmy Johnson, Jeff Gordon up top running real well, and Junior's still having problems. How's that going?
Well, first of all, I want to get this straight. Dale Jr. has very strong shoulders, and he's got a great head on those shoulders.
Okay.
And so, and he's driving his tail off. And what we've got to do, what Alan and I are doing, is shepherding Lance in that 88 car. And we've seen tremendous results. He had a little bit of trouble last weekend, but the car was on. He ran second at Daytona. We sat on the front row at Daytona. He qualified right up front here, fourth here. Yep. The car's fast. And Dale Earnhardt Jr. is going to have a great season this year. And, so I'm not really mentoring Dale Jr. That guy is solid as a rock. What we're trying to do is make sure that he gets his equipment, get his cars like he wants them, so that he can go to the front.
Mark, we look at your record and your history. You've won tons of races. You're always in the thick of it. I mean, why are you still doing this? What drives you to still do this? You could come sit here and do TV with us. You could be mentoring. Everybody would want you to mentor them. What drives you to want to get in that race car and still go out and battle with these guys wheel to wheel?
Now, you'd rather be in my seat than mine.
There's no doubt about it. There's no doubt about it.
Hey, man. Because I love it with all my heart.
Wow.
And because, I wouldn't be if I couldn't. If I was at the point in my career where I couldn't get out there and compete. But, driving the 01 car, sort of revitalized me. And then getting in the 8 car and having a shot to win a couple of races, man, I could taste it. I wanted that chance. So when I had a chance to drive the 5 car, I thought maybe I could taste victory one more time.
Wow.
And looks like there might be many more out there in front of me. So
there's no doubt about that.
I love it with all my heart.
Hey, everybody in the world's talking about these bumps in turn 1 and 2. What's going on down there?
It's been rough, and it really gave us more trouble last year than this year, because we learned last year for the race and improved our car quite a bit for the race. And then after the race, I said, I think we were too good over the bumps. We almost rode too good, and so we had to sacrifice some of the other corners for that. So it is a challenge, but it's awesome.
You like them, though.
I love it.
There you go.
I love it.
Little character, right?
Yeah, thank goodness they're there, because it gives you a chance to beat people, because you can ride them better than them or do something better, and so it's a great opportunity.
Yeah, I've heard a lot of guys complaining about the bumps and not liking to go over them, but all that aside, I mean, you're a racer's racer. We talked to you. You love the truck racing. What do you do when you're in Vegas besides racing? What do you do? This place is great. So much to do. What does Mark Martin do?
I just look around.
Is that right?
I just look, because I don't gamble, and I don't drink or anything like that. So, man, but what I like about coming to Vegas, I hate a schedule, because I live on a schedule every day. Yeah. So I come out here, and I can be sitting in the hotel room and say, let's go do something. And we just walk out and just go do something, and we don't have to do it on a schedule. So, what I love about this place is it's all about service. They're here to serve you. Yeah. And that's what I really like about coming to Vegas.
Yeah. All right, so your sponsor, GoDaddy, kind of known for some of their commercials.
Right.
We haven't seen Mark Martin in a particularly, how should I put it, edgy commercial yet.
Can you say naked? We're going to say naked on this.
Listen, we're still working on it. We're still working on that.
Okay.
But listen, the race fans have a chance. GoDaddy is going to give them a chance to create a commercial. And I'm going to be one of the judges. We're going to choose one of the fans' commercials, and those fans are going to get. That fan is going to get $100,000.
Oh, we can win that.
$100,000 now.
We'll win that.
We can both do one of those.
Yeah, we're in that.
All right.
Oh man, I could use that.
You start thinking that up.
Get out of debt from out here.
These two been acting up their whole lives. There's no reason they won't do it on a piece of videotape. Mark, thank you for the time. We really do appreciate it, and best of luck in the race tomorrow. And as you chase that Sprint Cup championship for the next 9 months or so.
All right, appreciate it, guys.
Thanks, man.
Mark Martin, driver of the GoDaddy.com Chevrolet, starting 8th in tomorrow's NASCAR Sprint Cup Series race. Coming up, a couple of young guys in the Nationwide Series. Ricky Stenhouse, driving for Roush Fenway Racing, and Michael Annette. We'll hear from them as we continue to wait the start of the race and the green flag in today's race. And we'll also hear from Justin Allgaier out of the Penske camp.
I got
That coming up when we come back to Las Vegas.
She belongs to me, don't belong to you. Yeah, she's mine, all mine, no matter what you do. Play one, play one.
Las Vegas Motor Speedway, where track drying is ongoing. A shower about 45 minutes before the scheduled start of today's race has dampened the speedway, but the rain has moved through. The track drying is ongoing, and when we do get the green flag, those 11 drivers will make their first ever Nationwide Series start at this track. Fourth down left-hand column is who we're going to focus on for the moment. Ricky Stenhouse Jr., the youngster out of Mississippi, who's coming off of kind of a tough week at California. One of those rookie lessons you got to learn is what do you got to do when somebody gets out of control in front of you.
Well, he had a tough way. He had nowhere to go. 21 car gets in front of him. He comes out in the smoke. He thinks he needs to turn left again, and boy, he gets into the wall. Jamie, what do you have for us?
Well, Ricky's sitting here. He's in a lot better spirits than last time we talked to him, which was at the medical center 1 week ago, Ricky. So first time again to this racetrack, as it's been every single week. It's your first time. What do you do to prepare for this track?
I've played a simulator, played the iRacing game here, and that helps get familiar characteristics of the racetrack. The stands. I mean, just anything. It gets you familiar with the track, but there's nothing like being on the track in the actual car. And I felt like we picked up the racetrack pretty quick in practice, and was able to work on the car about the second run. So I feel like we did pretty good.
And something else that's helping you in adapting to this series is Carl Edwards, one of your teammates. What is your relationship with him, and how influential has he been so far?
He's been a big help, especially since he's on the same team. But I first met him when I was racing Silver Crown cars for him, and we actually got his first win in the USAC. So that was cool to get that. And, he came from dirt as well as I did, and, stuff like that transfers over pretty well. And, I just talked to him while he was in his cup car about our nationwide stuff. So he helps out quite a bit, and glad to have him as a teammate.
Well, Ricky Stenhouse Jr. been in quick studies so far. He's the best qualified rookie in 7th. Vince?
Well, this guy was a rookie a year ago, and what a terrific season Michael Annett had. He and his team finished 10th in the points, and with crew chief Ryan Fugel, you guys have had a couple of good outings already this season. What's the step you're looking to take this year after such a solid rookie campaign?
I think pretty much for us, we want to go into these races and know that we're bringing a car that can, run in the top 10 the whole time. It seemed like last year we would qualify towards the back, and you spent the whole day trying to get to the top 10, and it just makes for a long day for everybody, and you usually have to do a couple pit stops fixing fenders and things like that. So if we can just run in the top 10 and be there at the end for, seems like we always have a green-white checkered finish, and with the double file restarts, if you're in, those first 3 or 4 rows, you got a chance to win the race, especially with the new rule about giving us 3 shots at it. You're definitely going to have a shot at getting the win.
Now, during our telecasts over the last year or so, it seems to be mentioned frequently that you're a former hockey player and rose up the ranks pretty successfully. Any of the guys in the Olympic hockey games that you guys had ever played against growing up?
Yeah, it's been really cool. When I was a junior in high school, I played a team out of Chicago. It was Team Illinois, and we ended up playing against Shattuck St. Mary's, which is the school that Sidney Crosby attended, and we played them probably 3 times through the year, and then ended up playing in the championship over in Maryland, and I think we lost 2-1, and he scored both goals. And then I actually didn't know about it till yesterday. I was watching the highlights from the USA game, and when I played for Waterloo Blackhawks in the USHL, my captain there was Joe Pavelski, and I didn't realize until watching the highlights that he had a couple assists yesterday in that 6-1 victory over Finland. So it's pretty cool to see that, even though I'm doing something else, you can go back and look back and see the guys you played with, and you see it's pretty amazing to see how far they've gotten.
Yeah, and amazing how well you've done as well, so I'm sure they've enjoyed seeing your progress in the auto racing ranks. Thanks a lot. Michael Annett, let's check in now with Dave Burns.
And Vince, speaking of progress in auto racing, Justin Allgaier, 2 top 10s this year to start out. How much more comfortable coming back to a place where you ran very well last year and have this much better of a start to the season?
Well, I think anytime you can come back to a racetrack like this and have so much fun like we did last year and be competitive, to come back a year later just means a lot. And the guys at Penske Racing have done a great job over the offseason. The Verizon Dodge was great all through practice. And I think, we didn't get the qualifying run we wanted, but I feel like we got a race car that'll run up front and be competitive all day.
you remember last year in the debrief and how you felt as a team and what it meant to be, what you finished 8th here, I think, and ran really well?
Yeah, we took the lead. We led our first laps last year here, and unfortunately I got a little impatient and hit the wall. So we got to not do that today. But, you know, this is a racetrack that seems to get people caught up quickly. And now with the rain and the track maybe being a little bit slippery, it's going to be one of those races you're going to want to finish. You know, like you said, we've already got 2 top 10s this year. We need to keep that streak going for the Verizon Dodge guys, and hopefully we can get another top 10 finish and carry those points into the next couple of weeks.
Justin Allgaier in the 12 car today. Another good race he's hoping for at Vegas. Alan?
Dave, thank you. Some of the young guys in the NASCAR Nationwide Series we always like to keep an eye on. And the beginnings of their season, we've had some guys put up some good numbers.
Yeah, I tell you, Stephen Wallace has had some good runs. Justin Allgaier as well as Busher. All of these guys. And we've got a couple other young guys, Ricky Stenhouse Jr. and Colin Brown, who are doing a good job as youngsters in this series.
So hard for a young guy to come in and jump in there and race against the Kyle Bushes and name for themselves.
Alan, to tell a young guy to come to Las Vegas, this particular racetrack, and say, hey, look, I know you've never been here, but you got to run wide open around this racetrack, and you really got to buckle down or hold on. He's like, oh, my gosh, if I don't do that, I might miss the race or look stupid or something. I don't want to do that. That is really hard for a guy to do that, you know. Hey, we were talking to Keselowski earlier.
You know,
I run wide open, you know. Wow.
But, you know, we really need this series, and the Cup Series needs this. I mean, we know it. Everybody talks about it being AA, AAA baseball. It's a standalone series talking about the Nationwide Series. But we need this proving ground so these young guys can develop their talent and get to rub shoulders with the big guys. And a pat on the back to Jack Roush for bringing Colin Brown and Ricky Stenhouse Jr. here, unsponsored, giving them an opportunity, as well as Rick Hendrick with Kelly Byers and James Finch. You know, he's got Busher here racing this weekend, unsponsored. A pat on the back of those guys during these tough economic times to give these guys an opportunity like this.
It is. It's the hardest thing for running a young driver is finding a company to write the check, because the checks aren't as cheap as they used to be. You remember the first time you walked out onto an NBA arena? First time you had that feeling like I'm out there against, oh my goodness.
Oh yeah. First time I walked out, it was against Moses Malone, one of the great centers of all time in the NBA, and he was playing for the Washington Bullets. And I walked out into the court, and I realized, I looked at him, I said, you know what? That's a grown man. This is going to be interesting. But and the first few minutes was really tough. I was really excited and nervous all together. And as the game went on, I figured out that I have the talent and the skill to be there, so I better start doing some work.
I'll tell you one thing I figured out. The very first time I ran the Daytona 500 against those guys, I learned one thing. I knew I was in the way. That's what I figured out. I was in the way, and I was nervous, and oh, man, I freaking out.
I had a line that just flashed through my mind about your luck at Daytona and all that kind of thing. I'm going to let that go.
Yeah, exactly right.
Track drying is ongoing here in Las Vegas. I'm letting it go.
I'm not saying nothing.
Yeah, you are.
I was in the way. I knew I was in the way.
As they continue to work on getting this big old racetrack dry, we're going to talk to a man who's from Vegas. He's a hometowner. Brendan Gaughan is coming in here in just a minute to our pit studio. And still to come, we will sit down and hear from Danica Patrick on the first few weeks of her NASCAR experience. The driver of Car 7 has had quite an impact on this Nationwide Series in its opening month.
Danica Patrick, number 16, leads the 89th running of the Indianapolis 500.
Boys, move over. Danica Patrick wins a Twin Ring Motegi.
The most popular IndyCar driver and known the world over, Danica Patrick.
I think we're already seeing the impact, you know, the publicity and everything that it's going to bring in the fan base. So hopefully bring a lot of different fans, you know, maybe a different demographic to watch NASCAR. I think she'll do really well in the sport. She will actually help it, you know, down the road, not just right now.
She'll surprise a lot of people. These cars are a challenge to drive, but I think she's going to be with a good team and good equipment. The learning curve for her will be a little bit shorter than it would for a lot of the drivers coming into the sport.
The drying Las Vegas Motor Speedway, where the NASCAR Nationwide Series is going to run 300 miles today. Our coverage presented by GoDaddy.com. You see the work on the track surface. A little shower about 45 minutes before the scheduled green flag time, but we're getting ready to go and look forward to turning these cars loose on this very quick track. Nothing beats home cooking or winning at your home racetrack. In this case, 2003. That is Brendan Gaughan, Las Vegas native, driving that machine first to the checkered flag in the NASCAR Camping World Truck Series. Big ovation from the hometown fans. Big celebration for Brendan, who has enjoyed a good measure of success at this speedway over the years in a variety of NASCAR series. The NASCAR West Series race took the checkered flag first 2001. That win in 2003 in the Truck Series from pole position, by the way. And last February finished 7th in the NASCAR Nationwide Series race. The driver of the South Point Hotel and Casino Toyota joins us now in our ESPN pit studio. Brendan, welcome. Appreciate it.
Thank you guys for having me. I appreciate it.
Nothing better than
Love
home
rain
cooking,
delays.
huh?
Love rain delays. Gets a lot of extra time with rain delays.
Yeah,
Matter of fact, not that I'm going to say that I wouldn't. The South Point Casino wouldn't mind everybody coming back and staying until Monday. A few extra dinners, a few extra, hotel rooms. Okay, sorry. Let it rain. Yes, yeah. Or let it get dry. Yes, sir.
Yeah, it'd be okay.
Rusty, it doesn't cost you any money though.
Hey, I'm staying out of it.
Thank you. Hometown, really. What did it mean to you win here in your hometown? What would it mean to you to win here in your hometown?
The year that we won in 2003 was the first year they ever had a crowd. They canceled the Craftsman truck race here for a couple years because it was so bad. The year before, 12,000 people. Didn't expect a lot. 70,000 people showed up that night. My brother didn't even make it to the track. He was on the highway parked because he couldn't get in. It was one of the greatest feelings of my life, but I'll tell you what, to win a nationwide race here, to do it, with the next level up, to do it with an old black and gold scheme that looks familiar of a guy that is sitting a couple over would make that look like it was just winning a high school basketball game. It would mean the world to me to do it here, and I believe we have a Camry that can.
Hey, Brendan, what's your week like in here? I mean, you're from here. I mean, you got the casino. You got a lot of people wanting stuff from you. I mean, tell us what happened this week.
It's been a little difficult. I left the shop early. We got done with Daytona, and I flew back with the team on Sunday and then said, guys, I got to get home before California because I had so many ticket requests for friends. And, my father, the South Point Casino, we have a couple suites upstairs. So had to get the guys in the suites, the guys that wanted to be in the pits, then calling all the race teams. I borrowed tickets from about 10 different race teams to get in their pit passes, pit lists. The Speedway, I do some appearances for them. They give me some tickets for doing appearances. It's been a hectic week, but I always try to get done with most of that stuff by Thursday or Wednesday, so that way I can just focus on the racing. Rusty was nice enough. We did a little autograph session at the South Point Casino last night. That was the last kind of, fan-related sort of deal, and then it's been all business, but it's difficult this week. As much as I love it, it's difficult.
Yeah, Brendan, a couple of years ago, when you came over to drive for Rusty's race team, I remember saying, man, that guy's really good in the trucks. You get up on the wheel.
Fun.
What's it going to take for you to get to victory lane? I'm still waiting for you. You've run up front some. You always seem to be amongst them, as Marcus Ambrose says. What's it going to take for you to get to victory lane?
The consistency needs to be there, and that's what we lacked a lot of last year. Is we'd have a couple great races and then miss a bunch of races. And what we did was what we did in the offseason. We got Dale Ferguson in charge of our engineering program, took all of our chassis, made them all the same. Okay. Then took them all to the TRD facility, and they measured them and did all these different pieces and engineering stuff. And that's the biggest thing, was getting that engineering. What you folks at home don't realize is how much money these cup teams spend on engineering and engineers themselves. And if you're not that cup team, it's tough to do it. Well, TRD, Toyota Racing, is giving us access to all that. And that's what I honestly believe is going to make us more consistent. You look at how well Steven's been. Yeah. You look at where the 62 team has run the first two races. Yeah. We didn't have finishes.
Right.
Had a guy land on top of me one race. Got a speeding penalty. We've had a few issues this season.
There is that, yeah.
But we've had good race cars, and that's the goal, is to get that consistency and then to get some more data. And once you know the data with that number coincides to your driver, then the crew chief can say, okay, we know that my driver likes this number. And we start there every week, and we're faster when we start, and we can make a better adjustments during practice, so we're faster for the race. It will be there this year.
Guy's a college basketball player. He's smart.
What has he said before about his college basketball career?
Yeah.
Well, I was listening off air to these guys say their first time, and I said, Brad, my college basketball days, I felt uncomfortable till the last day.
That's the first time I played against Moses. Yeah. He said he felt uncomfortable all the time.
Coach Thompson had me do my job, and I did it, but I felt a whole lot more comfortable, Rusty, being on the racetrack than I did on the basketball court.
You're going to be on the racetrack starting 26 today in a car you think can come toward the front, and we wish you well.
Thank you very much.
Go get him.
Brendan Gaughan, driver of the South Point Hotel and Casinos Toyota for Rusty Wallace Racing, getting ready to go in his hometown with everybody else as soon as this track dries.
1 hour, baby.
They're working on it, and we're hoping to see a green flag soon. We are expecting the full 300 miles this afternoon in the NASCAR Nationwide Series at Las Vegas Motor Speedway. Danica Patrick, next.
I really have always had so much respect for the NASCAR fans. They are tried and true, dedicated fans. And you know what? One thing I've actually really been excited to see is a Danica flag hanging from someone's trailer somewhere. I just want to see one. I think if I see that and, there's a few people cheering for me, that I will be okay.
We were talking college basketball a minute ago. Let's talk about tonight's college basketball Big East shootout between Scotty Reynolds and the Villanova Wildcats. Number 8 headed into the Carrier Dome to face the number 4 Syracuse Orange and Wesley Johnson. It's Saturday primetime presented by DirecTV as part of Judgment Week presented by Miller Lite on ESPN. Tonight at 9 Eastern, catch College Game Day before the game, driven by State Farm at 8 Eastern. For more, log on to ESPN.com.
Go Danica, you're my hero! Woo!
Well, there is no question that Danica Patrick's presence in these first few NASCAR Nationwide Series races has generated interest beyond what the series normally has. The TV ratings, the live attendance, all up. The souvenir sales, that trailer has been about the busiest one outside the racetrack for the past few weeks. Let us hear from the driver of the GoDaddy.com Chevy. Dr. Punch is with Danica.
Thank you, AB. I don't think Danica's gone anywhere the last 3 weeks without having a camera in her face. And Danica, you guys were very upfront when you made the announcement you were going to come to NASCAR about how steep the learning curve would be. What, now looking back for the last 3 weeks, what's been the most difficult part about learning to drive a stock car?
Yeah, it has been difficult, that's for sure. I think the hardest thing for me is that when the car isn't right, I don't necessarily know how to fix it. And, things are tricky. I mean, I was talking to Harvick on pit lane, and he was talking about, you got to drive it hard into the corner. So it's like, you got to get it to work by doing that, but you got to be trusting of the car to do that. So, it's just tricky. There's just a lot to learn. I'm learning, that's for sure, and every lap I finish, I'm doing better, and, I feel more comfortable, and I did a pretty good chunk of race distance in practice yesterday, so, I just gotta keep the expectation levels in check, and, I can't help but talk to you guys all the time and want to do well for my fans, and, sometimes it just can't happen.
We had Mark Martin in our pit studio a little bit ago, and Mark said, and I'm going to quote, what she is trying to do is beyond hard. But he said, I've been so impressed with the fact that she's done it the right way. She hasn't torn up a car in practice or in the race, and that she's trying to learn step by step. That's pretty high praise from one of the most respected names here in the garage.
Absolutely. Mark is an incredible driver, and especially nationwide. I mean, has anyone come close to, he's won so many races. I think I was watching the broadcast, like 48 wins. So I respect him a lot. I remember talking to him at Phoenix a good few years ago and asking him about this schedule. And this is while I was still overwhelmed with the amount of races there was in the series. And he's like, hey, you get used to it, but you do get a little tired. And so anyways, we talked about racing, and I appreciate those kinds of comments. And, it means a lot when guys like that say stuff like that and are positive, because it's hard to stay positive when you're not up front and when you're not doing what you want to do. And like I said, you just gotta keep expectations realistic.
Let's turn back the clock a moment to 3 weeks ago when you started your stock car career at Daytona in a pretty impressive fashion. You had the slide through the grass in the ARCA race. You came from the back, a little pushing and shoving there at the end to get a 6th-place finish. And then a week later in the Nationwide race, you dodged the big one time, and the second time you did everything right, but you still got caught up in it. Now that you look back, how would you describe your first Daytona experience?
Well, if we're calling it the ARCA race, then it was pretty darn fun. It was very cool coming from the back after, spinning through the grass and coming into the pits and a couple of times to fix the car and make sure nothing was rubbing on the tire. And it was so much fun. And I gave myself that little bit of drug where it was like, man, that's what it's like to run up front, and then you jump into Nationwide, it's even harder, and the car is a little more tricky to drive, and the drivers, there's just the field gets deeper every step you go. So Yeah, I want more of that, but it's obviously not going to happen overnight, is it?
No, it's going to take a while. It's taken everybody a while. Now, last week at California, your first time at a downforce racetrack, beginning of the race, you go to the back and you get faster and faster every lap until at the end of the race, you're running laps very consistently with the guys that are running in the top 10. When the race was over, your guys in the crew were very pleased with your performance. You got out of the car and you were not real happy. Why?
Well, I'm not used to going any laps down, let alone 3. I mean, one of them was for a pit speed penalty, but that's part of the game, and which the revs were off, so I'm gonna explain a little bit. But yeah, I got so between those and just how I started the race, I think if I would have been on it from the beginning and kept up with everyone and not got passed, I would have felt better about it. But I just kind of went straight back and then just ran there, and I kind of thought, I guess this is where I'm at right now, and I wasn't happy with the car from practice, and I didn't really know what I wanted, and so I just wanted something more. And I think that when you come out of the car like that, and with everybody watching and everything, I just I didn't have anything good to say. I mean, it's the heat of the moment. I just got out of the car, and so I don't want to talk to anybody. Sorry, I'm mad, and I don't want to say something wrong. And you live in an environment where people want to know right away, and sometimes that's just not realistic. All I can say is if you have a really bad day and somebody wants to, come and be excited or talk to you, you just want to go back to your house or your room, and that's how I felt.
Well, you finished the race at California, which is something that the team wanted you to do and learn a lot. You came here to Vegas this week, and I'm told that a simple adjustment in the steering wheel really helped your comfort level. Tell us about that.
Well, I felt really bad for DW because he was on trackside last night. He had talked about, I think you need to move the wheel lower and closer to you. And so I unfortunately had to tell him that I tried that, but I felt very, very uncomfortable. I was used to being able to see the wheel and feel like I was kind of underneath the car and in it. And as soon as we lowered that thing, actually we had to move it a little before I got in, because once I buckled up, it was hitting the belt buckle, which is, oh my God, that's so close. And I couldn't see it, and I felt like I was on top of the car, and I'm just not really comfortable there yet. So maybe it's closer and higher for me. Maybe that's my comfort zone. I don't know. But, I was not getting a good feel for it. If only it was that easy to find time, just be like, adjust the steering wheel.
Yeah, we talked
just keep adjusting my steering wheel.
Trying to make you comfortable in the car. Tony Eury Jr., your crew chief, told me that maybe unfairly they spent all the time yesterday on the track in race trim. Didn't give you a chance to go out in qualifying trim. So you went on the track cold this morning in qualifying trim, and that probably bit you a little bit in terms of trying to get the speed you wanted out of the car.
Well, I think that I know that the car was better than what I did with it. And that's part of the problem, is that, that's what makes me so upset, is if I was sliding around and, all over the place and I was where I was, well, you know what? I don't really know what I'm supposed to do to fix that. But the car did feel pretty good. And I, felt like I used a lot more throttle than I did yesterday. But, I think it would have really helped to have learned from the guys ahead of me if I was later in the qualifying order, so that I could have seen that people were flat, seen that my teammate Kelly Byers was flat out there. But I just didn't know, So, you know what? I mean, we have a lot more miles of racing than we do qualifying. The only thing I'm worried about is getting put in a position where there's an accident, or, you're closer to going a lap down, being in the back. But I have to remember that it just doesn't matter. It really it doesn't matter. I'm here to learn, and I'm here to just get experience. And whether I finish 5th, 15th, or 35th, I mean, if I can come away with something, it's, one more step in the right direction. That took everything in me to say that, by the way.
Good for you. I'm very proud of you. Now, you leave after this race, and you go away for 4 months. Come back the end of June at New Hampshire, and you get in the IndyCar trying to win the Indy 500. There are people in this sport who believe that being a part of the stock car team for a few weeks will actually help you in the IndyCar. How do you feel?
I hope that's right. I think, for me, I've driven the IndyCar twice this I don't know if you could call it spring or it's still winter or whatever, but this year. And we had some braking issues at the first one. The second one was, I felt like a Fontana car. It was really loose into the corner, and I just didn't feel good. So, I know how to drive an Indy car, and I have to remember that it's not because of this that I'm not feeling comfortable. It's because it's not right. And I really have to trust those instincts and get what I need in the car. So I hope it does work. I think there'll be some, we were just actually talking about it up in the front of the truck about, learning drafting in these cars and maybe being able to apply a little bit of that to an Indy car. I was laughing about the side drafting stuff and how unfortunate that was for Dario at Michigan a few years ago. That didn't end well when Dan Weldon came up on him to side draft him. But I'm sure that there are things to apply, and these cars really emphasize balance, and so I think that's something that I'd like to really work a little harder on in the Indy car. Yeah, I hope that's right. Yet to see yet, but I don't think there's anything bad about getting miles.
Okay, you finished fourth at Indy in the Indy 500 as a rookie, led the race, almost set on the pole, by the way, finished third this year. What's it going to take for Danica Patrick to win this year's Indianapolis 500?
I love that race. I love going to Indy. I love everything about it. I want to win that race so bad. So, we're going to need to have fast race cars. They're going to need to be. They're just going to need to be fast. To win Indy, you do have to be fast. I think that's what I found really the first year was that. While I didn't have the experience, I had a fast race car, and I saw how important that was to be in the front of the field because you can get such a draft down the straightaways there. So I think this year, like I said, fast cars. It's going to take diligence during the month. It's a tough track because it's like its own living thing, and I know you guys go there too, and it's just you go out there from one run to the next with the same car, and you might have a whole different feeling. So it's about staying calm, level-headed, and last year before the race in the final practice, I don't even know where we were, but it wasn't amazing. And what you had to remember was, okay, I was behind 5 cars. It's about the worst situation possible. It wasn't too bad balance. The race is going to be like this. We need to be smart. It was like that on Friday last week. It was pretty good. You just have to really stay calm because you can overreact there, but you really have to trust your general balance and feeling from the month to go into race day. And then you need a little luck.
Well, I think maybe TK and Marco and Dario may have something to say about it. But how about going up there? You win the race, you win the Indy 500, and then come back to us at New Hampshire in a stock car for 10 more races. How different will Danica Patrick be when you come back to stock car racing in June?
If that were to happen, I'm sure that there would be some amount of confidence and happiness as a result. But I'm not saying if, when it's a challenge here still, because there's so much to learn, I hope that it's not a matter of feeling worse, like, gosh, I just won the Indy 500 and I can't, hit a nail with a sledgehammer right now. So, I don't know. I don't think there could be too much bad about winning the Indy 500, though.
Hey, on behalf of all the fans that are gathered around us in the garage area and the millions watching at home that are Danica Patrick fans, hey, thanks for coming over and being so gracious with your time and being a part of NASCAR stock car racing in the Nationwide Series.
I am having a lot of fun, I must say. I've had a lot of humbling days, but the fans have been great. I have to remember that they're meeting me for the first time, and sometimes I'm not really happy, but the fans have been great. Teams have been great. The drivers have been great. It's been a great experience. I wish I was up front a little bit more, but it's been a good experience.
It'll take time, but hey, good luck today.
Thanks.
Well, Alan Bestwick, Danica Patrick spending some time with us here in the garage area.
Okay, Doc, thank you, and thanks to Danica as well. And Doc mentioned 4 months away from here after this one to go back to IndyCar racing, and we'll see Danica again at the end of June at New Hampshire, and then those remaining races for this season in and around the Eyes on IndyCar Series schedule. The thing that fascinated me partly by that interview was the reflection in the hauler door behind her and all the people gathered around for about it's kind of been fascinating to me to just watch the reaction for the past few months. The things people will tell you, other competitors off camera, about the amount of attention, and maybe them not feeling so happy about that.
Sure.
And just watching the things that happen and the people that are crowded around.
Yeah, and what's happened, as I've watched, and obviously the media hordes have just been everywhere, and there's a tremendous amount of interest. And I think the way that you put it in perspective is this. If you take an NFL football team, there's never going to be a female quarterback in the NFL. There's never going to be a female power forward in the NBA. There's never going to be a female pitcher that's going to pitch a no-hitter in a Major League Baseball game. So for her to come over and to race with these guys who are the best in the world at what they do and try to be competitive or try to compete is where I think the underlying interest is created in this whole situation. That's why there is the hordes of fans and TV and media people constantly buzzing around this thing. It's not that she's going to come over from IndyCar and start winning races all of a sudden. It's that she's competing against these guys who are tremendous at what they're doing.
Brad, I saw a complete different Danica Patrick right there, though. I did. I mean, she went to Daytona, had that great run, and then the ARCA race and finished 6th and said, hey, I can do this. Then had a wreck at Daytona. But she went from saying, hey, I'm going to run up front to going, wow, this is a lot tougher than I thought. And she even said, I can't believe I'm saying this way, but, hey, if I can just finish the race and run 25th or 15th or at the very best, I'm happy with that. And that's not at all what she thought going to Daytona. She wanted to run up top 10 right off the bat.
Well, we were laughing before when you were talking about when you went to Daytona and you felt lost. But think about coming to a completely new discipline and jumping in for the first time at a high level. And you'd been driving stock cars all your life.
Yeah, absolutely. I said a little while ago, I mean, it doesn't really resonate with the fan probably, but to get around this racetrack and have to hold the throttle wide open is something very, very hard to do. And to tell you, this young lady who's never been here, get in that stock car with no downforce and do that when everybody else is doing it, man, that's very, very tough, and it's going to continue on. Huge learning process.
Yeah, and I admire her discipline and her courage to come over and do this, or to attempt to do this. But when you're talking about the greatest race car drivers in the world, and a lot of people will look up and say Juan Pablo Montoya, well, look at what he's accomplished. But there's a big difference. When Montoya first got into stock cars, he was up to speed immediately. I'm talking maybe being a 10th off, to whereas Danica still has not been able to get up to speed with her competitors. And that is the difference. So she's got a long time to go before she is comfortable in these race cars, and who knows how long that could be.
That's a really good point, Brad, because think about Montoya, one of the best open-wheel drivers in the world. It's took Montoya 3 years. I know I'm sounding like a broken record,
but that's the truth.
When I keep talking about 3 years, but it's took him 3 years. It's going to take her at least that
That's
long.
To be competitive. He still hasn't won a race.
Yeah,
that's right.
Or an oval track race.
I have bad news and good news. Bad news, Carl Edwards was here in our studio, set to be our next guest, but he's had to leave. But that leads me to the good news, because drivers are being called to their cars.
Yes, all right. Let's get it on, boys.
And we're getting ready to fire them up and see 300 miles of NASCAR Nationwide Series racing here on the very fast and fickle Las Vegas Motor Speedway. I knew you'd like the good news.
I'm so excited. Let's go racing, boy.
Kyle Busch, hometowner, hoping to score a win. That's Denny Hamlin's car today. He'll be another favorite, one of the guys to beat when we go racing as they begin to uncover the machines and get set to go at it in Vegas. Have a little fun this afternoon. What they all came to do, what we're all here to watch, some racing in Las Vegas.
I got my mojo working, but it just don't work on you. I got my mojo working, but it just don't work on you.
NASCAR Nationwide Series racing from Las Vegas Motor Speedway. Coverage presented by GoDaddy.com. We are getting closer to a green flag today. Rain showers 45 minutes before the scheduled green flag have kept us waiting for a bit, but the drivers have been called to their cars. They are uncovering the machines. Now, I will tell you, a ways back, like over by the Nevada-California line, there's another little wave of showers on the radar, but for now, we are clear, we are drying, and we're hoping to get this thing fired up and underway very shortly. And again, the NASCAR rule, if you're not familiar, throw another little racing twist into it. Halfway, if the race is stopped for any reason, including weather, past the half the advertised distance, which today is 300 miles, then it could be called official. So that'll be something else for the crew chiefs to keep in mind.
Yeah.
Another factor, Brad and Rusty, for the crew chiefs to keep in mind today, this racetrack's now been washed free of all the rubber that was worked into it over practice and qualifying on Friday and Saturday morning. What's it going to mean?
We'll wait to see if NASCAR's going to throw a mandatory caution because of the rain on the racetrack. But we do have a green racetrack right now. Hey, just hearing they're not going to throw one.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's another kink right there. A lot of guys were complaining yesterday about already cording the tires, so to speak.
Yep.
So I think they're going to have to go through this first pit stop to get a little rubber on the racetrack and the grip level back up where it was yesterday or early this morning to get back racing. But I'm concerned about tires just a little bit.
Well, they should be. You remember last year we had some significant tire problems, and Goodyear's brought a newer left side tire. They've made a change to the left side tire here to give these guys a little bit more grip on that left side. So, I think they're going to have to kind of tiptoe around here for the first, 50 miles or so, just kind of get this thing sorted out, see what kind of grip level they got, hope they don't cord them babies, because we know the action happens down in turn 4, and it will happen in 1 and 2.
Well, race car drivers won't tiptoe around.
No, they throw that green, it's on.
Yeah, let's talk about a little bit of what we're seeing here on pit road now. The NASCAR Nationwide Series has rules where the cars are basically impounded after qualifying. Teams not allowed to work on them, but there are a few things they're allowed to do. So since they've uncovered the cars, you see some of the teams doing some things, particularly down by the tires.
Yep, they're going to adjust the air pressures. They'll lower the air pressures a whole lot. They'll change the wedge settings. You see the wrenches go into the jack bolt areas. They'll do that. They'll work with the rear track bar. They'll make several adjustments. They can even adjust the shock absorbers. So they do a lot of these things to get it ready for qualifying, but for racing, they undo all that, and they go racing then.
And they bring those big carts along, as you see, the big crash carts. They have generators on them. They'll plug those things in, as you see right there. That fires up the electrical systems in the car, gets the batteries up to full song, so they can hopefully not have any problems as they go throughout the race with any electrical stuff.
Also have a heating element in the oil tank on
Heat
the
up
car
the oil
that's
just a
plugged
little
into that
bit.
generator.
That's exactly right. Get that old hot rod lubed up with nice warm oil.
Don't want to fire up one of these finely tuned racing engines on cold oil. That's for sure. And while they continue to work on the track, you see drivers like Jason Leffler there getting ready to go. Obviously looking on the pit road. Once they get the cars fired up and moved from there, there'll be a little work to be done on the pit lane to get it dry before we go full green flag racing. And while the drivers move to the grid and to their cars, our pit reporters are right alongside. Jamie, who are you going to talk to?
James Busher, actually. He was just called to the car, sitting in there. He's been very patient. A lot on the line here. First time here in Las Vegas, James. Now that we've had some rain, the track's going to be a little green. What are you expecting?
The track's definitely going to be a lot different than it was in qualifying this morning and in practice yesterday. Probably be more similar to what it was at the start of practice. All the rubber that we put down in practice and all the cup cars put down is all washed off now. So I think our Phoenix Racing Chevrolet should be pretty good. Didn't qualify as good as I thought we should have. Got a little loose off turn 2 and scrubbed off a lot of speed. But I think we have a good race car and same car we raced last week, so should be pretty good for the race.
All right, James Busher, one of those fast rookies to watch for. He starts 16th. Alan?
All right, Jamie, thank you, and good luck to James today. R-Dub, you need to be dismissed from here because you got to go up top and help with the call of the race today.
All right, I'll run as fast as I can. I hope I don't trip.
We hope you don't either. Careful of that last step.
Thanks a lot.
Rusty going to go upstairs and join Marty Reed and Andy Petrie in just a minute for the call of today's race. So, after rain showers and slightly cool temperatures today, the drivers are gathering. We're getting ready to go. They'll be loading them in, firing them up, sending them out onto the racetrack shortly. And we're waiting on a green flag today at Las Vegas.
We can't let Rusty go. We're having too much fun down here, man. Come on.
Greg Biffle getting ready to go. See if he can be a factor in this race. Drivers almost set to climb aboard and buckle in. Las Vegas Motor Speedway and race number 3 of the NASCAR Nationwide Series season. Coverage presented by GoDaddy.com. After a rain delay, we are getting ready to buckle the drivers in and get started for today's 300-mile NASCAR Nationwide Series race. Story of the day, a tough, tricky racetrack that really caused a wild and crazy race a year ago. Congratulations to Carl Edwards, one of the favorites to win. New daddy this week.
Annie Edwards is a 8-pound bouncing baby girl. Congratulations to Carl and wife.
Carl starting on the inside of row number 2 behind Brad Keselowski and Kevin Harvick. We saw a tricky turn 4 last year. We've seen some young guys have great finishes. We saw guys get behind and come back to have good runs.
Yeah, keep an eye also today, Alan, on pit road. It is a curved pit road here, and with all the rubber being washed off, it could be tacky and a little bit slick as well on getting in and out of pit road.
Gonna load them up and fire them up next. About an hour and 35-minute rain delay at Las Vegas Motor Speedway, but we are getting ready to fire them up. Our coverage presented by GoDaddy.com. Want somebody to watch for today? How about Paul Menard?
Well, I think Paul Menard's got a good chance to get him a victory today. Starts up front. He's been strong in this Nationwide Series. Like to see him in victory lane.
Brian Vickers starting 10th today. Another one to keep an eye on. Let's go trackside for some words we've been waiting to hear.
Race fans, please welcome UNLV Rebel head football coach Bobby Hauck as he delivers the most famous words in motorsports.
Let's get this going. Drivers, start your engines.
All right, Steven, crank it up. You my left here? That's what I said. Radio. Hey, blowers. Got me, Jay. Spread up top.
That will be the last time that Danica Patrick will hear the command to fire up her GoDaddy Chevrolet, because after this race, she will take 4 months off to go try to win a little race called the Indy 500. Now, her career in stock car racing began 3 weeks ago at Daytona in impressive style. Through the grass, he saved the car in an ARCA race and drove from the back of the pack with a little pushing and shoving on the final lap to finish in 6th position. 1 week later in the NASCAR Nationwide Series, she dodged the big one early on, but couldn't get through the next big one. Even though she did everything right, it still caught her Chevy, and she spun and finished 35th. A week later, on a downforce racetrack in California, disappointing start. She went to the back of the pack, but she learned and got quicker lap after lap, although she was disappointed when the race was over with a 31st place finish. Today, she is poised, composed, but very focused, Alan Bestwick, although she is starting back in 37th position.
All right, Doc, how lucky will Sevens be in Vegas today? We came on the air talking about racing roulette. Whose number's going to come up and cash in the chips? The green flag is on the way.
That is so good.
Oh, yeah.
NASCAR Nationwide Series at Las Vegas, presented by GoDaddy.com, is brought to you by Nationwide Insurance, the official auto insurance partner of NASCAR, and Ink, the new business card from Chase. Make your mark with Ink.
A beautiful sight. Cars rolling on to the Las Vegas Motor Speedway. A little over an hour and a half late after a rain delay, but we are closing in on a green flag for today's NASCAR Nationwide Series race number 3. So time to head upstairs to 3 men who are always all in when it comes to racing. Marty Reed with Rusty Wallace and Andy Petrie. Marty, it's all yours.
All right, thanks, Alan. Thought we were going to have snake eyes, but it looks like we may get 7 or 11 coming up here. One note we should make out. Dale Jarrett was supposed to be here. He's got some family health issues on his wife's side, the family back in North Carolina. We wish them all well. You're subbing. Let's talk quickly about tires, because you guys disagree here on the effects of what the rain is going to do to this racetrack.
Well, I don't think we got enough rain on the racetrack to wash the rubber off. We got it wet. It's dried again. I think we were going to have some issues anyway with tire wear. That's still a factor here, but I don't think that we had enough rain to really change the racetrack and what we were going to see.
Andy, I agree with you, but yesterday in practice, the guys were telling me they were starting to cord right rear tires a little bit, so they got to be careful of that. Now, a race car driver knows if there's something wrong. If there's something wrong, need to get that baby down pit road right now and fix it.
All right, cars are already out on the pace laps, and let's talk to our in-race reporter, last week's winner, Kyle Busch. Rusty?
Kyle Busch, Rusty Wallace, ESPN. You got us?
10-4, Rusty, what's up?
Hey, buddy, this is kind of a two-part question for you. Last year, there were a lot of spins off of Turn 4. Any concerns with that corner, and what do you think is causing it?
I think last year it was more so just the tire. You know, everybody was kind of trying to figure out the tire to this racetrack. And it was a little bit hard this year. Goodyear brought a different tire here, and the speeds have picked up, and yet it's added a bunch to everybody. So I don't know that that's going to be a problem. It might be when we're racing, because as fast as we're going, whenever you get somebody up on your outside, you tend to get a little bit loose. So should be a good race today, though. I'm looking forward to it. The Z-Line Camry was really, really good yesterday in practice. So as long as we bide our time and play it out, I think we'll be all right.
All right, Kyle, we got an ESPN mailbag question. It comes from Paul in Las Vegas, Nevada. The question is, last week we saw great racing in California. Do you expect that to continue here today?
I certainly hope so, and I think it will. You know, this place has really widened out over the last couple of years since it's been repaved. And, you know, you got a bottom lane, which takes a little bit better car to run down on the bottom, but then you got a middle lane and a top lane. So there could be some real good racing here. We'll see how wide this place gets from the start here to the end.
All right, Cal, thanks a lot for talking to us. Now, Andy's going to talk to your crew chief, Jason Radcliffe.
Hey, Jason Radcliffe, Andy Petrie in the booth. You got us?
Yeah, I got you, Andy.
Hey, Jason, Goodyear brought a good tire here. It's a good combination of the track and the tire. It's a lot of speed we saw in qualifying with 10 cars breaking the track record. How is that going to affect your approach to the race today?
Well, like Kyle said, it seems like this tire, one of the biggest differences that we've seen in it is the balance shift from new tires to old tires. You don't seem to see as big a shift. Last year, the new tires, you'd be so loose on them just so you'd be good at the end of the run. So this tire seems to be more consistent throughout the run, which should be good. And it doesn't seem to fall off much. One thing we did notice yesterday was a little bit of left side tire wear, excessive tire wear, which I wasn't concerned about it once the Cup cars got on the track, put some rubber down. But now that we've had this rain, it could be an issue here at the start of the race. Maybe NASCAR will throw a competition caution here early and let us look at them. But I wouldn't expect to see any two-tire stops early.
Okay, Jason, thanks for talking to us, and good luck today.
Yep, thank you.
All right, let's take a look at the rest of our onboard cameras that we have here in the field of 43 as we get ready for race number 3 of the 2010 season. Danica Patrick at the GoDaddy.com Chevy. Justin Allgaier in the Verizon Dodge. Kyle Busch we've already talked to, and Kevin Harvick with the Rheem Chevy. Jason Leffler in the Nationwide Great Clips Toyota. Carl Edwards in the Copart Ford. Stephen Wallace, 5-Hour Energy Toyota. And Trevor Bayne in the Aaron's Dream Machine Toyota. Let's get the latest from pit road. Jamie, you're up.
We'll talk about some other stories in the field. Brian Scott was one of the most impressive runs last week at California. Not only did he run up front most of the race, he finished 10th. But that's not what's so impressive about this rookie. The team that he's racing here with, they were put together in January. So things are clicking a lot fast for him. You hear the track drivers behind us. Yeah, Brian told me that he really feels like they carried the momentum to this racetrack. And they are very confident in the qualified eight to watch for Brian Scott to be a factor today. Chris Welch?
Well, Jamie, normally when there's a crew chief change made on a team, there's a transition period between crew chief and driver, but that necessarily won't be the case with this team, the 60 team of Carl Edwards, as his crew chief, Drew Blickensderfer, is very familiar to him. Blickensderfer and Edwards worked together for 19 races in 2008. They won 7 times during that stretch. These two are very familiar with one another. They're good friends. There will be no communication gap, and they believe there will be no lag in results. They believe the 60 could be a winner today. Dave Burns.
Vince, Brad Keselowski on the pole today at over 185 miles an hour means that driver knows how to drive this racetrack flat-footed. He says he didn't lift during his qualifying run, and that's a testament to driver, but also to team and car. Remember, this is another team that was put together very late in the going here. Most of the team in the house assembled after January, including crew chief Paul Wolfe. They've done their homework, so has the driver. They've got their first pole. Could they get their first win this afternoon? Marty?
All right, thanks a lot, Dave. Let's listen in on the radio before we go green. There's the 7 of Danica Patrick.
Hey, Danica, it's Landon. You got me?
Happy.
Going forward from here. So you just take care of yourself out there. Remember what we talked about, and be confident because you're here for a reason. You deserve to be out there, and you'll be fine. So these guys will take care of you, and I'll be up here on the roof if you have any questions.
Thanks.
As we get ready to go green, it's Brad Keselowski, Kevin Harvick, Carl Edwards, Denny Hamlin, Kyle Busch. That's your top 5. Those 5 drivers have 105 Nationwide Series wins amongst them, but only one, Kevin Harvick, has a win here at Las Vegas, and we are green. Double file all the way down through turn 3. And look at Harvick shoot to the high side. Can he hold on to it? He's got it. And it looks like Kevin Harvick is going to be the race leader after lap number 1.
Marty, looks like Harvick had a lot of practice this morning. The Cup practice, got a lot of confidence in the racetrack right now. Taking it to the high side, not even worrying about it.
Denny Hamlin also having a lot of confidence in the racetrack because he's moving up on the outside.
3 wide there coming across the stripe. He moved into the 2nd position. Edwards 3rd, Kyle Busch 4th, Keselowski, our pole sitter, back to 5th.
We talked a lot about the exit of turn 4. A lot of the drivers I've talked to said they're going to be concerned about that just a little bit early in the race. These guys have got to get their air pressures up, get some heat in the tires to get that confidence level totally up where it needs to be.
Harvick, his win here back in 2004 in the Nationwide Series. He's opened up about a half a second lead, and there is the battle for second place. Right behind him as you've got the teammates from Joe Gibbs Racing side by side. Denny Hamlin on the low side.
It looks like Denny's going to give the spot here to Kyle Busch. And that outside group really does look good, even though it looks kind of gray. It's light, not a lot of rubber up there, but it looks like there's a lot of grip.
Well, Andy, like you said a little while ago, we didn't get hard rains here. We just got some light rain. The light rain will not wash the rubber off the racetrack. So they did have practice this morning here at the Cup Series, and the groove is still up there. And you see Kyle Busch, who started 5th, up to 2nd right now, and he's got the confidence, like you said.
Yeah, and here Kevin Harvick, last lap, the leader, ran under 30 seconds at 29.98. So definitely a lot of grip.
Yeah, we qualified on pole at 29.12. Back to 14th. There you see James Buescher and Justin Allgaier coming underneath the 1 and also the 21 of John West Townley. On board with Allgaier.
We talked a little while ago about the different lines. I mean, if you could run these cars on the top side, these Nationwide cars, like we said in Countdown, really like to be wound up. Mark Martin was telling us about it. Keep the momentum up. And I got to believe, Andy, if they can get that top side groove worked in pretty early, they can pick up a lot of speed up there.
Yeah, the only thing I worry about, you see how dark that groove is. When you get up high, you get out of that rubber, and that will wear the tires out even quicker. And I would worry about that, especially early with the tire wear we've seen so far this weekend.
Yeah, well said out of a crew chief. That's something I never thought about. Yeah, crash and turn 1 and 2.
Into the wall. Kelly Byers in the 88 from Junior Motorsports.
You okay?
You see the brake rotor coming apart there.
Had a great run last week when he was at California.
I know we broke something, the right front or flew up or something. Went straight in the wall.
Broke something, went straight to the wall. He was 11th at the time of the crash.
Well, you see some of these parts that are smoking. That's part of the brake rotor. That could have happened after the crash, and likely did happen after the crash. Looks like that right front tire is down, though. It could have run over something.
It started smoking before it got to the corner. It didn't just all come at once there. It stopped now. There's definitely a trail of water or something coming out of the back of it.
Now, one thing these guys got to be concerned about, lap 7, Andy, there's a broken rotor all over the track. They got fresh tires. I'd be worried about a puncture right now.
Yeah, at this point, when I see something like that, I'll tell my driver, leave a gap. Don't run right up on the bumper of the car in front of you so you can see if there's debris out there, because we're not planning on pitting, so we want to take care of these tires.
Okay, couple of things we have to get off to you. Mark Green in the 49 will be the Aaron's lucky dog. He gets back on the lead lap. Dennis Setzer, not a happy 50th birthday for Dennis. He is our first start and park. He's behind the wall. And that's what's left of Kelly Byers' machine. Remember, he started, I think it was 32nd last week at California. Came up for a 7th place finish. And then here's what happens, and bam.
Man. Yeah, that's definitely something happened to the car there. Said he felt like maybe something broke. Kind of looked like a tire going down, but it's hard to say right there.
Yeah, that didn't look like it was loose or nothing like that. Just went straight up.
Well, traditionally, we've had a caution before lap 15 in 9 of 13 prior races. Guess what? Make it 10 out of 14 as we are under our first caution. And it looks like no takers right now for pit road, but we'll keep an eye on that while we'll step aside just for a break with Kevin Harvick out in front, Kyle Busch second, Denny Hamlin third, Carl Edwards and Brad Keselowski rounding out your top 5. Back here at the Sam's Town 300. Get ready tonight for ESPN 2 Big East heavyweights. It's going to be Villanova, number 8, against Syracuse, the number 4 team in the country. Saturday primetime presented by DirecTV. It's all part of Judgment Week presented by Miller Lite on ESPN tonight at 9 Eastern. Before the game, catch College Game Day driven by State Farm at 8 p.m. Eastern. Under our first caution here at Las Vegas Motor Speedway. The sun's still out. Had an hour and 35-minute rain delay, but so far so good, except for Kelly Byers' situation. Let's get more from Dr. Jerry Punch.
Well, they take Kelly Byers to the care center, and meanwhile the crew back here in the garage are waiting for the car and driver. And Pops, what do you think happened? Tony Eury Sr. is Pops Eury, the crew chief. What do you think happened to the car?
We really don't know. Kelly said something broke for sure. He didn't know whether it was a motor or what happened. He said, all I know is I went in the corner and the car took off. He heard a noise, so he don't know what it was. So you're going so fast here and things happen so fast, he really didn't have a idea what happened.
I see the guys behind us working to get ready. If it was not the engine, you're going to try to get him back out?
Well, sure. We gotta run for points here. So if we can fix it, we'll fix it. If it's an engine deal, we'll be done for sure.
All right, Pop Scherer, they're going to try to get this car fixed if they can. Marty.
All right, thanks, Doc. Let's take another look at this. And you're thinking different now than before, aren't you?
Yeah, you look at this right here. It looks like he lost an engine getting in the corner. We saw a lot of parts flying out of this car, and we kind of speculated it might be brake rotor, but we were able to look at another replay. You see right here, a lot of these parts look like they could be engine parts, part of the engine block, possibly.
Very hot pieces. The brake rotors, they're hardly using the brakes here at all, and that is a very, very hot components coming out of that car. So could be a piece of the engine block that broke. Broken connector out, a massive blow up.
Did you see that one piece hit the front grille work on Michael Annette's number 15? Let's keep an eye on that. That could spell potential problems for that car. Now, let's talk about the best movers of the day. Brian Keselowski has picked up 10 spots. He's up to 32nd. And Danica Patrick, the second best mover on the track, she has picked up 9 positions, up to 28th.
And she looks a lot stronger in the beginning here.
Doc, you've got more on Danica's situation?
Well, Marty, as Danica told us in our sit-down in the garage area during the rain delay, she is much more relaxed this weekend than she was a week ago going to California Speedway. Although this morning in qualifying the car, she had never been in qualifying trim and didn't really push the car, said I didn't really know the edge. But now she is very comfortable. The car has plenty of grip, and I think she's just getting that confidence that she's been wanting to get here the last couple of weeks and starting to push the car a little more, which I think the guys on pit road are loving right now. A big mover here early on.
Guys, remember also in that interview, she talked about the position of the steering wheel. She likes to be able to see it through the visor. It still looks like it's a little closer than it was last week at California.
That's one of the things she's going to have to find where she really wants to be, where she is comfortable. This car is nothing like that Indy car where it's a lot smaller cockpit, a lot more confined. This is a lot more open. She's just probably searching, for that comfort level. And, really she started off this race a lot stronger than she did last week. I think she's got a lot more confidence in herself and the car. So maybe she's going to have a lot better race this week.
Well, we've just been told by NASCAR officials they're going to add one more lap to allow the cleanup process to continue down in turn number 1. So this race, far from over. We'll explain what some of the interesting twists are when we come back to Las Vegas. Back here at the NASCAR Nationwide Series at Las Vegas, presented by GoDaddy.com. We're in our first caution. We've completed 12 of the scheduled 200 laps after an hour and 35-minute rain delay. A couple of cars decided to come in and top off. Eflin in the 07, Stanton Barrett in the 31, Eric McClure in the 24. They'll get back out on track. And literally everybody except Mark Green of the 41 cars on the lead lap. Kevin Harvick is your race leader. It looks like he's going to select the high side as we get ready to go back to green flag racing. It'll be Kyle Busch second, Denny Hamlin third, Carl Edwards fourth, Brad Keselowski fifth, and that young rookie Brian Scott in sixth position.
He's been solid the last 2 weeks. I'll tell you what he did last week at California. Very impressive.
Pace car is pulling off. The sun is still shining here, and that is the best news we have had for these hardy fans that stuck it out. It is very brisk. Temperature hovering just around 49, 50 degrees as the green flag flies, and we're racing again in Las Vegas. Boy, Harvick's good on the restart, too.
Tell you what, I just started to say this is a good test to see if the bottom of the track or the top of the racetrack is better for restarts, because you got two of the best guys right there at restarts right now.
Yeah, but look at all the speedy drive you see they put down on the racetrack. I think that's really affecting where Harvick's running. They put that down up on the outside, but it looks like Harvick gets a good grip through 3 and 4 where the track is clean.
Kevin Harvick opens up about 2-3 car length lead now, and as they come across the stripe, it's Kyle Busch second, Edwards third, and Denny Hamlin fourth.
We talked to Kyle Busch earlier. Right after he qualified, he said that he thought he had a lot more in his car, and it's showing right now. Take a look, Carl Edwards, and outside of Denny Hamlin right there. Good run on the top side.
Yeah, look at all this speedy drive.
Boy, be thankful they're not having the old open face mask helmets. They'd be breathing all that stuff in and probably choking.
Well, Andy, they're going through that speedy drive, but it's an uncomfortable feel as a driver. I mean, when you hit that stuff and the smoke's coming up, you're like, man, this baby's, but it's not supposed to be.
It doesn't look like it's going to stick, but they are. They're handling it pretty well now, and the track's starting to clean up.
Best battle right there with Denny Hamlin struggling to hold on to fourth. He's got Vickers on the high side, and Vickers pulls about a car length ahead.
It looks like Denny's just a little bit unhappy with his car right now. That's not to be unexpected with the rain and not having time to tune a car yet.
I'm not trying to stir up the pot, believe me, but look who's right behind Denny Hamlin.
Yeah, these two definitely have a history. Brad Keselowski is 22, and Denny Hamlin have definitely had a little feud going between them.
You would hope that's over with by right now. You know it's on both their minds.
Caution, we got another crash. The 81 of Michael McDowell is into the wall.
I thought that was Mike. That's an 81. That is McDowell.
Well, that sucks.
Yeah, he had a big promotion where people who texted that code on the back
I don't know what
bumper.
fell out of it. Like, still running, but something happened right there. Something broke.
He was 27th at the time of the crash. What we were mentioning was the fact that Monte Carlo was going to give special sweet rates for anybody.
Yeah, look at this car. This car turns really kind of on the straightaway, just past that tri-oval area. Man, see Danica come right through there.
Yeah. Car comes back down the 20-degree banking. Here's another view.
Now, that was a real unusual place to spin at, right? In the tri-oval in the front straightaway. I don't know if he got down on the apron. Don't want to speculate. We'll take another look here.
I'm not sure if he didn't have a left rear tire go down.
On board with Danica.
Have you? He's on the bottom. He's on the bottom. Going to come back up. Nice job. Nice job. Caution's out. Caution's out here.
And we can tell you that the car that was going to get the lucky dog, Mark Green, and he has taken it behind the wall, as has the 10 car of Chad Blunt. So I guess
he gets a lucky dog and pulls in the garage.
Yeah. So Aaron's lucky dog goes for naught on this caution, our second, with 17 laps in the books. Boy, isn't that sunshine beautiful? Well, here they come, and it looks like the first two are going to stay out, Harvick and Busch, but Carl Edwards comes in, but nobody else.
Yeah, it looks like the next car is coming in. There's a 21 car, John West Townley.
A lot of times,
very few takers.
Yeah, if the car's not right, get it fixed right now. I mean, get it fixed early so you got enough time to get to the front.
Let's check in with Vince Welch because he's heading your way.
Yeah, Carl Edwards says that the balance of the car is actually good, but they're going to pull a tear off. They're going to fill it up with some fuel, and they just want to make sure that Carl has good vision out there. They're not going to put new tires on. Nothing wrong with the race car at this point, Doc.
Danica Patrick coming down pit road just in the 7 car, making a lot of progress. And the big thing here is just being very conservative early in the race. Crew wanted to make sure to keep fresh tires on the car and keep her comfortable. As she said before, very steep learning curve, but gaining confidence every single lap. If you listen to her on the radio, she sounds like a different driver than a week ago at California.
Well, she was 28th when she came in for the pit stop, back to 34th. John West Townley, Mike Wallace, Stanton Barrett, Tony Raines, they also pitted. Let's go back and listen in on Danica's radio from just a little while ago.
Oh my gosh, when a car spins, I feel like it's like a football. You just don't know where it's going to go.
She did a good job, though. That car spun, and she gave him plenty of room and actually got out of the groove a little bit there to go around him.
She's had to negotiate all the wrecks in Daytona, all the wrecks in California, and she probably thinks people are always spinning in front of her.
She's getting pretty good at it.
She's done a good job.
Well, we mentioned Michael Annett in that first caution, and a report from his crew is no damage to the car, so we can pass that word along as well. As everybody woed down here for our second caution. We also mentioned the fact that this does not take on the complexion of a normal race at Las Vegas. Here's the biggest one that jumps out at us. Most of the time, and I mean most of the time, the winner comes from the top 5 in qualifying. Do you know that only one of the last 7 Las Vegas races has been won by somebody in that top 5? Let's take the opportunity to talk to one of those guys that did start in the top 5, a guy who's winless here, but wants to change that, Kyle Busch.
Hey, Kyle Busch, Rusty up on ESPN. You got us?
10-4.
Kyle, what's the car feeling like right now? We had a little bit of rain. Has it affected the track much at all, if any?
I don't know that it's really affected the track. Our car seems to be a little bit tighter than it was yesterday. We were pretty good, so we got something a little different. The pace might have gotten a little faster today, but we'll make some changes to it on our first stop, get it better.
Kyle, is the top groove at a racetrack already kind of wore in from practice this morning in the Cup Series? Is it ready to go up top?
Yeah, that's pretty much where I've been so far this whole time, is kind of second lane up, 2.5 lanes up, something like that. So it's good.
All right, Cal, thanks for talking to us.
Joe Gibbs Racing has never won here at the Nationwide race at Las Vegas Motor Speedway, and here's the reason why for Kyle, as he has the second place run back in 07, but the rest of them not typical Kyle Busch races. Now, he has won here in Sprint Cup just last year, but not in the Nationwide Series, and he has said he wants to change it in front of his hometown fans.
Yeah, isn't that the way it goes? There's some place that you really want to win bad, that sometimes you maybe try too hard or make mistakes trying to win that race because you want it so bad.
I just wonder if he's thinking about that right now. He's probably thinking, hey, that was old times. This is a new year, and I just won California. I got a good car. I'm running second. I just wonder if that's in his head.
Well, let's check in on the radio from the 60 of Carl Edwards talking about green flag runs.
There's your track position there, Carl, but that's 15 laps on fuel, 18 altogether, and that's a quarter of the way through a fuel run, so I don't want to leave you out there too long, you know?
That's similar. That gives us a long time if it goes green. That's fine.
Carl?
Just be conscious if we do get a green flag run, if those leaders are only a quarter of a lap behind us or something like that, when they start peeling off, we don't want to be a lap down when we stop or anything like that,
And Carl right now back to 25th position, but with full tanks.
Yeah, but that worries me to go back that far. I'm sure he thought more people would come with him. Back there in 25th, we've seen these problems early. The next problem will likely be in front of him. So kind of in a vulnerable spot until he can get that track position back.
Well, and a big opportunity for Danica Patrick. She is going to line up right behind Carl in 27th. She might be able to go to school and learn some things and help work her way towards the front. Let's get ready to go back to green flag racing. It's Harvick, Kyle Busch, Brian Vickers, Denny Hamlin, and Brad Keselowski. And again, Harvick takes the high side, and he was like a rocket ship the last time on the restart. This time, though, Kyle's right there.
Looks like Kyle anticipated that start just a little more than he did last time.
2 by 2 through 1 and 2. Over the bump of the tunnel.
And Harvick's car really looks good.
Boy, and it does like that high line.
You just feel like you got so much more power when you get a car hooked up on the top of the racetrack. But I will tell you guys, I was impressed about how equal they were still coming off of turn 2, though. That was
well, they're not equal coming off 4 here, though.
Yeah, he's got that momentum now.
Well, we've yet to have a long run with these 2 early cautions. And there you see Brad Keselowski. As he has dropped back, he is now running in 8th position. And we even saw a little wiggle coming out of 4.
Tight racing here with Rusty's 2 cars now running side by side.
Yeah, I'm not liking watching that either.
Close your eyes then. We'll let you know. That is Brendan Gaughan in the 62 right in front of Steve Wallace.
I had some shots of Brendan's air dam there, and he's got big chunks knocked out of it. And I think he drove over that debris from Kelly Byers, debris coming out of the front of his car.
Definitely got a few gaps in that front valence.
We can give you an update. Michael McDowell has been released from the infield care center. He is A-OK. Unfortunately, the car is not. Justin Allgaier there in the 12 car. He is running in 10th right now. Remember, this was the race last year where he really broke out, led for the first time in his young Nationwide career. Here's another one. James Buescher trying to make his way as he's had 2 good runs so far this season in that number 1 James Finch car. That's for 14th.
See, Ricky Stenhouse having a great run right there in Roush's car, the number 6 car. Qualified real well. Running about the middle of the racetrack right here, keeping that Ford wound up.
There's an update for all fans of Danica Patrick. She's currently running in 26th position. But the battle right now up front, not really much of a battle because Kevin Harvick's now opened up a half a second lead over second place Kyle Busch. Denny Hamlin has his mirrors full of Brian Vickers. A little bit further back, you saw Brad Keselowski and his teammate Justin Allgaier coming through. And sneaking into this picture and not making a lot of waves, keep an eye on Greg Biffle in the 27. He is just ahead of these two cars, and now 3 as Paul Menard comes into the mix. Here goes Team Penske side by side. This is for position. The battle for 7th.
Marty, I really didn't expect this. I mean, Allgaier's good, no doubt about that, but Keselowski was so bad fast in qualifying, Andy. You would think that he'd be the one setting the pace, but evidently the handling's off on Keselowski's car right now.
Well, it was obviously right for qualifying, and it's not right for the race, so they're going to have to make some adjustments on their first pit stop.
Let's get an update on Team Penske, Dave.
Yeah, how about a whole Team Penske update right there? Brad Keselowski from the start of the race has had a tight race car and doesn't feel that perhaps the get-go of his car, maybe the gearing is as good as some of the other guys. So that's the reason for him falling back. Justin Allgaier's first report on the 12th car, awesome. Now, a few laps after that, he reported it was a little bit tight in 1 and 2, a little bit loose in 3 and 4. But you even heard him in countdown. He's very confident at this racetrack. Right now, the 12th car is very good.
All right, thanks for the update, Dave, as Allgaier has opened up a wider margin over his teammate in the 22.
Guys, it takes a really good handling car to run wide open around this racetrack like Brad Keselowski did in qualifying. And Andy said he's got a tight car. And you have to have a tight car. Really hooked up to run that fast. Maybe that's the problem now.
You saw Kevin Harvick now with a 1.1 second lead flash by. Let's check in on the 60. Carl Edwards is moving up. It's going around Colin Brown for 18th position. And let's get an update from Vince.
Well, as you guys saw on that pit stop, they didn't take tires, and you heard the radio from Drew Blickensder for the crew chief of the 60. They feel like the long green flag run and these tires, the extra fuel is going to make a difference. And for Carl Edwards, it's been a special week. He and his wife Kate had their child on Wednesday, got a new crew chief on Monday. A lot of new changes in Carl's life, but he's very happy right now with the way things are going on track. And I tell you what, this Carl Edwards, Drew Blickensder for combination has had success before. They're looking to carry it over here today.
And for you folks that were looking at that 16 car and saying, wait a minute, it's all white. It's never been all white, but that car is lacking sponsorship for 15 races, and the 6 car needs 17 more races of sponsorship. That, too, is all white. Let's check into 11th and 12th place as you got Michael Annett side by side with the 62 of Brendan Gaughan, and here comes the 19-year-old James Buescher right behind Gaughan.
Yeah, James Buescher, that one car, he's up on that wheel. I've seen him actually get sideways a couple of times, but he's going forward.
I just started saying, Andy, I'm really impressed with James Buescher. I mean, at Daytona, he ran great. He ran great last week in California. The guy drives like a veteran, and he's very, very new at this game, but he looks good out there.
Brendan Gaughan, our biggest mover since the start of the race. He has now picked up 15 positions as he has worked his way into the 11th spot.
And Brendan will tell you, I'm from Las Vegas. I'm supposed to run like this.
Danica Patrick side by side with Mike Bliss.
This battle's been going on for a couple of laps now. Danica pulled up inside of Mike Bliss. Couldn't quite get him clear. Looks like she's going to get him clear this time.
That's for 27th.
Mike Bliss, we know he's good. And Danica just passed him. I mean, Bliss was one of the strongest drivers at the end of the 2009 season. And
yeah, it's got to give her some confidence to be racing with somebody like Mike.
Finished 5th in the points championship chase. Mike Bliss did last year. And Danica pulling away from Mike. Let's go back to this battle because this is really good. This is for 11th, Michael Annett. He's on the low side. And, of course, Brendan, if you've been with us before, he loves that high line. And no one, I guarantee you, no one has more laps at the Las Vegas Motor Speedway than the kid driving the 62 because Brendan Gaughan grew up in this area.
But this particular situation right here, guys, side by side, coming off of turn 4 like they were a lap ago, Andy, that is the spot I don't think you want to be in, especially if they're lower car. A lot of guys spin on the bottom, and we know turn 4 is really treacherous.
Yeah, it's definitely a vulnerable spot to be in.
Well, while all this action continues, we can tell you that Kevin Harvick right now has got himself dialed in. He is leading Kyle Busch by 1.8 seconds. But if you know the history of this race, it is never over until the flag falls at the end.
The Sam's Town 300 for the NASCAR Nationwide Series underway at Las Vegas Motor Speedway. Kevin Harvick out in front, the only leader the race has had. Danica Patrick running 27th now. There have been a couple of cautions after an hour-and-a-half rain delay, but Kyle Busch not able to challenge Kevin Harvick, and Kevin continues to pace this event. He's out in front by 1.7 seconds over the second-place runner. Let's get you up to speed and some updates on some of the front runners in their early runs. Vince has the leader, Kevin Harvick.
Well, and it should be no surprise that Kevin Harvick is the leader. He's had some really strong runs here in the past, including last year when he led 41 laps before getting collected in an accident. And they started here this weekend with that same setup from a year ago, picked up right where they left off. He says it's a little snug over the bumps in 1 and 2, but otherwise the balance on this race car is very good.
And behind him, Kyle Busch told me right before the race, it is his destiny to win the race here. Why? Because he grew up here, and he has yet to win in the Nationwide Series. He's saying his car is just a bit snug all the way around. He's a little concerned about the gearing in second gear. He said he's worried it's going to hurt him throughout the race on restarts. He says it's just too long. This team looking to come in, lap 54, Dave.
After starting 10th, Brian Vickers has moved his way into third, a challenge back from Denny Hamlin. Vickers complaining early that his car is a bit tight. The main thing, and the booth was discussing this, outside line versus inside line. Vickers really liked the outside. In fact, he said, if you think the caution's coming out, tell me. I'll try to back off if I'm racing somebody for that odd position so I can restart on the outside. Doc?
Denny Hamlin being shown back in the 4th position, and Hamlin making his very first start in the NASCAR Nationwide car this year. It's also the first time Hamlin has ever worked with fellow Virginian crew chief Kevin Kidd. They wondered how they would communicate. Both are very quiet individuals. Thus far, no need for communication because the 20 car running really, really well, a little tight in the middle of the corner off. Behind him, the 27 car being shown in 5th position, and oh my, what a job Greg Biffle has done for Baker Curb Racing. A little team that began the year with 5 cars and just 6 employees, had a runner-up finish last week in California, and today Biffle on a mission again to win just like he did here 1 year ago. Dave.
Justin Allgaier started in the 12th position. He's halved that now in the 6th spot. Allgaier complaining about his awesome race car, that it's gone a little bit to the tight side, refusing to turn for him just a little bit right now. They'll try to fix that on his first round of pit stops. Jamie?
And Brian Scott behind him started 8th. Again, momentum on this team's side. He had a great run last week, finished 10th. The rookie getting it done here, his first race here in Las Vegas. He says he's a bit snug. He's really been relying, too, on his teammate Brian Vickers, who's running a few cars ahead of him, watching his line, learning from him all week, and it's paying off, Dave.
Pole sitter Brad Keselowski's fallen back to the 8th position. He's been trying to diagnose a strange sound and a strange feeling in his race car. At first he thought it might be the motor missing, so he switched ignition boxes, but that was not the issue. Then he said it felt like there's a parachute on this car. Something's holding it back. Maybe the gearing, but right now it's just not right. The 66 car of Stephen Wallace has had a solid run so far. His complaint about the race car has been that turning in the middle of the corner, just a little bit tight, but Stephen and teammate Brendan Gaughan having a good run today here at Las Vegas. Vince?
Well, in the 15 of Michael Annett started 23rd. He's up to 10th. That gives you an indication that he's got a good race car, and he has confirmed it. Annett says this car is great as he continues to move up and likes to run that low side. So far, so good for Michael Annett, the second-year driver. Doc?
And updating Danica Patrick, there's the 7 car of Danica Patrick. She came on pit road on lap 20. The reason they brought her in for a fuel-only stop was that Tony Eury Jr. said the car was really balanced. It felt good to her, so why change anything? Plus, they were inside their window where they could make it on 2 more stops for fuel to the checkered flag. Thus far, doing pretty well here, guys. Alan?
All right, Doc, thanks. Coming up on a round of what would be green flag pit stops for the leaders, which could swing things back Carl Edwards' way. Kevin Harvick out in front now. His advantage over second-place Kyle Busch shrinking some in the traffic as they run under the green, coming up on a quarter distance.
Well, Kevin Harvick, our race leader, putting Danica Patrick a lap down. She is in 25th, so that means 24 cars still on the lead lap. Don't forget, you can log on to NASCAR.com for all your latest NASCAR information. So Danica not going to be happy because that was one of her goals, to stay on the lead lap. But she has run some competitive laps. Her last lap was at 31.6 seconds. Give you an idea, the race leaders right just tick under 31 seconds.
Well, Danica's doing a lot better this race than she did in California. There's no doubt about that. And Kevin Harvick is having an exceptional day. He's got a bad, fast race car. Danica's not as bad as it looks. She is a lap down, but she looks a lot better this race.
Well, I'll give you an idea. Harvick has a 1.5-second lead over Kyle Busch. And there you see Jason Leffler as he is in. Jamie, it's yours.
And Jason Leffler brings it in. Loves this racetrack. Always has good races here, but hasn't had the best of finishes. DNF the last 2 years. 4 Goodyear tires there. Fill it up with Sunoco fuel. He's down and away. Solid stop for Jason Leffler. Brian Scott, the guy we've been talking about, the rookie who's been so impressive. One of these Braun cars. He's a Braun car all year long. He's a full-time driver. They're going to make an adjustment. He's been saying he was snug all the way around the racetrack. So 4 tires fill it up, and they're going to free him up a bit. And Kyle Busch expected to come here in the next couple of laps, Marty.
All right, thanks, Jamie. As Kevin Harvick on the left side of your screen, while Brian Scott comes back out onto the racetrack. His lead 1.4 seconds, as now that is Mike Wallace getting lapped. Wallace shown in 22nd position, and so that leaves 21 cars now on the lead lap.
I'll tell you, this is falling right into Carl Edwards' hands. He's got about 20 more laps of fuel in his car to the rest of the field. And the field's going to have to start hitting pit road anytime now, the leaders. And Edwards has still got enough fuel to stay out there.
Edwards running in 10th. And here comes Brian Vickers in for his stop, Dave.
Sliding to a stop is Vickers' car. Been a little bit tight. Wrench in to fix that. That'll be a track bar adjustment. Air pressure as well for Vickers. Braun Racing Crew trying to get him back off pit road in a timely fashion. 4 tires going on, and off he goes. Jamie.
And Ricky Stenhouse Jr., of course, being a rookie, they like to keep him conservative, so he too is tight. Unsponsored race car for Ricky Stenhouse Jr. 4 tires, they tell him to go hard. 15.1 seconds, and it's a good stop.
All right, thanks, Jamie. One of the things we're looking at, we're working lap number 58. Obviously, those cars pitting right now, and here comes your race leader. This will get them past halfway, and there is more rain potentially coming. Here comes Denny Hamlin. Doc, I think you're going to be up first.
Absolutely. First stop of the day for Hamlin. They hit the car a little bit tight from the center to the corner out, so they're going to put 4 tires, fill it up with fuel, go up on the track bar was the plan, and take some air pressure out of the left side. Vince.
The 33 of Kevin Harvick. He's been the leader the whole way today. He's been happy with the car, but they're going to make a 0.2 of a pound air pressure adjustment out of that right front. Otherwise, a strong day and a good pit stop for the Harvick crew.
15.4 is a good stop. Back out on the track, and Hamlin right behind him. The 40 car, Mike Bliss, has been caught speeding on pit road. Here comes Kyle Busch. Jamie?
And Kyle stayed out and led a lap. Of course, we've been saying he's snug all the way around. Air pressure adjustment and a half round up on the track bar to get his car handling better. He's liking that top line. It's going to be 4 tires and fill it up once again. Sunoco fuel, Dave.
Justin Allgaier doesn't want to do too much to his race car. There's going to be a wedge adjustment and a little bit of air pressure for Justin pitting this time. Remember, the car was awesome at the start of the race, and now it's just tight in 1 and 2, a little free in 3 and 4. That's what they're trying to fix for Justin Allgaier. Doc?
Race leader Greg Biffle on for his stop. He said the car is just a touch tight in the middle of the corner. Air pressure adjustment, left front and right rear, 4 tires and fuel.
Well, you saw the time on the Justin Allgaier stop, just bad.
Definitely a disaster on the right side. They had to put some lug nuts on over there and cost them a ton of time.
Well, it's gone from bad to worse for Mike Bliss. He's now going to get a stop and go because he was too fast on his pass-through penalty. Jamie, the 99's in.
And Trevor Bayne making his first stop of the day. He too is tight. That seems to be the call today because it is very cold here today. Uncharacteristic of Las Vegas this time of year. It's a good stop for young Trevor Bayne.
Excellent stop at 14 seconds. That's Paul Menard at the bottom of the screen coming out as well. There's the 22 of Brad Keselowski as he did lead a lap. Jamie?
And they've been trying to diagnose what they can do for Brad. It looks like it's going to be a track bar adjustment for him. Paul Wolf asking him question after question, having to adjust for things like wind off turn 2 and harshness in the car, in addition to tracking that funny sound and feeling he's been having. They'll get that track bar adjustment. Little trouble getting off of pit road for Keselowski.
And trouble for Paul Menard. We've just been told by NASCAR officials he's going to get a penalty. Too fast entering pit road. He was 13th before the pit cycle for Paul Menard, but this is going to hurt him. And there is Carl Edwards. Guess what? He is your race leader. And just what you were talking about, he has 18 laps to the good, as there is Kevin Harvick right behind him.
And Kevin Harvick saying, I got to get around him to get back on the lead lap. And everybody else is not wanting a caution to come out because Carl Edwards could put everybody a lap down. And that would not be good for the field.
Well, Harvick would get the beneficiary of the lucky dog, but I think he'd rather get in front of him right now. Here comes Denny Hamlin also. But let's go back to what we were talking about. The guys that have pitted now, they can go past halfway. If we get more weather, they're in good position. Carl is going to have to stop.
Yeah, Carl's got to stop before the halfway mark, but it looks like we're going to be able to get enough laps where it's going to cycle through for him. And right now, he's got a little bit of an advantage. But they're talking now that maybe he's going to come on down pit road early.
And you see that drop down for Danica Patrick. She is running in 7th. Remember, she came in at the same time Carl came in. So that's why she has cycled through up to the 7th position and back on the lead lap. Carl looks like he is woeing it down.
That's speed, 39.50.
He doesn't want to lose too much time to the other cars on fresh tires. And he took that gamble of maybe catching the caution when they pitted, but didn't come out. So now he's going to get his tires on so he can kind of keep up with them. Vince?
Yeah, you guys briefly heard a bit of a radio from Drew Blickenster for warning Carl, do not speed. Several have already been caught in speeding violations on pit road. Watch your speed. They're going to make 4 tire change and air pressure adjustment as well. It's a little arrow tight in the center and loose off, but otherwise Carl Edwards has been pretty happy with his race car. So far the crew has been solid on this stop. A little hang up on the left rear, but otherwise out cleanly for Carl Edwards.
The 09 reason you're seeing that car of Scott Riggs, he is your current race leader. He's still out there. Lagasse right behind him in 2nd spot. There goes Carl back out onto the racetrack. And Riggs now pulls into pit roads, and so does Scott Lagasse Jr. So John West Townley will take over the race lead in the 21.
Yeah, and these are some cars that are going to take advantage of that extra 18 laps that they have on that fuel, and they're going to stay out there and see if they can't catch a caution. Carl elected just to come in and get tires and stay on par with the other cars that are running up front.
Joe Nemechek in the 87. Right behind him there is in 2nd. Mike Wallace is 3rd. Danica Patrick 4th. And then now Danica moves up to 3rd as she has gotten around Mike Wallace right there at the top of the screen.
And this is a good move for these cars, especially Danica. She's on the lead lap now, and this is a good gamble. Stay out here and try to catch a caution and take advantage of making that pit stop early, and maybe it'll come around for her.
Well, this is a big confidence builder for her also. I mean, hey, Danica, you're running 3rd right now. You're looking good. I mean, she's got to be coming out of her skin right now with excitement about how well she's running at this point.
That is Kenny Wallace in the 28. As he's got that federated sponsorship for 8 races this year, and he gets passed on both sides as he gets loose. Mike Wallace right on the back bumper of Danica Patrick. James Buescher in the 1 car, and here comes Trevor Bayne in a freight train as they try and tighten up. That is all for position on the racetrack between Patrick and Mike Wallace.
And the top 4 cars have not pitted yet. So they're still on the racetrack. Probably have to come down pit road another 8-10 laps or so, get their fuel and tires.
Yeah, it's been about 50 laps since they got fuel, so they got to be running low on fuel. Won't be too many more laps.
Trevor Bayne is 1 lap down right now. Remember, he did make his pit stop. He is shown in 21st position as we go on board with Trevor.
Trevor Bayne, a young guy, is doing a great job in this car. Qualifies real well and really got his head on his shoulders right about what he expects out of this car and what he wants to do in racing. Every time we've talked to him, very impressive.
Boy, James Buescher gets underneath Danica Patrick, clears and makes the pass. That is for position. Or pardon me, it's not. Buescher 1 lap down because he also came in on that last round of pit stops. We're still waiting for the race leaders currently out there to make their 2nd stops. Danica gets a little loose. You can see Bayne takes advantage of it.
Still hangs on the 3rd spot. These cars are a lap down.
They're on fresher tires, full tank of fuel. But she's getting some great experience right now.
Now this is for position. Mike Wallace just passed her for 3rd.
So move Mike to third. Danica is now fourth. Kyle Busch, about another 2 seconds back, is in fourth position.
Oh, now look, that 99 gets way out of shape underneath James Busher.
And
Busher doing a great job of holding on to it so far.
I think he's got a tire.
He may.
He is slowing down the backstretch.
And he looks like
way out of the groove.
Looks like a left rear tire on Buscher's car.
Well, I think he may have just got all the trash.
Yeah, there
he may have it. Yeah, he's definitely got a flat.
Now the question is, does the caution come out? It would be a huge
You got a
break.
left rear flat. James, get it to the bottom. You got a left rear flat.
He was the first car one lap down in 20th position as he is trying to make his way.
Oh, here he goes.
Hang on. This is where he's got to hold on, because when that left rear tire flies out, generally you spin.
He's still got a long ways to go. That's coming off turn 2. He's got to go all the way around the track to get to the pits. See, tire now may not stay together.
Well, the top
could be a big break for these cars right here now if that caution comes out.
That's right. Mike Wallace currently running in second. Danica Patrick third.
Copy.
The 38 of Leffler is a lap down, as is Brendan Gaughan.
Brendan Gaughan gets in the wall.
Yep, he tagged it there.
Just pushed a little too far right there. Brendan did try to squeeze it up in there. There wasn't enough room. Got a left front fender damage on that car.
That's Kyle Busch in the 18. Now, he is the first of the cars that had made that last round of pit stops, and he will inherit the race lead. Here comes Danica making her second
Back
stop.
it on down. Keep it up top there.
And the one car did make it to pit road.
Come on down, straight to the cone. Straight to the cone. There you go.
So we stay green.
Now, this is where she's got to watch her pit road speed. She had a problem with this in California. Let's see if she gets this right. Doc?
Perfect entry for Danica Patrick. Remember, this is the first time she will get fresh Goodyear tires, but she ran 73 laps on the tires she started the race with and did a great job. And Rusty, you were exactly right. A huge confidence booster for her to be able to run among the top 5. 4 tires, no adjustment. They get a problem with the left front lug as they get it on, and she is away.
And that cost about 3 more seconds.
Yeah, that was a costly little mistake right there, but she's back out on the track.
John West Townley, still your race leader, 3.9 seconds ahead of Kyle Busch. But remember, he is due for a pit stop at any time. It's only the second race Townley's ever led. He led 1 lap at Daytona back in February.
Well, Marty, he's running about 0.4 of a second off of what Kevin Harvick's running right now.
Yeah, here he comes. Looks like he actually damaged that left front fender and skirt area coming off the racetrack.
It knocked it up when he hit the bottom of the track, looks like, Andy.
45 miles an hour pit road speed. We've had several people busted already. And John West Townley makes it in, gives the race lead to Kyle Busch.
Yeah, through that whole cycle, Kevin Harvick lost positions to Kyle Busch and Denny Hamlin.
Yeah, Harvick right now will set it for you. Now that the pit stop cycle has taken place, it is Kyle Busch, then Mike Wallace, who still has to make a stop, Denny Hamlin, Kevin Harvick, Brian Vickers, and Greg Biffle. That's your top 6. Kyle coming up on the 16 of Colin Brown as we're getting ready to step aside now that all the pit stops have taken place. We're going to take a break for a commercial as we'll go with James Davis, the Jackman, on Michael Annette's car, give you an idea just what life is like going over the wall.
Coming on in. Let's go, boys. Vegas, baby. Vegas. Let's go up. Up and down. Grab time. Set it. Around the car we go. Nice. Up and down. Start. Narrow. Make sure it's full fuel and on we go. Woo!
Las Vegas native Kyle Busch leading at Las Vegas Motor Speedway. Our coverage today presented by GoDaddy.com. 16 laps from the halfway point of this race. And that could be important because... Oh, trouble.
Uh-oh. Ooh. That's Danica Patrick and Michael McDowell. Oh, man, she's torn up pretty bad.
We're driving on the ramp you can here.
And that's a second wreck today for Michael. We saw him spin on the straightaway there and get into the wall, and now it looks like he's had another issue and collected Danica Patrick.
So caution out for the third time in this race. And some pretty heavy damage to the 7 car as swept up in a crash involving Michael McDowell and Danica Patrick with a machine that is really beaten up.
It has been up pretty bad. I know Michael McDowell really wanting to run well for is sponsored Monte Carlo here in town, and they had a big to-do over there, and I know he was really wanting to do a good job for him, but that's a bent-up race car. I don't think he's going to get that one back out today.
And again, McDowell involved in a crash back at lap number 16 in Turn 1 when his car went around pretty much by himself, returned to the race, but now after being down some 65 laps to the leaders has been involved in another crash again, and this one involving Danica Patrick as well. Have a look.
What happens here? They go off down the corner. It looks like Michael's losing a little bit of speed. She runs in there pretty snug on him. She said he turned down, but it looked to me like she ran in there and there just wasn't enough room. I think she slid up just a little bit and got into the left rear of Michael. And they went for a ride.
No turn signals on these cars.
No,
Judging
baby.
intentions can be a little tough without hand signal out the window.
May have just misjudged a little bit of distance there. Closing distance.
On board.
Trying to go by him, and yeah, he does turn down just a little bit, but they're going into the corner, so he has to make the arc. And you see the rubbered up part right there on the bottom of the racetrack. That's where he was going, and it looks like she was trying to beat him to the punch. And they just collided, AB. Too bad.
So Patrick headed to the pit lane and to the garage with a heavily damaged car. And this sets up an interesting situation. We're 15 laps from halfway, which is where I was going. And by the way, there are rain showers on the radar. So champion crew chief Andy Petrie, what do? You call your guy in here?
Yeah, I'm looking at this radar, Alan, and this is where it gets dicey.
Yeah. What are you going to do?
You know, you want to try to, if you think it's really imminent, you might want to stay out here, but you almost got to plan on another fuel run here. You see Jason Radcliffe trying to make that decision.
Well, they last pitted on lap 59. We're working lap 56. So, yes, they are coming. And we'll get the cycle through here. And, Doc, we're going to send it your way first.
Amazing. This could be the money stop here on lap 85, given the threatening weather. And Denny Hamlin, top of your screen, you see Kyle Busch and Kevin Harvick in. Hamlin's car just a bit tight, still a tick tight, but critical to get him on and off pit road in a hurry in front of the other two. Jamie.
And Kyle Busch said he wants another round up on the track bar. He needs to free himself up. Also wants a windshield tear off because of the sprinkles. Let's go to Vince.
The 33 of Kevin Harvick making the track bar adjustment and also putting air pressure back in the right front. They're having a problem with the pit stop, and Kevin was very upset with the performance of the crew on the previous stop. So another slow stop for the 33.
There's the Nationwide Insurance race off pit road, and you can see, look at Harvick, drops 5 more spots because of a second bad pit stop. And he is not going to be a happy camper. Spent a lot of money bringing in new people, trying to improve that one key area. And you can see there's probably smoke coming out from underneath that helmet right now.
Marty, I am definitely on Kevin Harvick's side here. I mean, that's absolutely unacceptable.
You can see he's on the radio now. That is very frustrating to have a car as good as they've had and to make those kind of mistakes on the pit road.
Okay, guys, I want to get you updated on some other people that are now off the track besides Danica. Kenny Wallace is behind the wall. So is Brian Keselowski. Kevin LePage is out. Danny O'Quinn is out. We needed to update you on those, but we've had so much action going on with the cycling through of pit stops. Earlier, Michael McDowell, he was 67 laps down, and he crashed again. Then Blunt, Green, Byers, Setzer, the first 4 out of the race. So that gives you an idea now you're caught up. And look at the fans. No matter what happens, they want to see what's happening to Danica Patrick and the 7 car. It looks like we won't see her again now behind the wheel for another 4 months until we go IndyCar racing.
Welcome back to Las Vegas Motor Speedway. NASCAR Nationwide Series action presented by GoDaddy.com. Under caution here, an incident on the racetrack involving a couple of drivers, including Danica Patrick. And Danica, from your vantage point, what happened out there?
A car ahead of me was just going really slow, and I caught him down the front straight, and he was just going slow, so I went to go underneath him as he drifted up to the wall, and then he turned down in, and I guess I probably should have seen all the tape on the left rear bumper and said I probably shouldn't be on the left rear bumper. But sure enough, he turned down and took us both out. So what are you going to do? You know, it's a real bummer because I was really hooked up out there after we got new tires back on it. And, you know, we were probably one of the quicker cars on the track because we had just stickered up, and I felt good. And, you know, Kevin Harvick was great, actually, leading the race. He's telling me to go up high with him, so, you know, that was cool, and I was able to run up high and feel that line out because, you know, because he was giving me the finger out the window. So, you know, that's really cool to see that because the guy's leading the race and he's taking time to help me out. So, and the top line was good. So, and I kept trying to remember what he said before the race, being driving into the corner. So, I learned for sure. We had a good car. We really did. And I said that when, you know, earlier, we have a better car than where we qualified. And unfortunately, we just got caught in a bad situation with a driver that wasn't looking and probably a spotter that wasn't calling.
From a confidence standpoint, what does it do for you knowing that when they waved the green flag, you made a move and started passing people right away and moving up in the field?
Well, it's a departure from Fontana where I pretty much just let out of it, and because I didn't feel comfortable, and I didn't feel like throwing it into the wall because I'm not a crasher. It felt good, you know, making passes from the beginning. The only little hiccup really was on that first restart, I think, when there was the line stopped up and I wasn't sure what the rules were about passing before the start-finish line, but I could have passed to the right, so I could have saved myself some spots there. But all in all, I mean, I was having fun out there, so it's just a shame that we got taken out.
We can't wait to get you back in June to have some more fun. Good luck to you in IndyCar.
Thank you.
Marty?
All right, Doc, and we want to make sure you understand the finger that she was referring to being pointed was, come on up here on the high side, and the way that came out, and the gesture wasn't quite seen by, there it is, right there. Thanks, guys, in the tape room.
He's trying to motion her, say, hey, look, let's move up to the outside here. Follow me. You know, go up here on this outer lane. You can pick up some speed. I think he's really trying to help her here.
I was hoping that's what he was doing. Yeah, it really looks like it is because he did it for so long. You're right, Andy. He kept pointing to the right-hand side. Get up here. Let's go.
Well, unfortunately for Kevin, though, his pit crew on the last two stops have really put him into a hole. He is now in 9th position, and it's just been a real challenge for them. And we mentioned the fact that they already have made changes before the season started. Let's go back and show you what happened on this last pit stop and watch this left front.
You see the crew come around here. Now, this is kind of getting old for Kevin. He's really kind of getting wearing thin on him, these pit stops. You see that the left front, they dropped lug nuts, and now the responsibility falls right here. That tire carrier should be helping this tire changer pick up these lug nuts. He's kind of left his wingman hanging, and this costs him a ton of time. See, if that tire carrier reaches down and puts those lug nuts on, they save a lot of time.
Every week, we have a bad pit stop. Tired of it. Like a bunch of idiots on pit road is what you look like.
Well, one problem you got right now is it's not only the pit stops costing him time, this is really bad for morale. Have bad pit stops, it's hurting Kevin's confidence and the confidence of the crew. So this kind of can compound itself.
Doesn't it feed on itself also because now they feel the pressure. They know they've let him down twice, so now they're trying even harder. And the harder sometimes you try, the worse it gets.
Yeah, you see right here, they were equal with Carl Edwards, who had a 13-second stop. They were equal till they got around to the left side. That's where disaster struck.
So a lot of hard work out on the racetrack by Kevin Harvick has put him back in 9th place because of what's happening on pit road. And it's not going to be a fun team meeting.
Marty, you can't blame Kevin at this. So, I mean, if you've ever been to Kevin's operation, I've been there a couple times. It's a fantastic place. He puts his heart and soul into it. It's his own team. And he's got a rocket ship of a race car and a pit stop, something that he can't put his hands on to fix it.
Well, we will now have a total of 33 cars still out on the racetrack. Danica Patrick, of course, now out of this race with the damage. We gave you the list of the others. Let's reset it for you. It will be Kyle Busch, Carl Edwards, Denny Hamlin, Brian Vickers, Greg Biffle, Brad Keselowski. That is your top 6 as they are coming through turns 3 and 4, getting ready for this restart. Just 9 laps from halfway. We had a total of 9 cars on the wave around. Try and get you Brendan Gaughan, Stenhouse, Howard, Nemechek, Townley, Buscher, Robert Richardson, Eflin, and Josh Wise. So got all that updated for you as we go back to green flag racing here at Las Vegas.
And we see them 4 wide back here. I'm not sure who jumped out of line. Looked like a couple of them before the start-finish line. Looks like they're going to black flag the 43 of Scott Lagasse for passing to the right before the start-finish line.
And look at the battle for the race lead up front. Kyle Busch on the high side. Carl Edwards down low.
Got that big momentum on the top side of the racetrack we talk about all the time. And remember, these Nationwide cars don't have near the power that the Cup guys do, and they like that top side, man. Keep them wound up.
Talk about liking the top side. Brian Vickers really works the top of the racetrack as good as anybody. Here he is now in second spot. He's looking right at the back bumper of Kyle Busch.
And remember, this race last year, Vickers and Edwards both got a lap down late in the race. Let's move a little further back because here comes Kevin Harvick trying to get underneath the 11 of Scott. That is for position for 10th. Paul Menard right behind him. Trevor Bayne in the 99 right in front. That is 9th position. Justin Allgaier, that is also a spot for 8th. Stephen Wallace in front of that group in the 66 alongside of the 22 of Brad Keselowski. And again, Stephen looking for his 5th straight top 10 dating back to last year, Dave.
And Marty, it's amazing when race cars do what they were supposed to do. When he radioed in to crew chief Scott McDougall, he said, you know what, it was a little bit loose at the start, but it really came to me. That's exactly the way these cars work these days. A little free to begin with, hard to handle, but then they come to you as Brian Vickers goes for that spot on Carl Edwards. Steve Wallace's car did exactly what he wanted to. No changes on that stop for the 66.
And you saw Edwards go down below the white line. That is not out of bounds here at Las Vegas Motor Speedway. I want to make that clear.
Yeah, but it looked like it hurt his momentum. It looked like he had a little run on Brian Vickers, and when he got down there on that apron, it looked like it actually slowed him up a little bit.
Right now he's got side by side with Denny Hamlin, and there comes Biffle, last year's winner. Remember, he was sick as a dog, thought about climbing out of the car. He too got a lap down late in the race, came back from 30th to end up winning it. That's what we always said about this track. It seems like it is a bizarre race almost every time we've come here.
You know, Marty, setting up for the end of the race, it was good watching these restarts. You're watching Steve Wallace and Justin Allgaier there. Tight race there.
That is side by side for 7th position.
I was about to say, it really taught these guys where they need to restart when it comes down to the money lap, the last stop.
Well, we are just about 3.5 laps away from, in fact, now 3 laps away from the halfway point, and this race being official. I can tell you that off to the west, it is looking pretty gloomy. But this race will be official before that rain ever gets here.
And this is where it'll get tricky. If that rain does get here before the scheduled end of the race, that's when it's going to get tricky on when is it actually going to get stopped. But
well, Carl Edwards right now trying to close down on Denny Hamlin. Let's get an update. Vince?
Well, they're definitely keeping an eye on the weather. In fact, crew chief Drew Blickensderfer has a friend stationed well outside the racetrack. And, you know, a lot of teams have sophisticated weather radar systems. They're doing it the old-fashioned way with a phone. The friend will text Blickensderfer when it starts raining where he's located, and then Drew will know how close the rain actually is. And I can tell you guys, I'm feeling a couple of sprinkles right now as Edwards tries to make his way toward the front. Dave.
Vince, similar discussion in pole sitter Brad Keselowski's camp. Here's a radio from crew chief Paul Wolf.
All right, there's only going to be 8 laps till halfway here, so still need to be smart here, but if you think you can take something, I get what you can.
Get what you can. And about that being smart, Brad Keselowski then said one of the oldest cliches in the racing book. It is, to finish first, you have to first finish. So Brad keeping his steps light there, but trying to do what he can before this rain possibly hits.
Well, he and Biffle got a good battle going on right here.
Biffle on the high side in the 27. Baker Curb, Ford, and the 2 Dodges underneath him. And here comes Kevin Harvick trying to get into this mix as well.
Remember, the beginning of the race, Brad Keselowski sat on the pole but faded quite a bit. And it looks like they've got this thing turned around now and going the right direction.
Well, you said it when we were down in qualifying. We were getting ready to talk to him. You said, I don't care where this guy qualifies, he will be there at the end of the race.
I'm telling you, when that pay window starts to open up, Brad Keselowski starts moving to the front.
Andy, I think I heard Brad Keselowski earlier say, hey, we had an engine missing. Maybe it's down at 7 cylinders. They switched to the B box on the ignition system. And I was watching his lap times. It looks like that car really picked back up. So I think he's probably all healed up and looking good now. You know, talk about the rain. It's pretty wild out here in Vegas. I'm looking off at turn 1. It's raining over in Las Vegas and at the end of the Dulles Airport, but not here at the track.
Boy, look at Kyle Busch. As we check the time, it is now a 3.2 second lead as we are now past halfway. This race is official. And it doesn't matter what happens with the rain. It's just a matter now of will we get the rest of the laps in. And boy, Kyle Busch, out of this race early last year. In fact, it was his only true DNF. There's technically a second one, but that was the race that Denny Hamlin took over for him and then later crashed. So it was credited to him since he started the car back at California last October. But this one was on him, and he freely admitted it. But right now, he's sailing away at 3.5 seconds as we go on board with Jason Leffler. Leffler in 13th, looking ahead at Brian Scott for the position.
Let me tell you one thing that's amazing. You listen to that throttle on Leffler's car. Andy, I was listening to him go through the corner, just barely part throttle, hardly on the brake at all.
Caution is out for rain. You can see the drops on our lens. And Kyle Busch is sitting in pretty good position right now.
All right, Marty, I should have kept my mouth shut. Said it wasn't raining here, but it's raining all around us.
Maybe you were talking to your imaginary friend sitting beside you or something.
I don't think that's going to get any response from him on that one. And the lucky dog's going to go to Paul Menard. That will put 19 cars back on the lead lap. As Paul, remember, he had a penalty on pit road earlier. That's what set him back. But for Kyle Busch, now it's going to be a matter of, does the rain stop and do we go back to green flag racing?
Well, that's a big question. I mean, it's really, the weather's one of the hardest things to predict, and whether this thing is going to get the complete track wet and stop the race here, or are we going to get it back going again?
I mean, you take a look at it to the south of us, there's nothing there, and it's kind of light, and we've been seeing this a lot throughout the day. I don't think this is going to be a hard rain, but you know what? I'm not. I can't control.
So, are you going to make the call here? what would you do? I'd stay out. I mean, they are staying out here, and you can see the guys up front can't afford to come in until they know that the track's going to be raceable.
I know NASCAR, though, Andy. They want to give these guys, race fans, a race.
Oh, they're going to do everything they can.
I guess that's one good thing. We can disagree with each other, and if I was those guys, I'd come down pit road. I would get it done, get it out. Don't get myself stuck.
We're in Vegas. That's a gamble.
Gamble for it, man. Let's go for it. Of course, I don't know if I'm right or not. That's a disclaimer right there. Okay?
Some of these cars took the wave around now, so they needed to come to pit road.
Ricky Stenhouse
for them.
And there's Brendan Gaughan as he is in. He peeled off in 15th position.
Car's loose, putting that track bar down. See that?
Yeah, they're not giving up a lot here. They were already back there in those spots, so they can come in and get tires, and they'll be sitting in the catbird seat if it does go back green here after a delay.
Well, it's going to give us an opportunity to step aside for just a break. And there you'll see the top 5. And we'll reset things for you when we come back here to Las Vegas.
I got my mojo working, but it just don't work on you.
Here's what's happened so far in our 5-hour energy rapid recap. Trouble early for Kelly Byers.
Yeah, it looked like Kelly had something happen in the right front suspension parts of the car. Not quite sure. Hit the wall hard, lap 6, brought out the first caution.
Kevin Harvick dominated this race early, then has had 2 bad pit stops that has left him a little bit back in the pack.
Well, they've struggled on pit road all year long for Kevin Harvick. He was gone, hear me? Gone before those pit stops. Now he's mired back in about 7th, 8th place. Still has time, though, if we go green, to get back amongst them.
Danica Patrick started the race in 37th spot, moved up nicely early.
A little racy today. I was impressed with Danica Patrick. Did a good job of mixing it up. Outrun Mike Bliss there a couple of times. You see her go in the corner here with Michael McDowell. Michael turns left. She turns up. Both of them at fault. Both of them tore up. Both of them on the truck.
Kyle Busch has been out in front of this race for the most part since lap number 58. He picked up the lead during an exchange of green flag pit stops, an exchange of green flag pit stops, and held off Carl Edwards on a restart.
Yeah.
He's been gone.
Never won this race. I think he thought he was going to get lucky a little while ago with the rain, but it looks like the rain might subside. They get to go green again, so he's going to have to earn it, which we know he can do.
Now, none of the front runners pitted under this caution, seeing the radar and seeing that there's still rain in the area. You got a couple guys a little bit farther back, some of the guys that took the wave around on the last yellow that now have fresher tires back in the pack. So we'll see what kind of mixing it up we get here. What do they call that over in the casino? Just let it ride?
Let it ride, baby. Let it ride.
All right. Marty, Rusty, and Andy, we're going to let it ride.
Well, we got to get Brad amped up a little bit. I don't think he's excited enough about this race.
We're racing, baby. Come on.
Great stuff, guys. Get ready to go back to green flag racing with Kyle Busch, your leader. Then it's Brian Vickers, Denny Hamlin, Carl Edwards, Brad Keselowski, and Justin Allgaier. That is your top 6. And boy, Justin Allgaier, after his run here last year, Could he put himself into a position to give Dodge its first win? Right now, somebody's got to figure out Kyle Busch, because here he goes again. Vickers on the inside. Vickers got a great jump and coming out of 2 on the backstretch. Here comes Kyle.
Yeah, but look at that momentum kicking in again down that back straightaway. It makes that Toyota look like it's got another 100 horsepower.
Carl Edwards trying to follow him as well. And right behind Carl is the 12 of Allgaier.
All these guys have to be getting antsy. They know that weather's coming. They need to get every spot they can get right now.
Everybody in the top 11 all last pitted at lap 86. So that means they've got about 23 laps on these tires. So it's pretty much an equal battle as we go on board with Carl.
You know, Andy, I can tell you, these drivers definitely get a little more cranked up right now, knowing there's a weather around there. They got 91 laps to go. They're not driving the car right now like they did at the beginning of the race. They're driving these cars with a lot of urgency right now.
Yeah, you know how they race on a green-white checker? Well, they don't know when that checker's coming out, so they're racing as hard as they can right now.
Tough break for the fans of Michael Annett. He is behind the wall heading for the garage area. It sounds like it's transmission from what we are hearing on the radio. So Annett is likely out of this race.
And that's too bad, because he had a great run going on. The last 2 or 3 weeks, he's been looking really good out there.
He was 14th before taking it back to the garage area.
See Harvick now trying to make up some of those spots they lost in the pits.
Harvick in 8th position right now. And you see right in front of him, got Brad Keselowski, Biffle, Hamlin, a slew of cars that he's trying to work his way up to. Going to go on the low side to see if he can get under the 22 of Keselowski.
This car is working so good today. It's just so frustrating for him having all these problems on pit road.
You're talking about pit road, the 27 car, Greg Biffle. They're using Jack Roush's pit crew on this particular team. I was talking to the guys earlier, and Andy, a couple guys from the team, the catch can man and a gas man they're using, but the rest of them are Roush guys.
Now, how about Allgaier right here now? He's having a great run on the right side of your screen, passing Carl Edwards.
And on the left side, you've got Kevin Harvick duking it out with Biffle as he gets around him. That is for 6th position. And here comes Brad Keselowski also to take over a spot. But Biffle says maybe not quite this soon. Boy, Allgaier looking good right now, up into 3rd position. Remember, he led this race last year. These two still going side by side. Great race.
They've been locked together, it seems like, since the last time they pitted.
And it looks like he's going to finally clear him. So move Keselowski into 7th, move Biffle back to 8th. And while this action continues, let's check in with Dr. Jerry Punch. He's caught up with Michael McDowell.
Yeah, back in the garage, Marty, and Michael's been over to apologize to Danica Patrick's team. Michael, what happened?
Well, we had a flat early on in the race, and the car got tore up pretty good, and we were just trying to get some points and get back out there. And I guess she was coming out on new tires, and the closing rate was so much. I tried to give her the outside. I sort of committed to it, and she dove to the bottom, and I closed the door. It's completely 100% my fault, and I hate it for everyone at Junior Motorsports and everyone on the GoDaddy car. And you know, it's like I said, I take 100% responsibility. It's just the closing rate was so much that there wasn't a whole lot of time to make a decision.
As they say, guys, that's racing.
Well, and a nice job of Michael just saying, hey, it's my fault, and let's move on.
Hey, Marty, he said one thing about points. You know, going out there for points, you got to be in the top 30 after race 5 is over to be locked in. And I'll tell you, we're at race 3 right now. They can't afford to make a mistake.
Check out Allgaier now. He's going for 2nd with Brian Vickers. He's got his car hooked up.
They are toe-to-toe, as you also saw Harvick get around Denny Hamlin, moving him up to 5th. Let's get an update on the 12. Dave Burns.
Justin Allgaier told me this weekend, Marty, that the hardest part for him has been entering turn 1 because he likes to drive it in very, very far into the corner, and that's one of the bumpiest portions of the track. They make significant suspension adjustments to the car that allowed him to drive through there, and as he takes 2nd place, they've overcome the issues, and Justin's on his way.
Well, he finished 8th here last year. It was his first of 14 top 10 finishes in the 2009 season, on his way to Rookie of the Year honors. And as we look in right now, you still see a great battle between two guys that have a lot of history. Denny Hamlin in the 20 and the 22 of Brad Keselowski.
You see Keselowski now trying to make a move. Denny Hamlin's car has not been as good this run.
Well, they're going too fast right here, Andy, to rough each other up.
Got more contact into the wall. It is the 6 of Ricky Stenhouse Jr. And this is the last thing he's needed because Stenhouse
bring it to
had
us.
some
We're going to
problems
put right side tires on it and get him going.
earlier this season in our other 2 races.
Okay, crew chief, you going to pit now?
Yeah, it's still a weather prediction. It's going to be a tough call for some of these crew chiefs.
See if we can see what happened. He was running 15th at the time, just slides it up.
Got too high.
Oh.
We're about halfway through a run, so these leaders have to think about making a pit stop.
He was 36th at Daytona, 39th last week at California. They're looking for sponsorship, and like I said, this was the last thing that team needed.
Yeah, I think I'd have to pit this car right now, these leaders. I mean, I'd hate to get stuck out there with, this thing running green flag, and these guys have to pit under green, and I'm sure they're thinking that. This rain, to me, looks like it's staying away.
They're all looking up the sky. They're trying to make a decision. There's Harvick's crew chief.
You think he's telling the pit crew to get it right or what?
It's been 32 laps since they all last pitted. So the question is, do you dare push it thinking that the rain is going to come, or do you take the tires and the fuel and then you don't worry about it?
I think you go ahead and take your tires and fuel right now because it looks like we're going to go green at least for a while.
Taking right sides only here.
Yeah, there we go. Right sides only. That's probably not a bad call. That's Jason Radcliffe talking to Kyle Busch.
But that's not what he was talking to us about doing when we were with him in qualifying
it's a little
today.
different situation. You see the leaders coming now.
Right sides only in fuel.
Well, we're going to find out who does what. Jamie, the whole herd is heading your way.
They sure are, led by our race leader, Kyle Busch. I'll tell you, it has gotten very windy down here and even colder. He said he just needs a little more help in the center. Going to go up just a tick more on the track bar. Right side tires only. This could be the money stop. Vince?
They've been talking a lot about the weather in the 60 pit, and they also are talking about their race car, which is just a hair tied across the center. 2 tires stop. Dave.
Justin Allgaier gives up second. Wedge, free in, tight off. Wedge for Brian Vickers as well. 2 tires stop for him, 4 for Allgaier.
Well, we'll see if that pays dividends as the Nationwide Insurance Race Off Pit Road shows you that Edwards and Harvick pick up 3 spots each. So a good pit stop for Harvick. But Kyle Busch drops 4 positions while only picking up 2. And let's take a look and see what happened.
Yeah, 12-second 2-tire stop, not up to par. See, they come in here, they want to get in and out. They're changing these right sides. Have a little problem there on that right rear, getting it off.
So very costly for Kyle Busch as he comes back out onto the racetrack, and I guarantee you he is not a happy camper right now. We'll reset it.
NASCAR Nationwide Series at Las Vegas is presented by GoDaddy.com, where you can make the web your domain with a .com name for less than $1 a month. And in part by Pennzoil. Feel the clean.
While we've got a moment, let's remind you that ABC's your home for NBA Sunday Showcase. First, at 1 Eastern, it's Steve Nash leading the Suns against Tim Duncan and the Spurs. Then at 3:30 Eastern, top 2 teams in the West renew their rivalry. Nuggets battle the Lakers. NBA Sunday Showcase, Suns, Spurs, Nuggets, Lakers, and ABC. And coverage begins at 12:30 Eastern, 9:30 a.m. Pacific with the GMC Sierra NBA Countdown. Well, I have to admit, folks, Rusty Wallace is hoping for a torrential downpour. And the reason is you see that 62 car sitting up front. And I know you're not saying a word. But
he's one of the gamblers now. He stayed out here. He's trying to gamble on the rain coming.
3 cars stayed out. Joe Nemechek and John West Townley. So they're your top 3. Then those that stopped, Carl Edwards 4th, Kevin Harvick 5th, Brian Vickers 6th, Brad Keselowski 7th, Kyle Busch in 8th position.
Ouch.
Yeah, ouch is right. Let's go back and show you what happened on the pit stop.
This is a comparison. You can see right there that 4 seconds they gave up there on the left side, or the right side, when they changed right side tires, just killed them. Also, it's 4 spots.
Now, the top 3 that stayed out last pitted on lap 105. We are getting ready to complete lap 122. So that gives you an idea just how much they have left in the tank and on the rubber. But here we go, back to green flag racing. And Carl Edwards is all over the back bumper of the 62 of Brendan Gaughan. Here comes Vickers as well, and Kyle Busch. Boy, shot out of a cannon.
Not going to be back there long.
Restarts in 8th, and now he's up to 3rd.
Ooh, they're 3 and 4 right down his back straightaway now. 3 wide into turn 3.
Keselowski looking on the low side as well in that 22. He's got Harvick right up above him, and notice the raindrops on our camera lens. So far, we're still green. Here goes for the race lead. At the stripe, Carl Edwards gets credit. 9 different leaders, 14 lead changes today. Kyle Busch, the defending series champion, up into second.
Is Carl Edwards going to be able to make that car wide enough for a few laps here?
Vickers running in third. Brendan Gaughan has faded back to about 5th. On board we go. Harvick coming up on Brendan back there. You can also see the 98 of Paul Menard in the mix. He is running in 4th. Remember when he was a lap down? That team has really rallied back as well.
A lot of gambles on that last pit stop. 2 tires, 4 tires.
Denny Hamlin going underneath Stephen Wallace. That is for position. That's the battle for 9th.
Now keep in mind, guys, if this thing goes the full distance, they still can't make it all the way.
That's right. Harvick looking to go underneath the Vickers for 3rd. We've got passing about 3 different spots all over the racetrack in the top 15. And again, you can see the water droplets on the lens of our camera.
Yeah, Marty, this is the only thing that makes this part of the race crucial right now is the rain, because like Andy said, you got to stop one more time. It's not money time yet.
But the laps at 30.1 seconds last time by for the race lead. So they're not saving anything because they know they can't afford to.
We see Kyle Busch now. He's trying to work over Carl Edwards. Carl's car looks really good right here, and he's got that clean air on the front of the car.
A little bit further back, that's Justin Allgaier. And we're getting word now that the 6 is also headed for the garage area. Ricky Stenhouse Jr. has taken it behind the wall. Parker Kligerman is also back behind the wall, so that updates you on those 2 cars while all this action continues out on the track. That's Allgaier in 8th with Stephen Wallace all over him. View back from Stephen to Denny Hamlin.
Just really amazed about how much these guys are in the throttle all the time and not rolling out. We don't see this a lot of racetracks.
Yeah, this track has so much grip, and the tire they brought here just matches up so well that they really do have a lot of grip. They can hold that throttle almost on the mat all the way around.
You know, I shouldn't say what I'm about to say, but we saw a lot of wrecks off of turn 4 last year here. At Goodyear, it seems like they bought this new tire back. It's got a lot more grip. We're just not seeing the problems we saw last year off of turn 4, guys.
Well, one of the things that's happened, the track has aged some, and it has lost grip and allowed Goodyear to come back with a little softer compound, and that combination has been a lot better for the teams.
You see the 23 of Robert Richardson down low. He had a pass-through penalty for speeding on pit road. He just finally served it. That's why he is coming back up to speed. And we should tell you that Kenny Wallace brought it back out for a few laps, but he now, too, has taken his 28 car behind the wall and headed for the garage one more time. Battle right now between Brendan Gaughan and Justin Allgaier. These guys were duking it out for Rookie of the Year honors. Boy, I'll tell you what, look at Allgaier, man. That he loves this racetrack.
It's a good day for Justin Allgaier. I mean, every now and then people have cars that are great. The next week, they're not so great. Today, he's got a great car.
The battle for 14th on the right side of the screen as you see what's going on also on the left side. This has been the trend that we've seen so far, guys. We've been at Daytona. We've been also, you know, to the 2-mile track out at California. This is our first 1.5 miles, and we're seeing a lot of good passing throughout the top 20.
Yeah, I'm looking at this last round of pit stops. Justin Allgaier is the top running car that took 4 tires that last time. You saw a lot of these front runners take 2 tires. That could come into play if we have a long run.
I started saying, I was watching some of these cars that took 2 tires that are definitely don't look near as good as they did before. So the 4s are definitely faster.
Denny Hamlin, this 20 car, also took 4 tires.
Well, let's get an update on the 12 car, Dave Burns.
And think about this as Hamlin closes in on Allgaier now. Earlier, a slow pit stop, and Allgaier had to pass his way back to the front of the field. And now the decision to take 4. Again, passing maybe more cars today than anybody else, but that last decision, the 4 tires, may be the one that really pays off.
Well, he is closing down quickly on Paul Menard, and that is for 6th on the track. The battle for 3rd is heating up. Vickers and Harvick. We go on board with Kevin. Here goes Denny underneath the 12. Again, we've got passing on 2 different spots of the track, all within the top 10. Great action here at Las Vegas. Vickers holds off Harvick for 3rd, but the other 2 are side by side for 7th.
Like I said, every one of these guys want to try to get every spot they can. You can see Denny Hamlin slips just a little bit, and Allgaier gets a spot.
Well, it also
Harvick
allowed Menard to sort of pull away from both of them.
See Harvick really working Vickers over now. Looks like he's going to get it.
So now Kevin Harvick gets back into the 3rd position. He is 1.7 seconds behind our race leader, Carl Edwards. Edwards leads Kyle Busch by 0.8 of a second. That's why we're showing you this action, because this is the best battles we've got on the racetrack.
See if we get a clear time on Kevin Harvick's 33 right here compared to Carl Edwards, the leader.
Brad Keselowski, and he gives a little gesture out the side because he got around the 32. And again, here we see as the run continues, that car seems to dial in the longer the run goes.
You see now this 12 car of Allgaier working over Paul Menard.
He has caught back up to Paul. This is for 6th on the racetrack, and Denny Hamlin's trying to pick, okay, which guy am I going to go with? And right now he's saying, okay, Paul, it looks like it might be you. Might have been a bad choice. Allgaier clears the 98. Here comes Hamlin around. And again, as the longer this run goes, I think maybe that 4-tire deal is really going to pay some dividends.
Yeah, it should start coming into play if they have that run all the way on a fuel tank run. But these 2 cars, the 12 and the 20, should have a little better, definitely have better tires, and whether it'll be speed, we'll see.
That battle sort of settled down now, as you can see those 3, and Allgaier trying to open up some room between he and the 20 of Denny Hamlin. There is your race leader going past into turn number 3. Edwards lead now up to 0.9 of a second. Go back a little further in the pack, and then you can see the 38 of Jason Leffler. That's with Biffle for 13th position.
Those guys were 3 wide off of turn 2 just then.
And
here's stuck somehow.
Well, and here's Brendan Gaughan side by side with Stephen Wallace. And remember, Brendan did not pit, so those older tires are starting to haunt him right now as he has dropped back from the race lead. He is right now in 11th and under attack.
Well, Brendan had that fender damage on the left front. He pretty well had to stay out and do what he did to maintain that track position. These guys are all setting up for this last pit stop, which is going to be the money stop for sure.
Well, and Biffle, the big surprise, I think, right now is I think all of us thought the way Biffle was running earlier, he'd be higher up in the mix, although he goes on the high side to get around and makes a nice pass. Here comes Trevor Bayne to do it as well.
Whoa,
and look out. Nice recovery by the 62 of Gaughan.
Tell you what, this 3 wide stuff, Andy, off of turn 4, I'm not sure that's going to cut it. They've been doing it off of turn 2 also, and hey, you know as well as I do, these cars get wicked loose when they get in those positions.
Like we talked about, the tire combinations made the cars drive better, and they've been able to control them a little more. And you see that right there. They make a little contact, and they're still able to maintain control.
See Jason Leffler right there in a 38 car. He's been one of the Nationwide Insurance regular drivers that have been here year after year, having another solid run today, gaining points. We talked about at the end of race 5, this guy's got to be in the top 30. Can't afford any blown motors or stuff like that to jeopardize that.
And Carl Edwards, he gets the lead off pit road, and we saw Kyle Busch just take off and pull like 3 seconds on the field, but now that he has to follow Carl Edwards, he's not as fast as he was.
Kyle's had that clean air the whole time where he's had that car up front, good downforce on the front fenders, makes these cars turn good, and now Carl's got it on those 2 tires, and that is really key. Vince, got more on Carl?
Well, it's interesting with this crew chief change that was made with this team. Mike Kelly moving on to be the director of competition for the Nationwide Series, and Drew Blickensderfer going on top of the box as Carl's crew chief. Drew said that he thought there might be a little transition for him personally because it's been a year or so since he's worked on these race cars, but he and Mike Kelly are such good friends. Kelly has helped with this transition, and I just saw Mike a few moments ago behind the pit box of the 60, and he gave a sly smile. Blickensderfer may be on top of the box, but there's no doubt about it. It's a tag team effort for Mike Kelly and Drew Blickensderfer for this 60 today.
Well, in the 19 prior races, as you see, that is Paul Menard with Brian Scott. That is for 8th position. Let's put a period on that because in 19 races that those two have been together, Blickensderfer and Carl Edwards, 14 top 10s, 13 top 5s, and 7 wins.
So Trevor Bayne on the outside and left-hand side of your screen, getting around Leffler. He's got a good run going on. I've been really impressed, Andy, how these young guys have been really minding their P's and Q's out here. Really nobody putting herself in tight positions. Been a clean race so far.
Yeah, if you look at that 99, Trevor Bayne, he doesn't have a lot of experience, but he races with a lot of poise out there. I have been impressed with him and some of these other young guys that they really race a lot higher level than you think that their experience would have them racing.
And a huge disappointment for Trevor. Daytona, the first race of the year, 7 laps in the race, in the wall, lost a lot of points. Talk about a disappointment, but he's making up for it today.
Yeah, Daytona was definitely not his fault, and he handled that situation very well. Very mature guy.
Look at the battle for 8th place. Brian Scott, I'll tell you, this rookie has been very impressive early in the season. The 98. Oh, he goes around.
Man,
did you see the sparks as he hits the wall?
Yeah, it looks like he got on that apron.
You come on down pit road.
I'm wondering if something broke. Did you see the sparks?
No, it looked like he may have gotten against that. Got on that apron right there.
Yeah, he was pinching you, bud.
He was 9th at the time of the crash.
Take a look at it here.
And a tough break for Brian Scott. Now remember, he had that broken hand from last August in the truck race, and he's about to get it worked on again. Here's a replay.
And you can see right here, just right. He doesn't actually catch the apron. Looks like he's just in that zone where you get so loose underneath the car. Paul didn't give him a lot of room, but hey, it's racing.
Yeah, well, Paul didn't do anything wrong whatsoever. Nope. And Brian was all the way to the bottom of the track. Let's watch this again on the white line. See, he just gets loose right there. And then he has no room to let the car slide up. Walk it up the track, I call it. And around he goes.
Yeah, unfortunately, that's not a walk.
Let's get him to have a walk to the ambulance right now.
All right, let's just listen. This will give you an idea.
Sorry, I had to say ouch.
Yeah, you and me both. It is. So there's the damage on the 11 as the crew is going to take a look, but I think it's pretty well hurt.
Well, they can make it from here, Andy.
They can make it. Yeah, that's the thing. They can make it from here, so it's still a tough decision, though. You look out the window, and rain is around us.
It actually looks like it has gone to the north of the track, because I can now see part of downtown Las Vegas that just a half an hour ago we could not see.
Well, you see the team's getting ready to pit. They have to make this pit stop right now because they can't make it all the way. They need to get the car full of fuel. You'll see some of these cars that took 2 tires now take 4 tires, and maybe even opposite for some of the cars that took 4 last time.
If you're just joining us past the top of the hour, we had an hour and 35-minute rain delay. When right now we are, well, working lap 146, and everybody is coming down pit road. And Jamie, you're up first.
And Jason Ratcliffe calling the shots for Kyle Busch. Says yes, the weather does look good right now, so come on in. Let's make some adjustments. The 2-tire stop definitely hurt him. They're going to put 4 on this time around, go up a little bit more in the track bar. Car continues to get tight, Vince.
No adjustments on the 60. They're very happy with the race car. In fact, Drew Blickensderfer said, don't wipe off the grill. They don't want to change anything. And he said, don't rush it, crew. No mistakes here, just like all day. Dave?
Brad Keselowski gives up 4th, just a little bit tighter, but they won't make any changes. 4 tires for Keselowski as he'll be about the 4th or 5th car off. Here comes a cluster leaving the track.
Wow, and some big gambles taken. Denny Hamlin with 2 tires picks up 6. Remember, Allgaier took 4 the last time, so he just took fuel. He picks up 4. Carl loses 2. And look at Trevor Bayne with 2 tires, picks up 8 spots. This is going to get good.
Steve Bunin in studio. For those of you who have tuned into ESPN2 to see the collision in the Missouri Valley Conference between 3rd place Illinois State and 1st place Northern Iowa, that game has tipped off in Cedar Falls, but because of the delay in Las Vegas at the race, it's begun our coverage on ESPN Classic. As soon as the race is over, the game will be back on ESPN2. For now, we send you back to Vegas.
All right, thanks, Steve, for the update up there. And, of course, we have a few more laps that we've got to turn because of the rain delay that we had. Denny Hamlin will be shown as our race leader. Justin Allgaier in 2nd. Carl Edwards 3rd. Trevor Bayne 4th. Kyle Busch rounds out your top 5 with Kevin Harvick shown in the 6th position right now. All right, so while we continue under this yellow. Let's go back to the moment when Kevin Harvick actually put tape on the front of the car. Temperature has been dropping. Let's go to the Craftsman Tech Garage and check in with Tim Brewer.
Thanks, Marty. What the deal is right here, folks, as the air temperature comes down, you want more airflow in there. Well, the engine wants to run a certain temperature, so you can actually put more tape on the grill. What that's going to do is lower the drag coefficiency of the car, as well as additional downforce to the front to run these corners even faster. Marty?
And it has gotten very chilly. A number of the fans are bundled up as tight as they can. And they have, there you can see just how much tape they have put on that car. And let's watch what happens.
Yeah, you want just as little airflow through that grill as possible because, like Tim said, there's a lot of performance there. So you see the tire carrier has a piece of tape in his hand, and he slaps a little piece on there for just that little advantage. See right here, Kyle Busch also. This is how they do it. You see the tire carrier just reaches up there, slaps a little tape. Be surprised how much that'll help.
We can tell you Mike Wallace is the recipient of the lucky dog, and so that will put a total of 18 cars on the lead lap. And we have a total of 13 cars either off or out of this race, including Danica Patrick. She will finish the day in 35th position after having a crash with Michael McDowell. While we've got a chance, let's talk about ABC because it's the home for the NBA Sunday Showcase. First, 1 Eastern, it is the Suns against the Spurs. 3:30 then, you've got the battle in the West, the Nuggets and the Lakers. NBA Sunday Showcase. Those two teams' coverage begins on ABC, 12:30 Eastern, 9:30 a.m. Pacific with the GMC Sierra NBA Countdown. And a total of 7 waiver rounds. It's the 61 of Josh Wise, James Busher, Scott Lagasse, Stanton Barrett, Eric McClure, Brian Keselowski, and Tony Raines. So all those cars come back around. And as we said, that gives us a total, well, that'll actually bump up a few more to back on the lead lap. Total of 24 cars now on the lead lap.
You know, Marty, one thing fans always ask me all the time is why is it when you come down to pit stop and you put tape on the grill end, you always put it on the left-hand side of the grill? Why is that?
Well, I mean, the thinking is that you want to put more downforce on the left side than you do the right side to try to stick that left front tire. I'm not sure, you know, just exactly how much of that effect you get, but that's the thinking anyway.
Drivers like to feel the left front tire a lot. I know I did when I was driving. I'm like, I don't care about that right front. Get that left front to pull that car around, man. I don't want that right front to push it around. And boy, tape is everything. It's amazing how that little bit of tape will do that.
One of the things we're going to find out, Justin Allgaier, remember, he took 4 tires on the second to last pit stop on lap 119 and only did fuel here on lap 146. That gives you an idea just how many laps he's got on those tires. He's going to be on the inside of the front row because the man with the choice, Denny Hamlin, has chosen the outside, and we're back to green flag racing. And Hamlin gets a great start.
We're about to see how 2 tires versus no tires versus 4 tires, how it does, because Allgaier, fast race car all day long and puts no tires on. Ooh, that's a nervy move not to put anything on.
50 laps to go here at the Sam's Town 300. And you can see Carl Edwards has fallen back. Kevin Harvick, there you can see he is right in front of him. Go on board. There's Kyle Busch going on the high side.
Yeah, this is a critical pass for Kevin Harvick. Now, if he can get clear of this 99, he's got 2 of his biggest competitors right there in that 18 car and the 60 car that he can get in front of. And he's got a fast car. He can probably keep him behind him, and he can probably pass these other cars. He's been faster than them all day.
So far, Allgaier hanging on. Trevor Bayne up into 3rd. We got a bunch of young talent up front. Here comes Kevin Harvick, the wily old veteran trying to teach these young kids a lesson.
And boy, he just wants to break loose and get that room. And the 99 of Bain's got him pinched down. Here comes Kyle Busch.
He's looking at the outside. They're 3 wide.
Man, Trevor's getting an education right here. Welcome to the big time, Trevor. Woo. 3 wide, and they're still going after it. Trevor's not lifting. The kid will not give up.
They're still 3 wide, getting down to turn 3.
Carl's got a front row seat for all this. Now he's going to go 3 wide.
Whoa, Harvick. A little loose.
He hangs on. Look at Vickers twitching back there.
Now Harvick, the big loser in that little skirmish.
Look at the 22 of Keselowski. He gets a little tight with Vickers as they go side by side.
So Kevin Harvick probably telling Trevor Bayne, hey, give me a little respect, man. But Bayne's like, hey, I'm having a great race. And Harvick's going, you're slowing me up. I got 4 tires. I got a fast car. can't get it done yet. Going to take another attempt at Bain on the bottom now, guys.
I don't think Bain's worried about that. He wants to win. He wants to get up there. He's doing a great job at it. And there's another battle that we've got going now. Paul Menard and Greg Biffle. That is for 10th on the racetrack right now. And it looks like Menard's going to take control of the spot. And creeping back into the top 10, the 66 is Stephen Wallace. He's right behind them.
You can see how critical that pass was for Harvick. You know, if he could have cleared that 99 car, he would have been in front of Edwards and Kyle Busch. And the way it worked out, he wound up behind them. So didn't work out as good as he wanted it to.
All right, that's Colin Brown right there in the white 16. He is 9th. Then Menard, Biffle, Stephen Wallace, and Jason Leffler. That's all 4 position on the racetrack. We mentioned earlier that we got Sparks coming out of the bottom of the 16. It looked like they're bottoming out as they go over the tunnel. Denny Hamlin right now a 0.3 of a second lead over Justin Allgaier. And Allgaier, remember, he's got those older tires, but he's hanging on with Kyle Busch in 3rd.
It just goes to show you how good a tire Goodyear really brought here. It's a real hard tire, but it's still keeping grip. And I really wanted to watch Allgaier and see how you do in those tires, and it's working for him right now. I didn't think it would work. I thought he'd fall back big time. But he's hanging in there right now.
Well, remember, Denny Hamlin finished 21st in this race last year because he ended up crashing late in it. We had a lot of incidents like that. Let's get the update on the car in 2nd place from Justin Allgaier. Dave Burns.
As you talk about him hanging in there, his crew chief, Chad Walter, tried to pump him up as best he could, knowing that he was at a little bit of a disadvantage, but reminding him that technically he's in a good position aero-wise. These cars like to be out front or nearly out front, and that clean air, he told his driver, is going to be good for you. Dr. Punch?
And in front of him, Denny Hamlin have been fighting a very tight race car most of the day, particularly tight under throttle. Whatever they did, 4 tires, air pressure, track bar, nothing would help the car. And then on that last stop, rookie crew chief Kevin Kidd made the call. Let's go with 2 right side tires only. Left sides aren't wearing. Goodyear's got a great tire. 2 right sides and fuel. And obviously the car much better right now for Denny Hamlin, but also under attack from the kid Allgaier.
And Doc, that's a great point because remember earlier in the day, everybody was worried about left side tire wear, and obviously the rubber that's now into the track, and what you talked about at the beginning of the race, the rain wasn't that heavy to wash it all off, and now we're not seeing that wear.
Yeah, the Cup car's got quite a few laps in practice this morning, put some rubber down. The rain really didn't wash it all off, and now we've got all these laps as the race wears on. That tire wear will go down. You won't have near as much that left side tire wear at the end of the race that we saw early. And I like what I see Justin Allgaier now. He's looking out that front windshield. He had Kyle Busch right on his back bumper a few laps ago. What did he do? He started searching around on the racetrack looking for a better place to run, and he's made a little bit of time now and actually pulled away from Kyle Busch.
Battle for 10th. Stephen Wallace trying to run this streak to 5 straight races into the top 10. Ooh, he got a little twitchy. Here comes Greg Biffle trying to take advantage of it. Paul Menard's already gotten around. Here comes Biffle, and the 38 of Leffler wants a piece of it as well.
Boy, Stephen had a big run in turn 3 and 4 there and got a little loose in the bottom of that track, and that's what you got to watch for.
On board with Kevin Harvick as he is closing in on Carl Edwards. That is for 4th. Kyle Busch right in front of there, the 3 cars are. And in front of them by about a half a second is Justin Allgaier. There gives you an idea of the top 5 as they come across the stripe with now 39 laps to go.
Andy, I like what you said about Allgaier. He's searching all over the racetrack, and Denny's on the bottom of the racetrack. He knows he's got to get his car up top in that clean air to get the downforce. If he's got that, he's got the momentum also.
Well, Justin Allgaier, remember, his career best is 4th. And right now running in 2nd. Here comes Steven trying to get back into that top 10 again as he is caught back up to Paul Menard.
And that right there is such a touchy spot.
Yeah, you need to be careful. We saw Brian Scott now lose his car underneath Paul Menard earlier. So you got to be real careful in this position not to get your car too loose.
Side by side through the corner. Leffler trying to get back into that battle as well.
See Steven wiggle a little bit right there.
Now don't rough him up.
He needs to use his head right here now.
Getting mad, so he's got to watch.
He's getting frustrated, but he needs to use his head right here.
Here comes Leffler. And Biffle's just sort of sitting back watching all this saying, I'm going to let you guys sort this out for a second. Whoa. A little side rub between the two. A little bit further back, John West Townley, as he is running in 14th position. There you can see in the 21. This would be his best run of the season in this new setup that they have in the 21 car with Richard Childress Racing.
It's been a tough day to be a crew chief. They had 54 laps to go after they made that last stop now, and they can make it. Most cars should be able to make it to the end, but with this new rule of having up to 3 green-white checker finishes, it could run some of these cars out of fuel.
Well, you saw Biffle on the high side get around Leffler, but now Leffler looked like he was going to try and make a run back. Here comes Harvick on the 60 of Carl Edwards. That is for 4th. So Harvick.
Whoa, now.
That makes you lose too.
Yeah, Carl gives him a little break right there.
These guys are 1.7 seconds behind the race leader.
I'll tell you who's not 1.7 seconds back. It's Justin Allgaier. He is really working that 20 car now. He's been inching up on his rear bumper.
Oh, and when the caution flag has just come out.
Got a car in the wall, turn 4.
Turn number 4. We've got one vehicle up into the wall, pulling down onto pit road, and it is the one of James Busher.
And James Busher. You got brakes, James? Come to the first opening. Just come to the first opening. Pull it in. Pull it back here. Come on. Keep digging. Guys, come on back here. Come back here with the Jackson tires and everything. First opening, take a left, James, and drive it to us.
And Marty, I just watched him hit the wall on exiting turn 4 about 5 laps ago. That could have done some damage right there.
Yeah, he could have caused some damage to the sidewall, and that tire gave out. See, it's happening right here. He's already in the wall.
He was running 15th at the time of the crash. And he had 2 excellent runs earlier this year at Daytona and at California, but this one not going to end up the way he wanted. Our 7th caution here. He was 8th at Daytona, 13th back at California. Or check it, it's our 7th caution for 32 laps so far. The most we've ever had was 13 cautions, the fewest 3.
Justin Allgaier didn't want to see this caution. He was running. He was actually starting to run down Denny Hamlin.
My question is, with the tire limitations that everybody has, does anybody have any left?
It doesn't matter. I wouldn't come down pit road if I had a stack of them right now.
And what about you, driver? I know you always like tires, but what would you do?
Yeah, I've always liked tires, but these tires are holding up so good. You see Allgaier's car hasn't slowed up. Guys, my mind has changed about 4 times during this race about what I would do with tires. These doggone Goodyear tires are so good today. It's amazing how good they are today.
See, Biffle does come down pit road.
Yep.
This is not a bad move for him because he was not going the right direction.
Well, Biffle was 12th at the time, so he comes in. So does Brendan Gaughan. He peeled off. Joe Nemechek. And it looks like they're going to take all 4. And this is not the fastest of pit stops that we've seen this crew turn out today.
Well, they're not really racing anybody. Yeah. That's why you get in a situation like this. You want to make some adjustments. You've only got 3 cars on pit road.
They went the wrong way, so then they're going to go back the other direction. 43 will get the lucky dog. That will be Scott Lagasse. And he gets back out onto the track. Well, as we've got a moment, I know many of you heard the news earlier this week about Jake Elder. He won 2 championships with David Pearson, nearly 50 wins, one of the legendary characters of the early NASCAR days. Tomorrow is Mario Andretti's 70th birthday. It was Jake Elder that gave him that win back in 1967 at the Daytona 500. Jake, we'll miss you.
The NASCAR Nationwide Series at Las Vegas. Make sure you go to NASCAR.com for all your latest NASCAR information. 31 laps to go. Get ready for a restart that could be very, very interesting with Kyle Busch in the outside lane behind Denny Hamlin. Let's talk to a couple crew chiefs before the restart. Doc?
Well, Kevin Kidd made the call for Denny Hamlin to finally put your car out front. Nice call for 2 tires on the right side.
Yeah, it's playing out in our advantage. Track position's everything at this place. Any place that's fast, we'll take the track position anytime we can. And the way the tire is, it just seemed to be the right move. We'll see what happens. There's still a lot of race left. can't count your chickens before the hatch, and as we learned last week. So long race still to go. Hopefully we can hang in there and get a win.
All right, Dave.
And Chad Walter has chickens too. Can Justin hold the inside line on the restart?
Well, I mean, that's a great question, Dave. Verizon Dodge has been awfully strong. We got a little bit out of sequence and took a chance on tires. He's in good company up there. I mean, those are the pros, and these are the guys this guy needs to race to win the race. And I think we can do it. I think this place owes us one, and I feel really good with our chances here today.
All right, stand by, Alan. It's going to be good.
Who gets through first from that second row? Kyle Busch with that inside lane or Kevin Harvick with the outside?
Boy, I'd hate to be either Justin Allgaier or Denny Hamlin with those two guys breathing down my neck. I think Harvick's going to be really strong. He's got himself back into position after some bad pit stops. Let's see what happens.
And that outside lane's been the launching ramp for a lot of these guys all race long.
Fast way around. So let's see if he can launch that thing.
30 laps to go. Let's see how it plays out.
Justin Allgaier spun the tires on that restart, cost him.
And Kevin Harvick. Oh, no, we got spin. The 16. Oh, a Colin Brown into the wall hard. Our 8th caution of the day, and I don't know if he got help.
66, get me or what?
He was 10th
for sure,
on the restart. Tony Raines also looks like he may have some damage in this. Colin looks like he's able to get it at least fired to get back. There we go. Whoops. Yeah, it looks like Stephen may have gotten into him a little.
They definitely got a nudge from Stephen.
Let's go on board.
Inside Paul Menard, we know that's the place that...
38 tight to you. It's your door. Easy. Go, go, go.
You're loose there anyway.
Come on.
Can't hardly stand any contact right there in that situation. And it's amazing it didn't take out more cars. See, Tony Raines does get spun around.
And he gets a little damage on that right side. What this means with Colin now crashing out, all 5 of our rookies have crashed in this race today. Not the kind of statistic we enjoy passing on, but Colin is okay as he climbs out of the car. 61 of Josh Wise will get the lucky dog, and that'll give us 20 cars on the lead lap.
Both those guys were having a good run, Kyle and Steven. Steven just got a little too aggressive right there.
All right, well, let's reset this for you because Denny Hamlin still is your race leader. Kevin Harvick, though, is now in second place. And let's check in with Vince Welch.
Well, it's been a great day for Kevin Harvick and this 33 team on the track. You've led the most laps today, had some struggles in the pits. But how about what Kevin has left? Is it enough? And where is he best on this track to make the move?
I think so. I think we're the fastest car out there. And luckily, we don't have to come down pit road again because obviously that's where we lost all our time today. But as far as get on the racetrack, I feel like we're the best car, and I don't know. We'll see how it plays out. You know, if we get ahead of that 20, I think we can check out.
Yeah, this team has been really good in 1 and 2 all day long today. Look for the move there, Jamie.
And Kyle Busch sitting 4th right now. Jason, Kyle's complaining that his car is just so tight and gets tight so fast. How much will that affect his ability to get to the front this time?
Well, it's been tough. It seemed like when we were out front, we were fine. You know, we didn't want many adjustments, but once we got in dirty air there, we haven't been able to get the handle back on it. So the guys have been working hard on pit road. We made a lot of adjustments on that last one. Right now, it's not what we need, but if he can ever get that nose in clean air, I think we can do something with him.
All right, definitely struggling with a tight car, not wanting to turn through the center, guys.
And while you finished up, Jamie, we can tell you Jason Leffler did come in for a pit stop. He's on the lead lap. Like we said, we will have a total of 19 cars, it looks like, on the lead lap after we get back to green flag racing. And we mentioned at the beginning of this race how Joe Gibbs Racing has never won here at Las Vegas in the Nationwide Series. Well, they got a good shot at it. Denny Hamlin is first. Kyle Busch is running 4th.
Yeah, this is a break, too. You know, Kyle Busch gets to start on that outside lane, and it seems like that's been the advantage. You know, Poor Justin Allgaier. He spun his tires just a little bit. Lost that second spot, and he still has to start on the inside.
And he will have Carl Edwards lining up right behind him. In fact, let's just reset it for you. It'll be Denny Hamlin and Kevin Harvick on the front row. Kyle Busch, Justin Allgaier in row 2, Trevor Bayne, and Carl Edwards in row number 3. And our pole sitter, Brad Keselowski and Brian Vickers, 7th and 8th.
Kevin's going to have to get the restart of his life right here in the bottom lane, because we've seen all day long where the top side of the racetrack is better. But Kevin's got 4 tires on that car compared to Denny Hamlin's 2, and that might be the great equalizer right there that can save Kevin starting on the bottom of the bottom lane. He just needs to come through the gearbox like he's never done all day long and get a little nose on him, I'd say, getting into turn 1. Probably at least a half a car getting into 1 to get that stuck in the bottom and clear him off of turn 2.
Well, we can tell you that Ricky Stenhouse Jr. has gotten back out onto the track. He is 46 laps down. Brian Keselowski is 67 laps back out on the racetrack.
It's like they've called off the restart. They still trying to get the cars off the wrecked car off the racetrack.
So we'll go one more time around the 1.5 miles here. And don't forget, we're going to have a couple of weeks off on the Nationwide Series. Give us a chance to sort of sit back, catch our breath, analyze what's happened over the first 3 events. And next time we'll see you in the Nationwide Series, we'll be at Bristol. And ooh, baby, will the fireworks be flying there.
They've narrowed the track up at Bristol. Off of turn 4, what's a softer barrier in 3 feet. Off of turn 4 and off of turn 2. I was there Tuesday, Andy, checking it out. It's going to
change things a little bit.
Oh, man, it's going to get tight over there. Bristol's going to be a whale of a race.
5 different winners won on the 7 short track races last season, led by Carl Edwards and Brad Keselowski. They each had 2. And we'll find out what happens in a couple of weeks at Bristol. Let's get updates from pit road. Jamie?
Talking to Jerry Baxter right now. Trevor Bayne, your driver. I'll tell you, he hasn't been lifting with all these veteran drivers around him. What do you think? Sitting 6th right now as we go green.
We took 2 tires on that last stop, to get track position. We did 4 the one before, and just seemed like we couldn't pass anybody. So he's definitely taking a lesson right now. He's up there with the dogs, so ain't no better way to learn driving that old Aaron's Dream Machine than this.
Well, he's learning, and he's all about trying to get the respect of his veteran drivers, guys.
All right, thank you, Jamie. As you go on board with Trevor Bayne, you mentioned the fact he is in 6th. While we've got a moment, let's give a little shout out to Mike Wallace. He fought his way back. He is in 12th position right now and making his 350th Nationwide Series start. There he is in the 01. So congratulations to Mike on 350 and counting.
They got Carrot Top on the box down there. You think he's made a difference? Must have.
Well, I saw him in pre-race down there talking to some of the drivers. So if he does well, maybe Carrot Top will be a permanent fixture in the 01 camp. All right, pace car is off as we get ready with 25 laps to go when we go back to green flag racing. I'll tell you what, folks, I didn't think we would get this entire race in. It is very cold, but the fans that have stayed are going to see a shootout. Here we go. Harvick. Oh, and he's getting a push from the 12.
He's got that half car length you were talking about, Rusty. Can you get him clear?
Well, let's see if those 4 tires will do anything. Not off of turn 2.
Oh, man, that's so tight as they slide up towards the wall. Down the backstretch, and look.
Man, look at Harvick drive this thing in the corner, though.
The top 6 are just snug tight. Now they finally sort of sifted out. Coming to the stripe, and it looks like Kevin Harvick is going to take the lead. So despite 2 disastrous pit stops, he finds himself back in a winning position. Allgaier goes high. That's going to open the door for some other cars to slide underneath. Maybe even the 99 of Trevor Bayne. There goes Carl Edwards side by side with him. That's the view from Bayne's car.
Boy, for about the first 5 laps, these tires really stick, and these drivers got to get it out of it right then.
Did you hear that right there? You can just barely hear him crack the throttle through that corner.
Wide open on the throttle.
Allgaier in the 12, Bayne in the 99, and right behind him is Carl Edwards. That is for 4th, 5th, and 6th on the racetrack, and they're going side by side again, and here comes Brad Keselowski trying to work his way back into the mix as he's got Brian Vickers in the 32.
Guys, I don't know about you, but this Nationwide Tour is just amazing how tight these guys have been running these last 3 races. Incredible races out of these guys. They're driving great.
Vickers side by side with the young Trevor Bayne. At 19 years of age, he would like to pick up his first Nationwide Series win. Got a great run going right now, and it looks like he may be able to hold off Vickers.
Keselowski's got that run on the top side of the track. That's our pole sitter right there. Fell back a little bit, but he's coming back now.
Bayne pulls away. Here comes Keselowski on the high side as well, around the 32. A little bit further back, the 66 of Stephen Wallace, running in 9th.
Kevin Harvick up front, 29.83 last lap.
You're not missing anything there. He has pulled out an 0.8 of a second lead. We're showing you the best racing action on the track. There's the margin. You go.
Oh! Kyle Busch gets in the wall.
Kyle brushes the wall. Now the question is, did it do any serious damage?
Well, he probably didn't help it any. Already struggling with a tight race car, and all that's going to do is make it tighter.
This time by.
All done. Got no fence off at 2. Going backwards. We're done.
You just heard Kyle. We're done. Got in the fence. And again, his luck at this track doesn't seem to be 7-11, but rather snake eyes. Carl Edwards going around. And remember, Carl is the points leader right now coming into this race, and he will maintain that points lead provided he stays where he's at or improves. And Kyle going the wrong direction. So it's now Harvick, Hamlin, Edwards, your top 3. Back to the battle for 6. Keselowski, Trevor Bayne. And Keselowski goes down onto the apron. Then he gets Bayne to sort of slide up, give him some extra room, and now he's going to clear him.
Well, how many times have we seen this out of Brad Keselowski? At the end of the race, he just is so strong. He finishes strong.
It's go time, and he is going. And look at Kyle Busch sliding backwards.
Keselowski's an aggressive driver. We all know that. I mean, this is the time you need to show the aggression, but not on his teammate.
No.
Yeah, that's his teammate, Justin Allgaier, right in front of him there. That is for 4th position on the racetrack. Next time by, 17 laps to go. And Harvick, last lap, now being told his fastest of the day. So he has got the hammer down.
Marty, I just started to say, these guys started during the day. Now it's night. The lights are on. I just walked outside. Everybody said it is really brutal cold outside now. Spotters are all complaining. But you know what? That's good for speed. It makes these old cars run fast.
Well, you can see who is the fastest as they come across the stripe. And it is Kevin Harvick, 178.5. And his lead is now 1.8 seconds over Denny Hamlin. Carl Edwards 3rd, Justin Allgaier 4th, and Brad Keselowski 5th. And they're duking it out for that 4th position. And Keselowski's got the opening and now takes the spot. Now remember, Allgaier's got the older tires.
And it's showing just a little bit right now. Boy, it looks like that 18 car Kyle Busch is really wounded. He's fallen back to the pack big time. Lost that right front fender there, Andy.
He hit that wall pretty hard. I mean, he did a lot of damage.
Let's get an update, Jamie.
Well, guys, before we heard that radio on Kyle Busch, he came on the radio and told his guys he thought he had some damage to his nose. He wasn't sure if he actually got into the back of somebody, and then right away his car just wouldn't turn. He got in the fence, and he said, guys, this is just another Vegas typical race for me.
And he is going backwards right now. Mike Wallace has got around him. Wallace into the top 10. Look out as Brendan Gaughan and Greg Biffle sort of nudge each other a little bit. We can tell you Harvick has now clinched the most laps led, so he'll pick up the bonus points there. He's led 67 and counting. We've had 10 different leaders in this race, and here goes Vickers underneath Trevor Bayne. That is for 6th on the racetrack. On the right side, a little further back, you can see Kyle continues to fall back, and here comes Biffle and Brendan Gaughan underneath him. That is for 11th.
Well, you can see Trevor Bayne hanging tough on the outside now, and he's not giving Vickers much room.
32 car Brian Vickers gets real loose on the bottom of the racetrack under Trevor Bayne there. We talked earlier in the broadcast, that is a tough spot to be in. Makes the cars big time loose. Let's watch it again here.
Well, he's got him cleared this time. So Vickers takes over that 6th spot. There is Justin Allgaier. He is 5th. That would be his next target if he can close in on him. And Brad Keselowski has opened up about a 2nd lead over his teammate. Meanwhile, Kevin Harvick is checking out, fellas. 2 seconds, and the last thing he wants to see is a caution flag coming out right now.
That's right, Marty, because he's got a 2-second lead right now. But now Denny Hamlin just run a little bit faster the lap before. Now he's equaled Kevin Harvick's time this last time by. And he might be catching Harvick just a little bit. Harvick's getting hung in traffic.
Yeah, he's got 2 cars he's got to get around. That is the 6 of Ricky Stenhouse, the 34 Tony Raines, and he cuts through both of them very cleanly. For Harvick, he has picked up where his crew let him down on 2 stops, and there you can see them on the wall watching what's going on.
Yeah, they're kind of relieved. They don't have to make another stop now, and they're back out front. So, nothing will heal all this up better than winning the race.
The big question mark will be, will he make more changes to this team? He already made a bundle before the season started.
Well, Marty's got to make a change. There's no doubt about that. He's got a fast car every week, and he can't put up with this. But one thing, if he does get this win, Brian Vickers under Allgaier right now.
And that is for 5th. So if Vickers can clear, he'll take over the position on board with Justin.
Started to say if Kevin wins this race, at least he won't probably go beat his pit crew up right now. Have a sense of accomplishment.
That is lap traffic of the 05 of Willie Allen. They both clear him. More lap traffic coming up. Sparks flying. That is from the 6 car of Ricky Stenhouse. And here goes Vickers taking 5th. And it was Tony Raines. And Allgaier had no choice. He had to check up that time.
That was a smart move right there. This guy's had a great race. You don't need to wreck that car right now.
Well, Raines was unable to get low. And you can see the difference. He breathed the throttle just a little bit. Now he's going to have to try and reel him back in. And this is really the first time the entire day where literally everybody in the top 10, you got to go all the way back to 8th to have anybody within bumper shot of each other. And there you give you an idea that how it has spread out for race leader Kevin Harvick.
Boy, if Kevin Harvick wins this race, no doubt about one thing, he earned it.
8 laps remaining here at the 1.5 mile Las Vegas Motor Speedway. His lead is 2 seconds over Denny Hamlin. It has stabilized. They're both running laps at 30.7. There is Hamlin in second. Again, remember, Joe Gibbs Racing has never won here in the Nationwide Series. While we let the cars come on through, what we're going to show you is Kyle Busch, one misstep where he brushed the wall. He is now all the way back in 16th position, a full 15 seconds behind the race leader, just trying to limp the 18 home.
And you know what? He can't be mad at anybody because he was driving hard, but he did it himself. He had a good car all day long. And that happens.
He did it to himself last year here. Remember when he crashed early? He got out and he said, "This woman's on me."
Because sometimes you just want it too much. I mean, he really wants to win here, and he was in a spot. If he could have just got his teammate clear, Denny Hamlin, which Denny's still running second, he might have had a shot at Kevin Harvick. Just trying too hard.
Speaking of Harvick, he is now still 2 seconds ahead of Denny Hamlin. They are matching lap for lap in the time department. Edwards third, Brad Keselowski fourth, Brian Vickers fifth, and now Allgaier and Trevor Bayne are sort of closing in on each other. And here's that battle we talked about for 8th position as Paul Menard gets underneath Stephen Wallace. And here comes Stephen right back on the high side. Remember, Stephen going for his 5th straight top 10 finish dating back to last year.
Yeah, Paul Menard's done a great job this year. Had to buy his way basically into the first race of the year when they didn't get to qualify at Daytona. But he's made the most of it. He's been one of the top cars.
Well, and remember, he was a full lap down earlier in this race, but we've seen that before here at Las Vegas. Trevor Bayne and the 12 of Justin Allgaier. That is for 6th. Bayne's got it. Allgaier would like to get it back. Allgaier's tires are finally starting to show their age.
Yeah, he got a bad break when that caution came out when he was running down Denny Hamlin, the leader at the time. Looked like he might have a shot at the win if it went green, but it hardly ever goes green those last 40 laps.
Well, one thing Allgaier needs to remember, he needs to remember this setup. This was a great setup he's had here at this Las Vegas racetrack. He's been up front all day long, which is 4 laps to go right now. He's still up there in a 7th position and looking good. I know he wants to win it, but this was a great performance out of this guy today.
Looks like that battle has simmered down a little bit. Let's go back to our race leader. That is Denny Hamlin in second place. There is Kevin Harvick, now 1.7 seconds. And next time by, it'll be 2 laps. This will be, for Chevrolet, their 350th Nationwide Series win if Harvick can hold on.
And Harvick's saying right now, don't anybody screw up. I don't need a caution flag. Everybody drives smart. And this pit crew's thinking, please win this thing so you can bail us out.
Here's the other thing. Remember, he said, if I'm having fun, I may go for the championship. What do you think? Is he having fun?
If he wins this race, he's going to be having a lot of fun. And if he wins a lot of races, I think he'll make that decision to run for the championship.
Going around some lap traffic there. And now, next time by, it'll be the white flag lap. His last win in the Nationwide Series was Atlanta last September.
White flag. One more time. One more time.
1.5 miles to go for Kevin Harvick. 2 horrendous pit stops, and he has fought his way back and still leads by 1.4 seconds over Denny Hamlin.
Amazing job Kevin Harvick's done with his Nationwide team, his truck team. It's just incredible machines he's building. Great talent.
As he gets through turns 3 and 4, it'll be his second win here at Las Vegas and the 35th of his career. As he comes across the stripe, Kevin Harvick comes back from near disaster on pit road and takes the win over Denny Hamlin by 1.3 seconds. Carl Edwards third, Brad Keselowski fourth.
Got to work on pit road, but this thing's a bullet.
And Brian Vickers fifth. And first thing out of his mouth, let's work on pit road.
Yeah, we got to work on it, but I'll tell you, if he hadn't crossed that line first, it'd have been a different conversation.
And that was a lot better attitude out of Harvick that time.
That's
Good
great.
run for him, boy. Great fast car today.
Bailed his pit crew out.
A total of 18 cars finish on the lead lap, with Joe Nemechek rounding out that 18th car. And the congratulations going on in the pit crew, as I didn't think we'd get this one in. And let's check in with Dave Burns.
With Ernie Cope. And when we talked yesterday, you didn't want to give the crew too much credit for a good week last week, and boy, they struggled today. How do you resolve having the W over all that?
Well, I mean, he passed more cars than anybody today. We had our worst day, I think, ever on pit road. He kept us cool pretty good for what we had going. The best that could be expected. I mean, the car was good, and he drove his butt off, and he just picked him off one at a time, and we got a clear air, and we're gone.
You told me last year, after the disappointment of crashing and leading so much, you were just going to pick up where you left off. Kind of did that, didn't you?
Yeah, we did. Last year, to the point where we crashed, we led the most laps, and we just come back with the same setup, brand new race car, and I think we got a pretty good Vegas setup.
And a whole lot more smiles this year, Marty.
Absolutely. As you see the victory celebration beginning, the checkered flag being dropped down to Kevin. While we pointed out the top 5, how about 6th place? Trevor Bayne came back last week after the crash at Daytona to finish 11th. Now he has a career best 6th at age 19.
That's some good medicine for him.
And again, Stephen Wallace, he rounds out the top 10, so the streak stays alive. 5 races in a row in the top 10. And Paul Menard finishing in 8th. Another great run there. Remember, they were a lap down at one point after a penalty on pit road.
Andy, what about this track? It just keeps getting better and better with
age. It does. This track, since they've redone it, has been just phenomenal. The amount of grip and the amount of racing we've seen today is it's pretty neat.
While we've got a moment, let's talk about your ticket to the race, because we have had 3 great runs so far, and here's where we're heading to next. Bristol Motor Speedway March 20th, then on to Nashville April 3rd, then Phoenix, Texas, Talladega April 24th, Richmond, Darlington, Dover, Charlotte, and back to Nashville. And that gets you all the way through June. All you got to do is NASCAR.com/tickets, and we'll see you at the track.
What about that Bristol, though, man? New racetrack. It's going to be wild over there.
And an unhappy Kyle Busch as he comes across the line in 16th position. And again, he's just going to look back at this one and say,
well, some days are better than others. He had a great run last week, got a good break, got a win.
Carl Edwards came across the line in 3rd. Let's talk to him. He's with Jamie Little.
Well, there was a lot going on today. First of all, his first race here as a dad. He had his old crew chief back. Yeah. You guys got out of pit sequence early, yet you still finished third. Describe your race, Carl.
Well, the race changed a lot. At one point we were leading the thing, and I was just cruising around, and I thought, man, this is it. We've got it. And it was just a lot going on in that race, and Drew did a great job. Mike Kelly did a great job getting us here. It was a good points day, but we really wanted to get a win for Copart. If anybody out there is looking for a deal on a car, Copart.com. They're a great company. I've used them and just want to get them to victory lane. So, a good run for Ford as well. But we're working on it. Drew said we were 1/10 off, and we'll work on getting 3, and then we'll be great.
Well, that's 3 consecutive top 5 finishes for Carl Edwards. Marty?
All right, thanks a lot, Jamie, as we get ready now to head down to the Hellman's Victory Circle as Kevin Harvick has made it to victory lane.
Twice before, Kevin Harvick has led the most laps here at Vegas and not won, but today leads the most laps and does win. How good was this race car to be able to make up for the spots that you lost in pit lane today?
Yeah, just the car was really fast. We definitely got some work to do on pit road. Luckily, the car was fast enough today, but I got to thank Ream. They've been with us for a long time, and they're the only sponsor that we hadn't taken to victory lane in everything that we've done. So, Ream, Chevrolet, Jimmy John's, all the fans for sticking with us and everything that we do. Armor, who am I missing? Longhorn, Charter, everybody that helps us out on this car.
Now, we heard on the radio there was sometimes it was a little difficult to keep your composure after those miscues on pit road. But how did you regroup and get this thing to the front again and again and win this race?
Well, I get mad. And they know how I am, and they know what I expect of them, and that's not what we expect on pit road. We expect our pit road performances, for all the effort that we put into it, to be like what we are on the racetrack. But I learned a long time ago that you can only gripe about it for so long, and then you got to go back to driving the car. So, Ernie and these guys have done a great job. They work really hard week in and week out to give me cars like this, and we'll fix that pit road deal and get it so that we can show up like that every week.
Man, he drove the wheels off of it today. Kevin Harvick wins in Las Vegas for the second time in his career. Marty? Dave?
And Vince Denny Hamlin, a strong second place today, but a leader on the last restart. What happened?
Yeah, we just those tires got us. But I tried to drive in as hard as I could, but wasn't risking tearing this Interstate Batteries car up. Got to say hi to Norm. He's back at home watching. But we just didn't. We never got on the same cycle as those guys, and those new tires. Kevin had a good car for most of the day. We fought track position. As soon as we would get to somebody, we'd just get aero tight. So overall, it was a good day. We started running back to him there at the end, so we got something to at least build on.
Second place for Hamlin. Jamie?
Brad Keselowski brings it home. Fourth. What happened there early?
We just, trying to be smart and had some kind of, engine issue. I'm not sure what, but it would come and go, and by the end it was really strong. We had a great discount tire Dodge. Felt like we're as good as anyone else. Just bought some track position, but, the biggest thing from this weekend is we qualified well. It's the first time I've ever qualified well on a track like this, and we showed speed all week long. So we'll just keep working out the little bugs, and we'll find ourselves in victory lane.
And you jumped up to second in the points. Alan?
Okay, Jamie, thanks. And so we wrap it up here in Las Vegas momentarily with college basketball coming up next. It is Judgment Week presented by Miller Lite. Illinois State and Northern Iowa in progress. Hour and a half delayed by rain. Still had a good race.
Oh, it was a super race. Kevin Harvick was just absolutely dominant. What a great race for him today. Justin Allgaier, good finish, as well as Bain.
A couple of weeks off of the NASCAR Nationwide Series. Saturday, March 20th. It's Thunder Valley, Bristol, Tennessee. That is coming up on ABC. That race, make note of that. This has been a presentation of ESPN, the worldwide leader in sports. On to hoops.